Chapter 1. Is there a kidney treasure? Li Chang'an traversed into a fantastical realm, becoming the patriarch of a third-rate family in a small town of Qingzhou. He awakened a system of abundant offspring, which promised heavenly rewards for contributing to the family's growth. However, there was an unfortunate twist. The original owner of this body was not only on the brink of death, but also afflicted with impotence. Gazing at his ethereal and delicately beautiful wife, Li Chang'an felt a surge of desperation. It was utterly unjust. I demand a restart. While others are reborn with extraordinary backgrounds and celestial destinies, I find myself inhabiting the body of a dying man. Li Chang'an seethed on his sickbed. In his previous life, he was a model youth in modern society who met an untimely demise while rescuing a young girl from an oncoming truck, only to find himself in this world teeming with noble families. To make matters worse, the original owner was a mere puppet patriarch of a third-rate martial arts family, gravely ill and likely to see no more sunrises. Such unfairness. Good deeds seem to yield no rewards. Doctor, how is my husband? A voice, urgent yet melodious like a clear stream, broke through his thoughts. Li Chang'an strained to turn his neck and follow the sound. There stood a young woman in a light purple gown at his bedside, her beauty captivating. She appeared to be around 20, with her hair slightly disheveled. A perfect oval face adorned with exquisite features, eyes like autumn waters, a delicate nose, and lips that bloomed naturally in rosy hues. More striking was her enchanting figure, the gown failing to conceal her alluring curves, a silhouette that would stir any ordinary man's heart. Yet, at this moment, her finely arched brows were slightly furrowed, shadowed by an unshakable sorrow. Is this my wife, Chu Li? Li Chang'an's mind went blank. The so-called goddesses and celebrities he had seen in his previous life paled in comparison to the woman before him, who seemed to shine tenfold brighter. An indescribable thrill surged within him, momentarily eclipsing his fear of death. Just then, the elderly physician, his hair as white as snow, withdrew his hand from Li Chang'an's wrist. Letting out a heavy sigh, he shook his head at Chu Li, saying, "Madam, forgive this old man's candor. But the head of the Li family is in critical condition, his vital organs failing, his essence depleted. It is beyond the reach of medicine. Even divine intervention may be futile." Upon hearing this, Chu Li's body quivered slightly, her eyes instantly brimming with tears. Though her marriage to Li Chang'an was one of familial arrangement rather than deep affection, they were still bound by the ties of matrimony. As she faced the impending loss of her partner, a wave of sorrow and desolation washed over her. More importantly, if Li Chang'an were to pass, she, as an outsider in this lineage-oriented martial arts family, would be left adrift without support. Contemplating the uncertain future, her eyes glistened with unshed tears, on the verge of breaking. Witnessing Chu Li's heart-wrenching sorrow, Li Chang'an felt as though his heart was being torn asunder, his very soul wailing in agony. Heaven, are you toying with me? In my previous life, I was a mere nobody, someone who had never even held a girl's hand. Finally, I transcended into another realm and was bestowed with a wife of ethereal beauty. Yet what is my fate? I am but a frail, dying wretch, able to see but not to touch. My heart is filled with resentment. Where's the system? I implore for assistance. At the height of Li Chang'an's desperate pleas within, a chilling, mechanical voice resonated abruptly in his mind. Ding! A strong and persistent desire for survival detected, binding conditions met. The Multiplicity and Fortune system is now officially activated. This system aims to assist the host in expanding their lineage, strengthening their bloodline, and establishing the most formidable imperial clan in existence. Any contribution made by the host towards this expansion, including but not limited to coupling, conceiving, and the birth of offspring, will yield substantial rewards. Note, the partner's attractiveness must be rated above 90. The higher the partner's beauty, talent, bloodline, and background, the more generous the rewards bestowed upon the host. The system. My external aid has finally arrived. Were it not for the limitations of this body, Li Chang'an would have been on the verge of leaping from his bed in exhilaration. The Multiplicity and Fortune system. This system is tailor-made for my current predicament. Based on the fragmented memories that merged within his mind, the realm of Qingyuan was populated by myriad races, with martial prowess held in the highest regard, and numerous martial families wielding most of the resources and power. These families were categorized into grades from 1st to 9th, culminating in the legendary imperial clans. The higher the grade, the more terrifying the strength and foundation. The Li family, where he resided, was situated in a modest locale known as Qingfeng City in Qingzhou, merely a third-rate martial clan that could not even be counted as a lowly first-grade family. Aspiring to transform the Li family into the most powerful imperial clan was a formidable challenge, fraught with obstacles. However, with the system now in place, everything became possible. He immediately cast a fervent gaze towards Chu Li, who was seated beside his bed. Ding! Suitable coupling object detected. Name: Chu Li, age, 20, attractiveness, 95, peerless beauty, bloodline, Ice Phoenix bloodline, awakening pending. Emotional experience, 0, system evaluation, exceptional partner for the host. Coupling, conception, and childbirth all possess a significant probability of triggering critical rewards. It is advised that the host acts swiftly to secure this opportunity and embark on a grand endeavor. Note, the first coupling with a partner rated above 90 in attractiveness will grant the host a beginner's gift package. 95. The Ice Phoenix bloodline. Li Chang'an's heart raced, his blood nearly boiling. Truly, she is the epitome of perfection as his wife. I must secure her immediately. His ardent gaze bore into Chu Li, almost as if he wished to consume her whole. Chu Li felt a wave of discomfort under his intense stare, her delicate cheeks flushing. An inexplicable sense of panic washing over her. The look he cast upon her bore an unsettling resemblance to that of the ruffians she often encountered on the streets. Even more raw and avaricious, brimming with possessiveness. Yet, after the exhilaration, the harsh reality doused him like a bucket of cold water, rendering Li Chang'an abruptly lucid. Not to mention that he is now gravely ill, barely able to move. Even if he were in perfect health, the original host was inherently impotent. During the more than a year of marriage with Chu Li, he had been filled with desire yet powerless. They had never truly consummated their union. Otherwise, how could someone as breathtakingly beautiful as Chu Li remain untouched, stricken by immobility and an innate inability? How could he ever unite with Chu Li to fulfill the system's first task and obtain the life-saving novice gift pack? Without this union, he would undoubtedly meet his demise. A fierce instinct for survival overwhelmed his reason, and an absurd yet audacious thought surged into Li Chang'an's mind. With great difficulty, he turned his eyes towards the elderly doctor, who was preparing to leave with his medicine box. Summoning every ounce of strength, he spoke in a faint whisper. Though his words reached both of their ears with clarity, "Esteemed doctor, do you have any kidney tonics or potent aphrodisiacs?" Chapter 2. A request to Madam in that instant. The room fell into a profound silence. The elderly doctor's eyes widened like saucers, his goat's beard twitching as if he had heard the most outrageous tale. Chu Li was initially taken aback, but quickly regained her composure. Her enchanting face flushed crimson, reaching all the way to her ears. She looked at her ailing husband in disbelief, her beautiful eyes brimming with shock, embarrassment, and a hint of confusion. Why would he want aphrodisiacs at such a time? Did he know he was about to die and wish to become a true husband to her before his end? "My husband, you mustn't," Chu Li exclaimed urgently. Her face still flushed, now tinged with anxiety and indignation. She simply could not fathom why a man on the brink of death would make such a preposterous request. Before she could finish her words, Li Chang'an, summoning his remaining strength, raised his hand slightly, interrupting her. His gaze remained fixed on the elderly doctor. His voice, though weak, was imbued with an undeniable determination. "Doctor, is there or isn't there?" The elderly doctor met Li Chang'an's resolute, yet slightly deranged eyes, glancing at the flustered Chu Li beside him. After a prolonged moment of contemplation, he stroked his beard and finally spoke with the gravity befitting a healer. "Master Li, I am well aware of your physical condition. Ordinary aphrodisiacs would be utterly ineffectual for you." He paused, seemingly weighing his words, before bluntly stating, "Only the xianxia powder possesses an extraordinarily potent nature. It may temporarily restore your masculine vigor." Upon hearing the name of xianxia powder, Chu Li's face turned ashen, clearly having heard of it before. The elderly doctor continued, his voice low. "However, for an ordinary person, using this medicine would result in severe depletion of vital energy, necessitating a lengthy recovery of a year or more. And given your current state, Master Li." He sighed heavily, leaving the rest unsaid. Upon hearing these words, Li Chang'an's face displayed not fear, but rather a bittersweet and somewhat deranged smile. He spoke in halting phrases. "Since death is inevitable, why not seize the moment and relish life as a true man? I implore you, go fetch the medicine." The old doctor, observing Li Chang'an's demeanor, could only shake his head and sigh, ultimately resigning himself to say, "Alas, very well, you may wait." He thought to himself that Li Chang'an, even at the brink of death, still yearned to be a libertine, indeed a peculiar individual. Without further ado, the old doctor picked up his medicine box and swiftly exited the room. Inside, only Li Chang'an and Chu Li remained, and the atmosphere grew exceedingly awkward and tense. Chu Li's chest heaved violently, clearly agitated. She glared at the feeble Li Chang'an on the bed, her voice laced with suppressed anger and a hint of barely perceptible sorrow. "Husband, you are utterly absurd. I will never allow you to take that xianxia. One dose, and you shall surely perish." Li Chang'an struggled to conjure a smile. Yet his gaze remained remarkably clear as he looked at her. "If I do not consume it, does that mean I shall not die?" Chu Li was momentarily taken aback by his question, then quickly turned her head away, unable to meet his eyes, her voice filled with stubbornness and grievance. No, I cannot allow you to die on my account. You may forsake your reputation, but I still cherish mine. By the end, her voice had dwindled to a mere whisper. Seeing her resolute stance, Li Chang'an's mind raced. He understood that force would not prevail and thus resorted to cunning. He inhaled deeply and, adopting a tone imbued with mystery and persuasion, slowly articulated, "Lear, listen to me. Last night, I had a dream." Chu Li turned her head in confusion. Li Chang'an continued, his eyes appearing somewhat dazed, as if truly lost in recollection. "In the dream, after we shared tender moments, not only did I not perish, but miraculously, I recovered. Furthermore, our Li family seized this fortuitous opportunity and ascended to the ranks of noble clans." A dream? Chu Li furrowed her brows, interrupting him. Can dreams be taken seriously? She increasingly suspected that Li Chang'an was delirious from his ailment, speaking nonsense. What if? Li Chang'an fixed his gaze upon her, his eyes flickering with the last glimmers of hope. "Lear, we have been married for 2 years. I am acutely aware of the debt I owe you and have never asked anything of you. Now, this is my final wish. Can you bear to let me depart with regrets, just like this? Even if it is merely for a 1 in 10,000 chance." His voice grew weaker. Yet that sense of reluctance and yearning was distinctly conveyed to Chu Li's heart. She fell silent, gazing at Li Chang'an's pallid face. Filled with longing, she remembered how, despite his shortcomings, he had never treated her harshly over the past 2 years. They had maintained mutual respect. Now, this was his only request before death. And what if that dream held even the slightest possibility? Even if it were merely to allow him peace as he departed. Her small hand tightly clutched the hem of her garment, her heart engulfed in intense struggle and turmoil. At that moment, the old doctor returned, holding a small jade vial in his hand, his expression complicated as he handed it to Li Chang'an. "Master Li, this is the Qingtian San. You are surely aware of its usage. Take care of yourself." Upon finishing his words, he shook his head with a sigh and departed hastily, as if unwilling to be entangled in the disputes of this place. Once again, only 2 individuals remained in the room. Li Chang'an gazed at the frigid jade vial in his hand, then turned to observe Chu Li, who stood by the bed, her complex expression betraying a struggle between words unspoken. No longer hesitating, he summoned his last vestiges of strength, uncorked the vial, and poured the crimson powder within into his mouth. The powder dissolved instantly, unleashing a fierce and overwhelming surge of energy that detonated within his exhausted meridians. A muffled groan of pain escaped Li Chang'an's lips, yet almost immediately, a long-forgotten vigor coursed through his body, igniting his blood with fervor. The potency of this Qingtian San was indeed astonishingly fierce. Chu Li, who had been discreetly monitoring his reactions, inadvertently caught sight of the altered bed covers, and instantly recoiled like a startled rabbit, her face flushed to the point of nearly bleeding, her heart racing like a drum. Though inexperienced, she understood the implications of what had transpired, realizing the effects of the medicine had begun and that time was of the essence. Li Chang'an cast a glance at the mortified Chu Li, whose embarrassment seemed to compel her to seek refuge in the ground. The influence of the medicine made his voice flow more smoothly than before, laced with a hint of jest and resignation. "My lady, as I find myself incapacitated, I must implore you to take the initiative." Chu Li's delicate frame trembled as she abruptly lifted her gaze to meet Li Chang'an's, her eyes reflecting the bloodshot desire wrought by the medicine. Recalling his absurd dream from moments ago, she glanced at his astonishing reaction below and the mingled expression of pain and longing on his face. What if a miracle truly existed? This thought spiraled in her mind like an incantation, and ultimately, as if resolving upon a momentous decision, she bit down on her lower lip, nearly drawing blood, and hesitantly extended her hand to slowly untie the ribbons of her lavender gown. One by one, her garments slipped away, revealing a flawlessly sculpted body akin to exquisite white jade, presented without reservation before Li Chang'an's gaze. Taking a deep breath, Chu Li climbed onto the bed, awkwardly positioning herself atop Li Chang'an. Chapter 3. Reward. The following morning, the gentle sunlight streamed through the intricately carved wooden window, casting a warm glow upon the disheveled bed. Li Chang'an stirred awake, and in that fleeting moment of regained consciousness, he felt not the excruciating weakness and pain of the previous day, but rather an unprecedented sensation of fullness and vitality, warmth enveloping him as if every cell within him rejoiced with exuberance. He sprang upright with agility, glancing down at his strong hands, a feeling reminiscent of rebirth washing over him. I have lived. I have truly survived. Instinctively, he looked to his side, where Chu Li lay peacefully asleep, her hair like clouds cascading over the pillow, her breathtakingly beautiful face still bearing the remnants of last night's fervor and tears. Her long lashes fluttering gently, and the corners of her mouth curving slightly, as if lost in a delightful dream. The silken quilt had slipped to her waist, revealing expanse of smooth, snowy skin, along with a breathtakingly alluring silhouette. Witnessing this vibrant scene, Li Chang'an was filled with an indescribable surge of emotion and pride. In 2 lifetimes, after decades of pure and innocent existence, a chapter was fervently and perfectly concluded last night. As he was swept away by emotions, the familiar mechanical voice echoed in his mind, as melodious as celestial music. Ding! Detected that the host has successfully united with a stunning beauty rated 95 points. Completing the first union task. Reward critical hit triggered. Reward 1. The lethal toxins within the body have been completely neutralized, restoring the body to its peak condition. Reward 2. Sacred Cultivation Technique Azure Dragon Transformation Technique. Direct access to the supreme path of the Holy Yuan realm, automatically infused into the host's consciousness. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the first union. Beginner's gift package issued. Reward 1. Cultivation Enhancement. The host's cultivation is directly elevated to the 9th layer of body refinement. Reward 2. Spiritual Insight Enhancement. The host's spiritual awareness is directly raised to the level of the Qi Si. Reward 3. A 2nd-grade sword Qi Talisman. One-time consumable. Capable of instantly vanquishing any martial practitioner below the Qi Si level. As the system notification faded, Li Chang'an felt an overwhelming surge of pure energy pouring into his body, akin to a raging river, instantly breaking open his previously stagnant and feeble meridians, strengthening his muscles and skin. His mind became increasingly lucid. Buzz! A faint rumble seemed to resonate in the air. Li Chang'an's blood surged, his bones crackled, and his muscles swelled, releasing an uncontrollable powerful aura. At that moment, he felt an explosive force coursing through him, as if a single punch could shatter boulders, a single kick could crack the ground, and defeating several robust bulls from his past life would be a trivial feat. 9th layer of body refinement. Incredible. According to the original owner's memories, martial arts cultivation in the Qingyuan realm is strictly categorized from low to high as follows: body refinement, Qi condensation, Qi Si, spirit transformation, true vitality, air sovereignty, royal yuan, supreme yuan, holy yuan, and emperor yuan. Each major realm is further divided into 9 minor layers. Though the system had only elevated him to the 9th layer of body refinement, a far cry from true strength, it is essential to note that in the remote Qingfeng city, reaching the 9th layer of body refinement is already considered top-tier prowess. Moreover, the Qi Si level of spiritual awareness allows Li Chang'an to perceive everything within 100 zhong, even with his eyes closed. Every blade of grass, every flower, and every insect fall under his vigilant scrutiny. What made Li Chang'an's heart race even more was the Azure Dragon Transformation Technique, a sacred cultivation method that leads directly to the Holy Yuan realm. The hierarchy of martial techniques ranges from low to high: common, yellow, profound, earth, heaven, king, emperor, supreme, sacred, and emperor. What a monumental concept the sacred technique represents. The highest technique passed down in the Li family was merely a fragmented yellow-grade beginner technique, barely sufficient to support the clan members in reaching the pinnacle of Qi condensation. If this news were to spread, not just in Qingfeng City, but throughout the entire Qingzhou and even the vast eastern wilderness, it would incite a storm of bloodshed, with countless hidden experts vying for it. Heaven has not forsaken Li Chang'an. Not only have I survived, but I have also received such remarkable rewards. From this moment forth, the Li family shall soar to unprecedented heights. What a trifling, inconsequential lineage. I, Li Chang'an, shall forge the mightiest imperial clan of all time. Overwhelmed with exhilaration, he could not suppress the urge to let out a triumphant roar to the heavens. With a light and graceful leap, he sprang from his bed. Just as he rose, his movements disturbed the enchanting beauty beside him, Chu Li, who let out a soft murmur. Her long lashes fluttered a few times before she languidly awakened. Initially dazed, she blinked her beautiful eyes open and, upon spotting Li Chang'an standing tall at the foot of the bed, his complexion radiant and his gaze vibrant, she instantly froze, her eyes widening in sheer astonishment and disbelief. My husband? You have not uttered a complete sentence, merely pointing at me with your delicate finger, she stammered. Her lips slightly parted, exuding both cuteness and allure. Li Chang'an, observing her reaction, burst into hearty laughter, his spirits soaring. He stepped forward, leaned down, and planted a fervent kiss upon her smooth forehead, proclaiming in a booming voice, "My dear wife, I have recovered. Look, I am perfectly well now. Not a trace of ailment remains. I am truly healed." Chu Li, taken aback by his affectionate gesture, felt her cheeks flush crimson once more. Yet it was primarily the sensation of being ensnared in a dream that overwhelmed her. Instinctively, she reached out to gently touch Li Chang'an's sturdy arm. The warmth of his skin and the definition of his muscles conveyed an undeniable truth. This was real. Just yesterday, her husband had been on the brink of death, deemed beyond salvation by the physician. Yet today, he stood before her, vibrant and full of life. How could this be? Chu Li murmured to herself. Her eyes filled with confusion and delight. Could it be that the dream you spoke of last night truly manifested? Aside from this absurd explanation, she could not fathom any other reason that might allow a dying man to regain his health overnight, appearing even more vigorous and spirited than before his illness. Observing Chu Li's expression of surprise and joy, along with her innocent charm, Li Chang'an was reminded of her alluring demeanor from the previous night. As she playfully resisted, yet welcomed him, the heat that had just subsided within him flared once more, rising from his core with even greater intensity. The mere act of uniting once had granted him profound martial arts techniques and an elevation in cultivation. If he could bring Chu Li to conceive and bear offspring, the rewards bestowed by the system would surely be extraordinary. With this thought, Li Chang'an's gaze upon Chu Li ignited with fervor, brimming with unrestrained possessiveness and a yearning to cultivate. Noticing the familiar intensity in his eyes, Chu Li momentarily froze before understanding his intentions. The blush-inducing scenes from last night flooding her mind, rendering her weak-kneed. Her cheeks flushed deeply, a rosy hue spreading to her pristine neck and delicate collarbone. Instinctively, she attempted to pull the silk quilt to cover herself, her voice barely above a whisper, laced with a hint of panic. "My husband. You have just recovered and need to rest well." Li Chang'an chuckled mischievously, grasping her delicate hand as she tried to tug the quilt. Relishing the silky warmth of her touch, with a playful grin, he replied, "My dear wife, you are truly my lucky star. The moment you arrived, not only did I recover from my illness, but my cultivation has also flourished. It seems I must find a way to express my gratitude." "Do not," exclaimed Chu Li in surprise, feeling a rush of embarrassment and instinctively wanting to evade. However, Li Chang'an was unwilling to relent, laughing heartily. "What of the day? My affection for my lady is only natural." With that, he pounced upon Chu Li's delicate form once more, as if a famished tiger seizing its prey. Chu Li feebly struggled for a moment before yielding entirely to his passionate advance, her flushed cheeks burying themselves against his sturdy chest as she murmured softly, "Then, be gentle." Within the room, the air soon filled with the blushing sounds of breathy gasps and sighs, a scene of unrestrained springtime. Chapter 4. He needed this coffin more than ever. Time slipped by for over 2 hours. The rain had ceased, and the clouds parted. Li Chang'an, feeling invigorated, gently covered the already weary and deeply sleeping Chu Li with a blanket. Observing her serene visage, a profound sense of satisfaction and boundless anticipation for the future filled his heart. He quietly dressed and prepared to check the outside world when the system's notification chimed once more in his mind. Ding. Detection confirms that the union partner, Chu Li, has successfully conceived, triggering extraordinary critical reward. Congratulations, host. You have received the sacred sword, Celestial Cutter, bound to the host. Can be summoned and retracted at will. Celestial Cutter, an ancient holy sword, unmatched in sharpness, containing a fragment of the celestial law. With the host's current cultivation, it can be fully wielded once a month, guaranteed to strike true below the realm of sky sovereignty. Note, as the host's cultivation improves, the frequency and potency of use may increase. Conception successful? Li Chang'an was momentarily taken aback, but then elation surged within him. The efficiency of this system was astonishing. With a mere thought, a radiant flash revealed an ancient sword, approximately 3 feet in length, manifesting in his grasp. The blade shimmered in a dusky gold, inscribed with numerous intricate and enigmatic runes, pulsating with a chilling light. The hilt twisted like a dragon, feeling slightly heavy in his hand, evoking an innate connection as if it were an extension of himself. Simply holding it, Li Chang'an sensed the terrifying destructive energy contained within, guaranteed to strike true below the realm of sky sovereignty. This meant that even before a true master of the realm, he could slay with a single stroke. It was known that families guarded by true masters were at least of the 3rd rank, reigning as local tyrants in the Qingzhou territory. With the Celestial Cutter as his trump card, even if he could only wield it once a month, it would grant him an absolute advantage capable of turning the tides and intimidating all foes. Ha ha ha. Wonderful. What a magnificent Celestial Cutter. Truly, heaven has aided me. Li Chang'an fondled the cool blade, savoring the moment before suppressing his excitement, retracting it into his being. Instantly, the Celestial Cutter transformed into a streak of light, vanishing into his dantian, where it would be nurtured. At that moment, he felt invigorated and emboldened, as if the entire world had become radiant. He adjusted his robes, pushed open the door, and stepped out with a confident stride, ready to embrace the new world that awaited him. However, his smile froze instantly upon stepping through the threshold. In the very center of the patriarch's courtyard, an ominous black coffin, exuding a chilling aura, had mysteriously appeared. "Master, are you all right?" As Li Chang'an stepped out of the house, a voice filled with incredulity echoed from the corner of the yard. A middle-aged man, clad in dark attire and wielding a long blade, hurried forward. His resolute features were now painted with shock and elation. It was Li Hu, Li Chang'an's devoted bodyguard. Having stood vigil outside the courtyard the previous night, Li Hu had been unable to ignore the strange commotion within. Coupled with the old doctor's diagnosis from the day before, he had resigned himself to the belief that the master, after such a tumultuous night, had surely succumbed to his fate. He had even mentally prepared himself to handle the aftermath for the family. Yet, to his astonishment, Li Chang'an not only emerged alive but appeared vibrant, with a rosy complexion, steady breath, and vigorous steps, nothing like the frail figure he had been the previous day. It was nothing short of a miracle. "I have recovered," Li Chang'an stated calmly. Thud. At these words, Li Hu could no longer contain his overwhelming excitement and dropped to one knee, tears glistening in his fierce eyes, his voice trembling. "Heaven has seen fit. Master, it is truly wonderful that you are unharmed." Witnessing the genuine emotion from his loyal companion warmed Li Chang'an's heart. According to the memories of the original owner, Li Hu was an orphan whom he had saved from the streets and brought home, bestowing upon him the Li surname. They had grown up together, and Li Hu's unwavering loyalty was invaluable to Li Chang'an, who had just regained his life and needed support amidst the treachery of the Li family. "Rise," Li Chang'an urged, gesturing for him to stand. Before his gaze shifted to the glaring black coffin at the center of the courtyard, his expression hardening. "What is the meaning of this coffin?" Upon hearing this, Li Hu's face flushed with indignation. He stood tall, pointing at the coffin, and replied with fervor, "Master, it was sent by the Grand Elder. Just as dawn broke, he dispatched someone to deliver it, saying you should rest peacefully, and he would take care of the subsequent matters, so you need not worry about the family." "Grand Elder Li Jintao?" Li Chang'an murmured the name, a glint of coldness flickering in his eyes. Having received the system's prompt moments earlier, he now understood that the original owner was not gravely ill, but had been poisoned by a lethal toxin known as bone-dissolving powder. This insidious poison would gradually erode a warrior's vital organs and meridians, causing symptoms akin to severe illness, rendering it difficult to detect. It now appeared that, if his assumptions were correct, the nefarious hand behind this poison was likely his very own uncle. After all, Li Jintao, as his second uncle, had fiercely contended for the position of patriarch against his father years ago. Following the untimely demise of Li Chang'an's father, the young heir had ascended to the patriarchate, while Li Jintao, ostensibly supportive, had covertly maneuvered to curry favor with the clan elders and cultivate his own allies, long harboring ambitions for the patriarch's seat. With no offspring of his own, should the original owner perish, Li Jintao, as the rightful and powerful direct uncle, would be the most legitimate candidate for succession. What a devoted uncle, even preparing a coffin for me. Li Chang'an's lips curled into a cold arc, a sense of murderous intent permeating his heart. Having inherited this body, he naturally accepted the original owner's grievances. Li Jintao must not be spared. With this thought, Li Chang'an no longer hesitated and instructed Li Hu. "Li Hu, carry this coffin and accompany me." "Master, what do you mean?" Li Hu asked, momentarily taken aback. Li Chang'an's gaze was sharp as a blade, directed toward the direction of the elder's courtyard, his voice chilling. "This coffin, I, Li Chang'an, am unworthy of receiving. I shall return it to its original owner and present it to the elder. Surely, he will find it more necessary." Li Hu sensed an unprecedented steadiness and dominance emanating from Li Chang'an, and although he felt a tinge of astonishment, he was even more invigorated. He seemed to glimpse the brilliance of the former family head in his prime. Without any hesitation, he replied solemnly, "Yes, master." With that, he strode toward the black coffin. Gathering his strength, and with the prowess of a seventh-tier body refinement practitioner, he hoisted the heavy coffin onto his shoulder. Li Chang'an nodded in satisfaction, taking the lead as he stepped forward, with Li Hu carrying the coffin closely behind. The master and servant, bearing a coffin exuding a sinister aura, made their way directly to the eastern courtyard where the elder, Li Jintao, resided. Chapter 5. Confrontation. Meanwhile, in the eastern courtyard where elder Li Jintao resided, he sat leisurely on a stone bench, savoring fragrant tea with a complacent smile gracing his face. In his 50s, he bore some resemblance to Li Chang'an, but with a more sinister glint in his eyes. Calculating the time, he mused that Li Chang'an, that short-lived wretch, should have breathed his last by now. In his heart, he plotted that once Li Chang'an was dead, the position of family head would be within his grasp. Humph. Big brother, What if you won the position of family head back then? My dear nephew, you shall ultimately fall short of my prowess. At that moment, a trusted subordinate entered the courtyard, leading two young women with utmost caution. They were twin sisters, around 18 or 19 years of age, both possessing exquisite beauty and slender figures. Although clad in coarse garments, their elegance could not be concealed, yet they wore expressions of timidity and unease, their small hands nervously twisting the corners of their clothing. The trusted subordinate approached Li Jintao and whispered a few words in his ear. Upon hearing this, Li Jintao's gaze immediately fell upon the pair of sisters, his murky old eyes suddenly igniting with unrestrained greed and lasciviousness. He appraised the two young women from head to toe, lingering particularly on their budding curves and pert figures. Good. Well done. Li Jintao clapped his hands in delight, casting an approving glance at the subordinate. The elder sister of the twins, summoning her courage, timidly looked at Li Jintao and stammered, "Are you masterly? The person who brought us said that if we come to serve as maids, we would be given an advance payment. Is that true?" Li Jintao set down his teacup, donning a facade of insincere smiles as he nodded repeatedly. "Of course. Our Li family is a prominent clan in Qingfeng City. How could we deceive you?" However, he abruptly changed his tone, his gaze lecherously sweeping over the two young women. "You must obediently serve me well, and if I am pleased, not only will I grant you an advance of money, but I could also ensure that you live a life of luxury as my concubines," he leered. "What?" The sisters' faces paled in an instant, terror etched across their features. Despite their naivety, they grasped the sordid implication behind Li Jintao's words. "No, we cannot accept this. It is not what was previously agreed upon. We merely wish to serve as maids," the younger sister whimpered, clutching her elder sister's arm tightly. "Sister, let us leave. We do not want the money anymore." The elder sister, fighting back her fear, tugged at her sister, eager to flee this den of iniquity. Yet, the servant who had led them in blocked their escape, a sinister grin plastered on his face. "Ah, my young ladies, it is not so simple. Do you think you can come and go as you please in the Li family estate?" He sneered, flexing his wrists in a display of confidence. The sisters retreated in desperation, gazing at the advancing servant and the motionless, avaricious Li Jintao, their hearts heavy with despair, unsure of their next move. Suddenly, a deafening crash reverberated through the air. The door, which had been obstructed by the servant, shattered as if struck by a tremendous force. Amidst the flying splinters, a heavy, dark coffin hurtled into the courtyard like a cannonball, colliding forcefully with the back of the blocking servant. "Ah!" The servant barely managed a brief cry before he was propelled into the courtyard by the coffin, blood spilling from his mouth as he was crushed beneath its weight. Emitting only weak whimpers, clearly on the brink of death, the sudden turn of events left everyone in the courtyard stunned. Li Jintao's lewd grin froze, replaced by a look of shock and fury. He sprang to his feet, bellowing, "Who dares to cause such chaos here?" As the dust began to settle, two figures emerged through the shattered doorway. The foremost was tall and striking, with an eagle-like gaze, none other than Li Chang'an, who should have been lying in the coffin. Behind him stood the stoic guard, Li Hu, dusting off his hands, his demeanor as formidable as a guardian deity. Li Chang'an's eyes scanned the courtyard, briefly resting on the quaking sisters before landing on Li Jintao, whose face had turned ashen. A sardonic smile curled at the corners of Li Chang'an's lips as his chilling voice resonated throughout the courtyard. "Dear uncle, your nephew has come to pay his respects." Li Jintao, staring at the vibrant and composed Li Chang'an, felt a wave of disbelief wash over him. This boy was not dead. How could this be? He had witnessed Li Chang'an's gradual decline, the poison eating away at him until yesterday, when the old physician had declared that not even divine intervention could save him. Moreover, last night he had ingested the potent and lethal Qingtian San, a concoction that could be likened to a death warrant. After a night of debauchery, by all accounts, Li Chang'an ought to be a frigid corpse at this very moment. Could it be that the ferocious properties of Qingtian San inadvertently became a cure through its own poison? Or perhaps this young man is destined to survive, having encountered some unforeseen fortune? Li Jintao's thoughts whirled, yet his face quickly morphed into a semblance of concern, albeit one that was insincere. He hastily interjected, "Oh dear, my beloved nephew, at last, you have awakened. Yesterday, upon hearing of your grave illness, I was beside myself with worry. I even prepared for your ahem final arrangements, considering the worst-case scenario. This coffin was merely a precaution. Please do not hold it against your dear uncle." As he spoke, he gestured towards the black coffin at the center of the courtyard, attempting to downplay the gravity of the situation. Upon hearing this, a sardonic smile flickered across Li Chang'an's face. "Uncle, I am not dead. Are you not disappointed?" The forced smile on Li Jintao's face faltered slightly, before he feigned irritation, waving his hand dismissively. "What nonsense are you speaking, nephew? You are the head of the Li family. If anything were to happen to you, our family would be left leaderless. I would be heartbroken, not disappointed. Leaderless? Li Chang'an's smile grew colder. Wouldn't that conveniently allow certain individuals to ascend to power? His words struck at the very heart of the matter. Li Jintao's smile vanished entirely, his expression darkening, and a chill crept into his voice. What is the meaning of your words today, nephew? Why this cryptic tone? Do you not regard your elders? Elders? Li Chang'an scoffed, abandoning any pretense. His voice turned sharp, like ice shattering. As for an elder who has poisoned his own nephew, wishing to see me dead, I, Li Chang'an, hardly know how to show respect. Poison? What poison? Li Jintao's heart raced, yet his face betrayed a mixture of outrage and confusion, as if he were the victim of a gross injustice. Do not slander me. You are gravely ill, your fate sealed. That is merely your destiny. How can you unjustly accuse me of poisoning you? What evidence do you have? Huagu-san. Li Chang'an enunciated each syllable with precision, locking his gaze onto Li Jintao's eyes, a poison capable of debilitating one's very essence, leading to a demise akin to a severe illness. Uncle, are you familiar with this poison? Chapter 6. Upon hearing the name Huagu-san, Li Jintao's pupils involuntarily narrowed, his heart gripped by terror. This young man even knows the name of the poison. How did he uncover this? However, Li Jintao, being shrewd and calculating, allowed his momentary shock to pass. He immediately donned a mask of even greater fury, his hair bristling as he pointed an accusing finger at Li Chang'an, bellowing, "Absurd! Utterly ridiculous! Huagu-san, I have never even heard of it. Li Chang'an, you are clearly delusional, speaking nonsense and attempting to frame me." He swore vehemently, "I vow, should I harbor even a fraction of ill intent towards the family head, may I be struck down by divine retribution and meet a wretched end." His oaths and fervor seemed to embody righteous indignation. Since his uncle insisted on his innocence, Li Chang'an chose to forego further verbal sparring. A glint of cold light flashing in his eyes as he commanded his companion, Li Hu, who stood behind him. "Li Hu, bring him in and conduct a thorough search. Leave no corner unchecked." "Yes, master." Li Hu, already brimming with suppressed fury, immediately complied, gesturing to the two reliable guards accompanying him as he maneuvered past Li Jintao towards his chamber. "Presumptuous! Li Hu, how dare you?" Li Jintao's expression darkened as he swiftly positioned himself in front of the door, his aura surging with the formidable presence of an 8th-tier body refinement. He glared at Li Chang'an, exclaiming, "Even if you are the head of the family, you lack the authority to intrude upon my quarters without just cause. You trample upon our clan's rules and besmirch my honor. Should you proceed with this search today, I shall have no choice but to oppose you fiercely." The guards at his back swiftly encircled him, their expressions fierce, creating an atmosphere thick with tension. Yet, Li Chang'an remained undaunted, retorting with a cold laugh, "Uncle, why such agitation? Our family is built upon martial prowess and governed by trust. If your conscience is clear, what have you to fear from a search? You." Li Jintao was momentarily rendered speechless. Just then, a cacophony of hurried footsteps echoed from beyond the courtyard, as numerous members of the Li family, drawn by the commotion, flocked to the scene. Leading the group was a middle-aged man of sturdy build and composed demeanor, the second elder of the Li family and Li Chang'an's third uncle. "Li Bunkuan, what is happening? Why is there such turmoil?" As Li Bunkuan entered the courtyard, his gaze fell upon the disarray, the shattered door, the ominous black coffin at the center, and the two opposing parties, causing his brow to furrow deeply. Upon noticing Li Chang'an, a look of incredulous delight ignited in his eyes. "Chang'an, you are unharmed." "Third uncle, I am well, fortunate to have recovered." Li Chang'an nodded at his typically fair-minded uncle. "Wonderful. Truly, a blessing from our ancestors." Li Bunkuan beamed, then turned his attention to the scene, perplexed. "What has transpired here? Chang'an, second brother, what discord has arisen between you two?" Without allowing Li Jintao the chance to respond, Li Chang'an proclaimed loudly, "Third uncle, esteemed family members, I, Li Chang'an, have not succumbed to illness but rather have been victimized by a treacherous plot, having been poisoned with a lethal toxin known as bone dissolution powder. And the perpetrator is none other than my dear second uncle, Li Jintao. I was about to search his quarters for evidence, yet he obstructs me at every turn, clearly betraying a guilty conscience." At this revelation, the gathered family members erupted into a chorus of astonishment. "What? Poisoned? Bone dissolution powder? The elder poisoned the family head? How could this be? We are all of one blood. Is the head of the family, having just recovered, perhaps still in a daze?" Many displayed expressions of doubt and disbelief. Li Jintao, having cultivated his influence within the clan for years, was supported by numerous allies, and immediately, one of his staunch supporters stepped forward to rebuke, "Head, you must provide evidence for such claims. The elder has served the family diligently for years. He deserves recognition for his efforts, not baseless accusations. You should apologize to him at once." Indeed, such disrespect towards an elder. Uttering unfounded allegations. How can one bear the responsibilities of family leadership in such a manner? Not today. I, Li Chang'an, declare that this house is under my surveillance. If I fail to uncover the bone-dissolving powder or any related evidence, it will prove that I have wronged my second uncle. He paused, his gaze sharp as it swept across the crowd. I, Li Chang'an, shall not only apologize publicly to my second uncle, but will also voluntarily relinquish my position as the head of the Li family from this moment forth. I shall no longer concern myself with family affairs. What? Resigning from the position of family head. At these words, the assembly was struck with astonishment. Even Li Bunkuan's expression shifted. Longan, do not speak recklessly. Li Jintao was equally taken aback. He had not anticipated that Li Chang'an would dare to wager such a heavy bet, which instilled within him a flicker of doubt and unease. However, he quickly reasoned that the bone-dissolving powder was an exceedingly clandestine item, well concealed by himself, and just last night he had instructed his wife, Zhao Yueling, to handle it with care. The brutish Li Hu and his companions might not be able to locate it. If it truly remained undiscovered, would it not be a fortuitous opportunity to seize the position of family head without bloodshed? While his thoughts raced, weighing the pros and cons, a voice, both alluring and tinged with a hint of bitterness, emanated from within the house. Let him search. The crowd turned towards the sound. Witnessing a woman clad in a rose-red brocade dress, her voluptuous figure exuding charm as she gracefully emerged from the bedroom. It was Zhao Yueling, Li Jintao's wife and Li Chang'an's second aunt. Despite nearing 40, her eyes shimmered with an enchanting allure that rendered several young relatives spellbound. With unmistakable confidence and a trace of offended indignation, Zhao Yueling approached Li Chang'an, lifting her chin defiantly. Longan, how have your second uncle and I treated you over the years? It is common knowledge. Today, you dare to slander him thus. It is truly disheartening. I shall take charge today, allowing your people to enter and search thoroughly. If they find nothing. Her gaze bore into Li Chang'an, her voice suddenly turning sharp. You must fulfill your promise, publicly bow to your second uncle in apology, and thereafter resign from your position as family head. Witnessing his wife's unwavering confidence, Li Jintao felt a surge of certainty. It seemed the bone-dissolving powder had indeed been deftly concealed by her. He immediately straightened his posture, adopting an expression of profound grievance yet selflessly dignified, declaring with indignation, Very well. Since my wife has spoken, to prove my innocence, Li Chang'an, search as you wish. I, Li Jintao, conduct my affairs with integrity and fear no scrutiny. In contrast, Li Chang'an entirely disregarded Li Jintao, instead pondering over Zhao Yueling. For at the very moment he laid eyes upon her, the system's voice resonated in his mind. Ding. Detected a potential combination target. Name, Zhao Yueling. Age, 39. Appearance, 90 points. A beauty of unparalleled grace. Bloodline, none. Physique, naturally charming body. Special yellow-grade physique. Emotional history, 3. System evaluation, possesses a special physique. Combining with her may yield unique rewards. The host may consider pursuing. Chapter 7. You should be content. Li Chang'an was utterly astonished that the system had even set its sights on his second aunt. Yet, he was perplexed as to why Zhao Yueling's emotional history was only 3 encounters. This experience is even less than that of some girls who have just stepped out of campus in a past life. To say she is pure would not be an exaggeration, which is entirely incongruous with the allure exhibited by my second aunt. Could it be that the relationship between Zhao Yueling and Li Jintao is not merely that of a husband and wife? Otherwise, how could someone as lecherous as Li Jintao possibly resist the charms of a naturally alluring figure? However, this is not the time to ponder such suspicions. The matter at hand is to deal with Li Jintao first. Fear not, dear second aunt, for I, Li Chang'an, am a man of my word. If I cannot procure poison, I shall gladly abdicate my position as head of the family. With a wave of his hand, Li Chang'an directed Li Hu. Search. Li Hu immediately rushed into the room, beginning to rummage through every corner meticulously. From the bedroom to the study, from the cabinets to under the bed. Even the walls and the floor were thoroughly tapped and examined. As time passed, the atmosphere in the courtyard grew increasingly tense. Those who supported Li Jintao began to wear expressions of triumph, while some relatives who were neutral or leaned towards Li Chang'an displayed concern. Li Bunkuan furrowed his brow, observing the impassive Li Chang'an and silently lamenting the boy's impulsiveness. After the incense had burned for a while, Li Hu and his companions emerged empty-handed, slowly shaking their heads at Li Chang'an. Did you find anything? Zhao Yueling interjected, her voice laced with sarcasm. Li Hu remained silent. Ha! A weight lifted from Li Jintao's heart. He could not contain his laughter, his face suffused with the triumph of a victor and the indignation of being wronged. Li Chang'an, what more do you have to say? There is nothing at all. This is all your imagination. a slander against your second uncle. He turned to the assembled clan members, passionately declaring, all of you have seen it. I, Li Jintao, as the eldest elder, have devoted myself to the Li family. Yet I am met with baseless suspicion and insult. Today, if the head of the family does not provide me with an explanation, how can I remain in the clan? Head of the family, apologize. Indeed, you have gone too far. You must make amends. In an instant, the relatives nearly unanimously sided with Li Jintao, urging Li Chang'an to honor his promise. Li Bunkuan sighed and stepped forward to mediate. Chang'an, perhaps this is just a misunderstanding stemming from your recent illness. We are family. Must we let this escalate into such a deadlock? Quickly, apologize to your second uncle, and let this matter pass. As for your abdication, it was merely said in anger. We do not intend to take it seriously. Why should it not be taken seriously? Li Jintao interrupted Li Bunkuan, now arrogant, and pointing a finger at Li Chang'an. Words once spoken cannot be taken back, especially in front of so many clan members. As the head of the family, how can Li Chang'an maintain authority if he is untrustworthy? He must step down today, or I will leave the Li family and establish my own branch. I wonder how the Li family will function without me. Several staunch supporters of Li Jintao immediately chimed in, vociferously agreeing, yes. The head of the family lacks virtue and should yield to someone more deserving. The head must fulfill his promise. Li Jintao looked at Li Chang'an, who had become the target of scorn, remaining silent, yet unable to suppress a smirk. He felt an immense satisfaction. Li Chang'an, do you really think you can contend with me? You are still too inexperienced. Li Chang'an's brow furrowed. Is there nothing inside? In light of this, Li Chang'an's spirit stirred, and the power of his consciousness expanded, enveloping the entire courtyard. Within a mere 5 breaths, he pinpointed a sinister aura, surprisingly emanating from Zhao Yueling. It appeared she had concealed something on her person. Surely, in her view, no matter how rude she might be, she would not anticipate a search of her body. Unfortunately, while the original owner may have refrained from such actions, for him, a transmigrator, there were no moral constraints. Li Chang'an spoke coolly, Uncle, why the haste? There remains one place we have yet to search. Zhao Yueling, hands on her hips, scoffed. Haven't you already ransacked the entire room? Do you intend to dig 3 feet into the ground? Li Chang'an's gaze fixed intently on Zhao Yueling as he raised a hand and pointed at her. It's on you. What? The smug expression on Zhao Yueling's face instantly froze, despite her efforts to conceal it. The brief contraction of her pupils and the slight tremor of her fingers betrayed her inner tension. Preposterous. Li Chang'an, I am your aunt. Do you intend to search my body in public? Why not? Li Chang'an's voice turned icy as he commanded Li Hu, strip her. Yes. Li Hu showed no hesitation in following Li Chang'an's orders, regardless of the fact that Zhao Yueling was a woman and an elder. He strode towards her, his gaze sharp as an eagle's. You dare. Li Hu, you dog servant, do you dare to touch me? Zhao Yueling exclaimed, her face draining of color as she retreated repeatedly. Li Jintao, will you stand idly by as they bully your wife? Li Jintao's expression darkened, and he barked, Li Chang'an, you dare to disrespect my aunt. Stop him. Several guards beside him rushed forward to obstruct Li Hu, and the situation appeared poised to escalate. Bang, bang, bang. Li Chang'an moved like a ghost, his fists cutting through the air with a piercing sound, and before the guards could comprehend his actions, they were sent flying, their ribs caving in. Wiping the blood from his hands, he declared, I am the head of the family. Those who dare lay hands on me are seeking rebellion. The atmosphere fell into an eerie silence. Although Li Chang'an was the head of the Li family, his prolonged illness had prevented him from cultivating, leaving him at the 3rd level of body refinement. Yet now, his aura clearly radiated the 9th level of body refinement, with an exceptionally solid foundation. This was nothing short of astonishing. 9th level of body refinement. Chang'an, when did your cultivation reach such heights? Exclaimed his 3rd uncle, Li Bunkuan, both astonished and delighted. With Li Chang'an's youth and attainment of the 9th level, there was great hope for him to break through to the qi condensation stage, propelling the Li family into the ranks of 2nd-tier clans. Li Chang'an offered no response, merely surveying the sycophants surrounding Li Jintao, his voice chilling. Who else dares to obstruct me? Do not blame me for personally executing familial laws. At that moment, none dared to intervene. Even Li Jintao remained motionless, for he too was merely at the 8th level of body refinement, unable to contend with Li Chang'an. Let me go? Zhao Yueling struggled desperately. Li Hu showed no mercy, tightening his grip, while with the other hand, he tore a gash in her garment. Rip! As her clothing tore, a jade vial, the size of a thumb, tumbled out alongside Zhao Yueling's exposed form. Li Chang'an snatched the vial, twisted open the cap, and advanced towards the pale-faced Li Jintao. Chang'an, no? Li Jintao was on the verge of defending himself when, before he could utter a word, Li Chang'an forcefully thrust the bottle's opening into his mouth, pouring a stream of dark, purplish venom directly down his throat. Li Chang'an, in an instant, Li Jintao's expression shifted dramatically, his hands clutching his throat. His eyes filled with despair and terror. Such a copious amount of bone-dissolving powder was no mere chronic poison. It was a lethal toxin capable of causing instantaneous demise. Soon, Li Jintao's skin began to turn purple, black blood oozing from his orifices, and his flesh and bones visibly shrank. As if he had been cast into a vat of acid, an unsettling sight that sent shivers down the spine. Li Chang'an, you shall not die a peaceful death. Li Jintao rasped in a hoarse shout. Dear uncle, you have tormented me for years. It is a mercy I grant you today, so be grateful. With a gentle push, Li Chang'an sent Li Jintao stumbling backward, ultimately falling into the dark, ominous coffin. As for this coffin, I return it to you. Chapter 8. A lesson in severity. Li Jintao's anguished cries before his death resounded like the most thunderous death knell, striking at the hearts of all members of the Li family. At this point, the truth had become glaringly evident. The once boisterous courtyard now fell silent, save for the heavy breaths of a few individuals and the palpable tremors of fear. The third elder, Li Bunkuan, wore a grim countenance as he gazed upon the unrecognizable, foul-smelling corpse in the coffin. The last vestiges of doubt dissipated, replaced by a fierce anger and fear. He swept his sleeve in a sudden motion, declaring loudly, as the family's grand elder, Li Jintao dared to poison and conspire against the head of the family. Such madness deserves death. Chang'an, you have handled this matter rightly. To allow such treacherous ambition to go unpunished would be a dereliction of our family's principles and a disservice to my brother's spirit. The fourth elder, Li Yuanmu, a somewhat lean and perpetually indecisive middle-aged man, now trembled in shock. Observing the calm yet commanding profile of Li Chang'an, and recalling his decisive and ruthless actions moments ago, the realization dawned upon him. This young patriarch was no longer the frail puppet of yesteryear. He was using Li Jintao's life to announce his return and iron-fisted authority to all clan members. A lesson in severity, indeed. With this thought in mind, Li Yuanmu hurriedly stepped forward, bowing in deference, his voice imbued with unprecedented respect. The patriarch's keen insight in rooting out traitors is indeed a great fortune for the Li family. Li Jintao had it coming. We firmly support the patriarch. With the two elders leading the charge, the remaining clan members dared not voice a single dissent. Particularly, those who had previously rallied fervently for Li Jintao were now utterly terrified, collapsing to the ground in a flurry of prostration, their heads knocking against the earth like garlic cloves. Spare us, patriarch. Spare us. We were deceived by that traitor Li Jintao. He claimed the patriarch was gravely ill and the family needed a new leader. In our ignorance, we believed his lies. We beseech your mercy. We shall not err again. We acknowledge our mistakes and are willing to accept any punishment. Li Jintao's offspring, now utterly deflated, lay on the ground, pallid and weeping, crawling to Li Chang'an's feet, pleading, Patriarch, please spare us. The misdeeds committed by my father are something we were truly unaware of. I implore the head of the family, considering our kinship, to spare our lives. We are willing to toil like oxen and horses to repay the grace of not being executed. In an instant, cries for mercy and wails filled the air, and those who had just moments ago arrogantly forced Li Chang'an to abdicate now displayed their disgraceful appearances. Enough. Li Chang'an's cold voice cut through the commotion. The courtyard fell silent, everyone holding their breath, gazing at him with trepidation. Li Jintao's crimes lie solely with him. He has already faced punishment. Li Chang'an continued. As for you, his gaze, sharp as a frozen blade, swept over those kneeling in supplication. Anyone who has colluded with Li Jintao or participated in his schemes must present themselves to the law elder within 12 hours, confess your misdeeds, and accept the corresponding penalties. Should you harbor any illusions of evasion or concealment, or should I uncover the truth later? He paused, his tone laden with murderous intent. Li Jintao serves as a cautionary tale. Yes, yes. We implore the head of the family to show mercy. We will go at once. Those individuals, as though granted a reprieve, repeatedly bowed their heads and scurried out of the courtyard, fearful that any delay would provoke a change of heart from Li Chang'an. Having dealt with these opportunists, Li Chang'an's attention shifted to Zhao Yueling, who was slumped on the ground. At this moment, her garments were torn by Li Hu, revealing large swathes of her pale and alluring skin, yet she seemed oblivious to it all, hugging her knees, lost in despair, her expression vacant. The mixture of desperation from her exposed secrets and the profound humiliation of being publicly stripped of her dignity weighed heavily upon her. After all, she was a woman, one who had always prided herself on her beauty and charm. Feeling Li Chang'an's gaze upon her, Zhao Yueling abruptly lifted her head, a flicker of resentment and a forced bravado flashing in her eyes. In a hoarse voice, she declared, Li Chang'an, you are ruthless, even killing your own uncle. But do not be too pleased with yourself. I am a member of the Zhao family. The indignity you have heaped upon me today, and the murder of my nominal husband, will not go unpunished by the Zhao family. If you are wise, release me now, and perhaps I can speak a few good words for you before my family. The Zhao family? Li Chang'an's gaze sharpened slightly. The three prominent families of Qingfeng City, Zhao, Wang, and Lin, each boasted formidable warriors, far surpassing the strength of the third-rate Li family. If Zhao Yueling were indeed a direct descendant of the Zhao family, today's events could spell disaster for the Li family. However, drawing from the memories of the original host, it became clear that Zhao Yueling was merely a distant relative of the Zhao family, married to Li Jintao as a means for the Zhao family to test the waters and infiltrate the Li family. Her standing within the Zhao family was likely not as exalted as she claimed. Furthermore, Li Chang'an's heart harbored a cold mirth at the thought of letting her escape. Was that not akin to releasing a tiger back into the mountains? He instructed Li Hu, bind this woman securely and confine her in the guest room under strict supervision. No one is to approach without my command. Understood. Li Hu promptly fetched ropes, disregarding Zhao Yueling's struggles and curses as he bound her tightly. Li Chang'an, how dare you imprison me? The Zhao family will not let you off easily. Zhao Yueling shrieked in threat. Li Chang'an, seemingly oblivious to his surroundings, continued to address Li Hu, stating, this woman's origins are dubious and may be intricately linked to the Zhao family's insidious schemes against the Li clan, possibly even connected to the poisoning incident involving Li Jintao. I shall personally interrogate her shortly. The weight of the phrase personally interrogate carried profound implications. Li Hu understood the gravity of the situation, nodding in agreement as he dragged the irate Zhao Yueling into a nearby chamber for custody. Chapter 9. The sisters. After dealing with Zhao Yueling, Li Chang'an turned his attention to his ever-watchful uncles, Li Bunquan and Li Yuanmu, adopting a grave tone. Uncles, today's events are pivotal to the survival and honor of our family. I implore you both to strictly regulate our kin, seal all information, and ensure that nothing about today's occurrences, especially regarding Zhao Yueling, escapes our walls. His words were not born of fear of the Zhao family, but rather a recognition of the Li family's current fragility. They were not yet prepared for open conflict. Li Bunquan and Li Yuanmu, upon hearing this, felt a chill run through them and quickly bowed in response, assuring him, rest assured, head of the family, we understand the stakes and will do everything in our power to restrain our kin and contain this information. They were acutely aware that this admonition was not only a delegation of responsibility, but also a stern warning. Should any information leak, regardless of their involvement, they would bear the brunt of Li Chang'an's wrath. They knew they must guard this matter closely to protect their positions and lives. Observing Li Chang'an's inscrutable gaze and steadfast demeanor, both men felt a sense of awe, silently marveling. This nephew, having endured such a life-and-death ordeal, had not only advanced in skill but had also matured into a shrewd and formidable figure. The Li family was indeed on the cusp of transformation. Enough of this sordidness. It is unwise to linger here. Uncles, please attend to your duties. The affairs of our clan require your diligence. Li Chang'an gestured dismissively. Yes, head of the family. Li Bunquan and Li Yuanmu replied, refraining from further discussion, their hearts heavy with mixed emotions as they called upon other clan members to begin clearing the scene, handling Li Jintao's remains, and sternly warning all present to remain tight-lipped. Soon, the courtyard was left with only Li Chang'an and the trembling twin sisters in the corner. At last, his gaze fixed upon them, and in his mind, he heard once more the enticing notification from the system. Beep. Suitable pairing object detected. Name, Lu Lingyin. Age, 18. Appearance, 94 points, stunningly beautiful. Bloodline, none. Physique, twin flowers, rare special physique. Emotional experience, 0. Beep. Suitable pairing object detected. Name, Lu Shiyun. Age, 18. Appearance, 94 points, stunningly beautiful. Bloodline, none. Physique, twin flowers, rare special physique. System evaluation, exceptional pairing candidates. Merging with both would yield special physique rewards. Strong recommendation for the host to pursue both simultaneously. Sisters of unparalleled beauty, each rated at 94 points. A rare special physique. The prospect of simultaneous acquisition promising unique rewards. Li Chang'an's heart soared with joy, the chilling aura he had just exuded dissipating considerably. To capture the hearts of a pair of sister blossoms is a dream cherished by countless reclusive men in their past lives. Who would have thought that upon traversing to this realm, such an opportunity would present itself so effortlessly? However, witnessing the sisters' tremors akin to startled fawns, it is evident that the earlier gruesome scene has left them utterly terrified. Noticing Li Chang'an's gaze upon them, Lu Lingyin and Lu Shiyun quivered even more. Clutching each other tightly, huddled in a corner, their delicate faces etched with fear and helplessness. They had witnessed Li Chang'an casually poisoning his own uncle. a man of ruthless methods. Falling into his hands would likely yield a fate not much better than serving that lecherous old man, Li Jintao. Suddenly, the younger sister, Lu Shiyun, summoned an unexpected surge of courage, thrusting her arms wide to shield her elder sister, Lu Lingyin, despite her own trembling form. With a defiant tilt of her chin, she called out to Li Chang'an, "If you wish to kill or maim, come for me instead. Spare my sister." "Shiyun, what are you saying?" Lu Lingyin exclaimed in alarm, hastily attempting to pull her sister behind her. "I am the elder. If anyone should stay, it ought to be me. You must flee. Please take care of our father's affairs." "No, sister, if we must die, let us die together. I cannot abandon you." The sisters engaged in a heated dispute, both gripped by fear yet determined to protect one another. Their pure and untainted sisterly bond stirred a mixture of amusement and emotion within Li Chang'an. Clearing his throat, he interrupted their poignant farewell with an air of exasperation. "Ladies, I believe there has been a misunderstanding. Do I truly appear to be someone who would harm innocent, delicate women?" Both Lu Lingyin and Lu Shiyun paused, turning to examine Li Chang'an, their eyes still laden with skepticism and wariness. "Is that not the case?" The younger sister murmured, pouting slightly. "The one who lured us here initially pretended to be a good person." Upon hearing this, Lu Lingyin's protective demeanor intensified. Li Chang'an rubbed his nose, realizing his earlier ruthless actions had thoroughly tarnished his image. Choosing not to elaborate further, he directly inquired, "Were you deceived by Li Jintao's people to come here?" At the mention of this, Lu Shiyun nodded vehemently, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Indeed, your family is truly wicked. They promised us work as maidservants and even advanced payment to bury our father, yet that old scoundrel only lusted after our bodies. Had you not arrived, Tears began to brim in her eyes once more. "In that case," Li Chang'an continued, following her lead, "by eliminating Li Jintao and clearing the way, I have indirectly saved you, perhaps even earning the title of benefactor." The sisters exchanged glances, blinking in unison. As if grasping the logic of the situation, Li Jintao was indeed the villain, while Li Chang'an had vanquished the villain. Noticing their spirits slightly lifted, Li Chang'an pressed on. "You mentioned earlier that you needed money to bury your father? What exactly transpired?" At the mention of their father, the sisters' expressions dimmed. Lu Lingyin's voice trembled as she replied, "We are but humble villagers. Our father passed away a few days ago, and our family is impoverished, unable even to afford a simple coffin." The two sisters ventured into the city with the intent of securing employment and advancing some wages to ensure a proper burial for their father. However, the sum required was substantial, and no one was willing to extend such a generous loan to them. It was only after a deceitful individual claimed that the Li family, being affluent, would assist them that they were lured into his trap, believing they were acting out of filial duty. Li Chang'an, discerning the truth, found himself with a heightened admiration for these devoted sisters. After a moment of contemplation, he retrieved 2 hefty silver ingots from his bosom, approached the sisters, and knelt before them, gently placing the ingots on the ground at their feet. "This matter is ultimately a misdeed committed by my family, and I owe you an apology," Li Chang'an stated with a calm demeanor. "Take this money to ensure a proper burial for your father, and consider the remainder as compensation for my family's wrongdoings." With that, he rose and stepped back, gesturing for them to depart. Chapter 10. Profession. Lu Lingyin and Lu Shiyun stared blankly at the gleaming silver ingots on the ground, then looked up at the composed Li Chang'an, who genuinely intended to let them go, their eyes filled with disbelief. "You are simply giving us money and letting us leave?" Lu Lingyin could not help but inquire. "Do you not desire something in return?" Li Chang'an shrugged, half jokingly, half seriously replying, "Would you believe me if I said I seek nothing in return? So, while my mind remains unchanged, take the money and depart swiftly." His candor significantly alleviated the sisters' wariness and fear, as they gazed upon Li Chang'an's handsome and serene visage. Recalling his fierce handling of the villain earlier, they were struck by the juxtaposition of his gentle generosity against the backdrop of might. This duality painted a complex yet seemingly benign impression in their minds. Exchanging a glance, the sisters recognized shared feelings of gratitude and a glimmer of hope in each other's eyes. They cautiously picked up the silver ingots, gripping them tightly, and then stood together, bowing deeply and solemnly to Li Chang'an. "Thank you, noble sir, for your life-saving grace and generous gift." Lu Lingyin spoke softly yet resolutely. "Thank you," Lu Shiyun echoed, her voice barely above a whisper, her face still marked by traces of tears. After performing their respectful gesture, the sisters supported each other, glancing back repeatedly as they slowly made their way toward the shattered gate. Observing their delicate figures gradually fade from view, Li Chang'an's smile slowly dissipated, and he lightly struck his own cheek in mild reproach. What a splendid opportunity wasted, playing the virtuous gentleman. Those sisters, with their unique circumstances, are a rare chance not to be squandered. It would be dishonest to claim he felt no regret. Nonetheless, he held steadfast to his principles. Taking advantage of the vulnerable and seizing wealth by force was no different from the actions of Li Jintao. Besides, there would surely be future opportunities. Knowing they were in Qingfeng City, as he sighed and shook his head, a sudden, rapid sound of light footsteps echoed behind him. Li Chang'an turned in surprise to find Lu Lingyin and Lu Shiyun, who had just departed, returning breathlessly with flushed cheeks, standing a short distance away, seemingly hesitant to speak. "Do you have something further to discuss?" Li Chang'an asked, rubbing his hands in confusion. Sister Lu Lingyin mustered her courage and stepped forward. Her voice tinged with a hint of trepidation and hope. "Young master, we merely wish to inquire if, after we lay our father to rest, we might come to the Li residence to seek your assistance. My sister and I are now without a home, with nowhere to turn. We are willing to do anything, laundry, cooking, cleaning the courtyard, anything at all. We simply desire a place to call our own." Lu Shiyun, her younger sister, nodded vigorously, her eyes brimming with anticipation as they gazed at Li Chang'an. Li Chang'an was momentarily taken aback, but soon elation surged within him. It was indeed a glimmer of hope amidst despair. Good deeds, it seemed, were rewarded in kind. With an effort to maintain composure, a subtle smile crept upon his lips as he nodded and spoke gently. "Of course, you may. Though the Li household may not be grand, it can certainly accommodate you both and provide you with a stable means of living. Once you have settled your affairs, feel free to visit me at the Li residence." "Truly? That is splendid. Thank you, young master. Thank you." The sisters erupted with joy, their faces brightening as if the clouds had parted after a storm, revealing a radiant sun. They bowed deeply to Li Chang'an before clasping hands and skipping away, this time for good. Watching their jubilant retreat, Li Chang'an felt an immense sense of relief wash over him. The sisters, now a part of his plans, were akin to meat in a bowl. He could afford to take his time, turning his attention to the room where Zhao Yueling was confined. A knowing smile played on his lips. Li Chang'an adjusted his robe and strode purposefully toward the chamber. Upon entering, he immediately beheld Zhao Yueling, bound in the center of the room. Her arms were cruelly restrained behind her, accentuating the curves of her figure, while the slenderness of her waist was emphasized by the ropes that constricted it, revealing a glimpse of her long, fair thigh as her skirt lay in disarray from her struggles. Suspended just above the ground, her toes barely grazed the floor, leaving her in a precarious position that rendered her powerless to escape, amplifying her vulnerability and humiliation. The combination of shame, fear, and her recent exertions had cast an unusual flush upon her otherwise well-maintained features. Her almond-shaped eyes widened, ignited with fury yet betraying a hint of barely concealed panic. Strands of hair clung to her forehead, further enhancing her pitiable allure. This sight, coupled with her status as a recently widowed woman, could easily evoke a twisted sense of sympathy and an intensified desire for possession in men of wavering resolve. As for the circumstances of her widowhood, best not to inquire. Li Chang'an could not suppress a chuckle as he glanced at the stoic Li Hu beside him, teasing, "Li Hu, I must say, I did not expect such professionalism in your methods. Where did you learn this?" To his surprise, a rare flush of embarrassment crossed Li Hu's dark features. He scratched the back of his head and replied in a gravelly voice, reporting to the master, "I learned from some circulated manuals that spoke of dealing with spies or disobedient captives. This method is the most secure and efficient." Li Chang'an nearly erupted in laughter, astonished by Li Hu's unexpected educational background despite his burly appearance. The guards accompanying him stifled their chuckles, their shoulders shaking. Suppressing his amusement, Li Chang'an patted Li Hu on the shoulder and spoke earnestly. "Indeed, applying what one learns is commendable. However, I believe it is time to find you a wife, lest you become too engrossed in those nonsensical books." The guards burst into laughter, exclaiming, "Ha ha, Chief, the master is about to secure your lifelong affair." Li Hu was initially taken aback, but soon his eyes sparkled with joy as he looked at Li Chang'an, stammering with excitement. "Really? Is that true?" Li Chang'an nodded with a smile. "I always keep my word. Once you achieve merit, I will arrange it." "Thank you, master. Thank you." Li Hu's face flushed with excitement, as if he could already envision his future bride. "Enough," Li Chang'an waved his hand, his smile fading as he adopted a serious demeanor. "Everyone, please step outside and remain vigilant. No one is to enter without my command, not even a fly." "Yes." Li Hu and the guards immediately composed themselves, bowing in compliance before silently exiting and carefully closing the door. With the door shut, only Li Chang'an and the bound Zhao Yueling remained in the room. Chapter 11. A heartfelt glance. The atmosphere grew tense, filled only with Zhao Yueling's rapid breaths, tinged with anger and anxiety, and the faint sound of the ropes occasionally rubbing together. Zhao Yueling strained to lift her head, glaring at Li Chang'an with eyes reddened by humiliation. "Li Chang'an, If you still possess humanity, you will release me at once. I am your aunt. Do you not fear the wrath of heaven or the scorn of the world for treating me this way, aunt? Li Chang'an's lips curled into a cold smile as he approached Zhao Yueling. Does your conscience not ache when you utter such words? I regard you as my elder. Yet have you ever considered me your nephew? Leaning slightly closer, his gaze sharp as a blade, he pierced through Zhao Yueling's defenses. After all, what kind of aunt conspires with her husband to administer such a vicious poison to her own nephew, seeking to end his life? Zhao Yueling's pupils contracted as she forced herself to remain calm, retorting, "You speak nonsense. That bone-corroding powder was brought by Li Jintao himself, and he administered it. What does it have to do with me? As his wife, I merely wish to help him avoid disaster. Unaware, are we?" Li Chang'an scoffed. Standing upright and circling the suspended Zhao Yueling at a leisurely pace, his tone measured. The bone-corroding powder is no common poison. Even my third and fourth uncles have never heard of it. Given Li Jintao's limited capabilities and resources, where could he have procured such a rare toxin? He halted, facing Zhao Yueling once more, his gaze piercing. In the entire Qingfeng city, the only families with the power and connections to acquire such a substance are the three prominent clans. Among them, who would most desire to devour and control a small family like ours, gradually undermining the various powers in Qingfeng city? It can only be your Zhao family. You speak absurdities. There is no evidence. Zhao Yueling's complexion turned slightly pale, yet her voice became sharper. You are slandering me. Slander? Li Chang'an shook his head, a playful smile gracing his lips. Second aunt, when you married my second uncle, it seems you were not driven by love, but rather by a mission, am I correct? Perhaps you aimed for the Li family's fortune, or rather, you are merely a cog in the Zhao family's scheme to annex the smaller clans of Qingfeng city. Is that not so? At this juncture, Zhao Yueling realized that a mere denial would serve no purpose. The panic in her eyes gradually transformed into a bitter resentment and a deeply concealed sorrow. She lifted her chin, as if to uphold the last vestiges of her dignity and resolve. Li Chang'an, it appears that we, the Zhao family, have underestimated you. We thought the Li family would be the easiest target, yet you have concealed yourself so well, not only surviving but flourishing with such prowess and cunning. However, her tone shifted, taking on a menacing edge. So what if you are correct? What can you do to the Zhao family? Do you dare to confront us? If you are wise, release me now, and I may speak well of you within my clan. Perhaps the Li family can retain some semblance of dignity. Otherwise, when the Zhao family's forces descend upon you, your family will be reduced to dust in an instant. The Zhao family? Forces descending? Li Chang'an chuckled as though he had heard something utterly ridiculous. Second aunt, you overestimate your importance and the Zhao family's capabilities. You, Zhao Yueling, are merely a distant relative of the Zhao clan. Though you possess some beauty and a unique constitution, to the higher echelons of the Zhao family, you are, at best, just a pawn. The word pawn pierced Zhao Yueling's heart like two searing needles, striking at her most sensitive and resentful spots. She trembled violently, struggling against her bindings. The ropes dug painfully into her flesh, yet she seemed oblivious to the pain, only capable of shrieking, "No, I am not a pawn. You are talking nonsense. Li Chang'an, you are lying. I am not a pawn. I am a member of the Zhao family." But as she shouted, her voice dwindled, becoming increasingly hoarse, eventually tinged with an uncontrollable sob. Tears cascaded down her cheeks like pearls from a broken string, soaking her garment and diluting the fierce facade she had tried to maintain. Clearly, Li Chang'an's words had cut through the facade, exposing a truth she had long resisted acknowledging, along with the pain and humiliation she had suppressed. Beneath her seemingly glamorous exterior lay a profound sorrow and helplessness. Observing Zhao Yueling in such a pitiful state, coupled with the system prompt indicating her limited emotional experiences, Li Chang'an began to form a rough understanding of her past and circumstances. What might a woman endowed with an innate allure face in a family that places such emphasis on interests and power? From the moment her unique constitution awakened, her fate was likely sealed, destined to serve as a tool for marriage alliances, infiltration, and even the execution of seduction schemes. Those scant three emotional experiences might merely attest to her being passed around as a gift or bargaining chip among various men. Her nominal marital relationship with Li Jintao serves as a subtle corroboration of this notion. Perhaps Li Jintao is merely a puppet arranged by the Zhao family to exert control over the Li family, while Zhao Yueling acts as another pawn, tasked with monitoring this puppet and executing assignments. However pitiable Zhao Yueling may be, trapped in her circumstances, she ultimately remains a femme fatale who nearly poisoned the original owner. Where there is wrongdoing, there must be severe retribution. Li Chang'an stepped forward, extending his long fingers to gently grasp Zhao Yueling's smooth chin, compelling her to lift her tear-filled visage. His gaze lingered upon her tear-streaked yet still enchanting face, imbued with a hint of mockery and an imperceptible curiosity. In this state, "You evoke my sympathy," he remarked, extending his other hand not to wipe away her tears, but to strip away her final shred of modesty. Chapter 12. The Eye of Insight. An hour later, Zhao Yueling lay crumpled on the cold ground, akin to a puddle of soft mud, her body drenched in fragrant perspiration. Her skin flushed. The once captivating beauty of her face was now marred by tear stains, sweat, and an overwhelming expression of humiliation interwoven with confusion. Her vacant gaze fixed upon the ceiling. Her body trembled uncontrollably, as if she had just traversed a tempest that shattered and hollowed out all her facades, pride, and strength. Li Chang'an stood beside her, leisurely adjusting his robes, a look of post-satisfaction and reflection gracing his features. The recent ordeal was less an interrogation than a thorough act of vengeance. He had not only punished this poisoner in the most primal of ways, but had also, through words and actions, completely stripped away the hardened shell bestowed upon her by the Zhao family. As he fastened his belt, feeling the surge of energy coursing through him from the recent exertion, a familiar mechanical voice echoed in his mind once more fervent than ever before. Accompanied by multiple reward notifications. Ding. Detected the host's first union with a woman possessing a special constitution, triggering multiple and additional unique rewards. Reward 1. Qi Gathering Pill, Earth-Grade Elixir, upon consumption, guarantees a 100 success rate for a 9th-level body refinement practitioner to break through to the Qi condensation realm, with a solid foundation and no side effects. Reward 2. Eye of Insight, a special ability that, when activated, allows the host to discern the loyalty and affinity of others within the visual range. Ineffective against those whose cultivation exceeds the host's by 2 major realms. Reward 3. 10 volumes of Xian-grade martial arts manuals. 30 volumes of Huang-grade martial arts manuals, covering various types. Automatically stored in the system space. Special reward. Jinwu Monument, a special architectural treasure that can be placed within a family, used to assess the cultivation talents, potential bloodlines, and physical tendencies of clan members and the host's offspring, providing guidance on cultivation directions, aiding in the discovery and cultivation of familial talents. This cascade of reward notifications filled Li Chang'an with uncontainable joy. The Qi Gathering Pill. This is precisely what he needs at this moment. With it, breaking through to the Qi condensation realm will be a matter of course, heralding a qualitative leap in strength. In this city of gentle breezes, the martial practitioners of the condensed Qi realm have begun to assert their dominance, further solidifying the status of the Li family. The Eye of Insight is nothing short of a divine skill for discerning loyalty and treachery, enabling one to clearly identify who among the family is a true ally and who harbors ill intentions. This capability surpasses any form of torture or covert investigation in efficiency and directness. With dozens of manuals on Xian and Huang grade techniques, while they may hold little value for someone like him, who possesses sacred grade methods, they are indeed priceless treasures for the entire Li family. The foundational strength of the Li family's martial arts will experience an instantaneous surge, sufficient to support the legacy demands of a first-grade clan. Yet, what Li Chang'an values most is the true martial steel, a unique structure capable of assessing talent and providing cultivation recommendations. For a family aspiring to forge the strongest imperial lineage, its strategic significance is immeasurable. This means he can cultivate the descendants and core members of the family with precision and efficiency, preventing resource wastage, ensuring that geniuses are not overlooked, and guiding the mediocre towards the most suitable developmental paths. This lays the cornerstone for the family's long-term growth. The rise of the Li family is imminent, and Li Chang'an's heart swells with excitement. At that moment, a weak, hoarse voice filled with endless indignation and fatigue, yet tinged with an inexplicable complexity, emerged from behind him. It was Zhao Yueling. Upon hearing her voice, Li Chang'an's thoughts stirred, and the recently acquired ability of the Eye of Insight activated silently. He turned to face Zhao Yueling, who lay crumpled on the ground. In an instant, a virtual screen, visible only to him, materialized above her head. Name, Zhao Yueling. Affinity towards host, 0. Loyalty towards host, 0. No affiliation. A score of 0 in affinity? A loyalty level of 0? Li Chang'an was slightly taken aback. Logically, after punishing her so severely and exposing her most painful scars, she should harbor intense loathing towards him, if not outright hatred. Yet, the system displayed a rather delicate neutral value of 0. This could only imply that his previous remarks and subsequent actions, although humiliating for her, genuinely struck a chord with her innermost thoughts, causing her distorted sense of belonging and mission towards the Zhao family to waver. In a certain light, his extreme methods had paradoxically granted her a twisted form of liberation from her identity as a mere tool, a pawn. Understanding this, Li Chang'an gazed at Zhao Yueling, whose hollow yet complex eyes were now focused upon him. In a calm tone, he spoke. Everything that transpired was a consequence of your collusion with Li Jintao to poison me, a scheme that warranted the Li family's deserved punishment. An eye for an eye is a matter of principle. He paused briefly before continuing. From this day forth, you are prohibited from stepping outside the Li residence without my permission. You would do well to awaken to the truth. The Zhao family has never regarded you as one of their own. You are merely a tool for their expansion, a pawn that can be sacrificed at any moment. Is it truly worth sacrificing your life and dignity for such a family? Zhao Yueling's body quivered imperceptibly, her vacant gaze sharpening as she turned to Li Chang'an, her lips moving soundlessly. Li Chang'an continued, as long as you are sensible and abide by your duties. From this day forth, you will be a member of the Li household. The Li family will ensure your lifelong sustenance, safeguarding you from want. Provided you cease your collusion with the Zhao family, which endangers the Li lineage, I can guarantee you a tranquil existence within these walls. Having spoken, Li Chang'an averted his gaze, turning to exit through the door. The sound of the door opening and closing jolted Zhao Yueling from her reverie. She watched Li Chang'an's silhouette fade away, then glanced down at the tattered remnants of fabric that clung to her form. The emptiness in her eyes was gradually replaced by a tumult of complex emotions, humiliation, resentment, fury, yet also a hint of relief, one she herself was reluctant to acknowledge. Outside, Li Hu and several guards stood at attention like javelins at the door. Upon hearing the commotion, they swiftly turned, bowing respectfully. Master. Li Hu's gaze briefly swept over the closed door before dropping, refraining from any hint of inquiry. Although straightforward, he understood well what was permissible to question and what was not. Li Chang'an regarded him with a grave expression, instructing, the individual inside is henceforth confined to the estate. All her needs must be met without delay or neglect. To the outside world, she remains the widow of the late Grand Elder. You are to treat her with the utmost respect. Do you comprehend? Li Hu, despite harboring some confusion regarding his master's leniency towards this venomous woman, was unwavering in his obedience to Li Chang'an's orders. He immediately clasped his hands together and responded solemnly, I understand perfectly. I shall comply without fail. Chapter 13. The true martial steel inside. Zhao Yueling sat despondently on the floor, fully aware of Li Chang'an's directives to Li Hu. The notion that no one was to neglect her stirred a complex turmoil within her vacant gaze. Was this act of sparing her life, while retaining her status and means of living, an expression of compassion, or had she already been deemed a mere plaything? Zhao Yueling shook her head vigorously, attempting to dispel her chaotic thoughts, yet Li Chang'an's words lingered like an incantation. Indeed, she was merely a tool, cultivated by the Zhao family for her allure, with marriage and body treated as mere bargaining chips, worth less than a dog in the eyes of the legitimate heirs. Now, having failed her mission, even if she returned to the Zhao family, she would only be drained of her last vestige of value and cast aside like a worn-out shoe. In contrast, Li Chang'an, though ruthless, was true to his word. At a young age, he exhibited profound cunning and had already attained the 9th level of body refinement, with a limitless future ahead. Remaining in the Li household, she might at least secure a peaceful existence for the remainder of her days. Do I have any choice left? Zhao Yueling murmured to herself. Gazing at the tightly shut door, she slowly curled into herself, burying her face in her knees, the tattered dress doing little to shield her. After a prolonged silence, a sound emerged, stifled sobs, laden with pain, humiliation, confusion, and a faint sense of release, echoed gently in the quiet chamber. Meanwhile, outside, after issuing his instructions to Li Hu, Li Chang'an did not depart immediately. He stood in the courtyard, his gaze sweeping over the respectful guards, his thoughts shifting as he activated his discerning vision. Name, Li Hu. Loyalty to host, 98, devoted. Loyalty to the Li family, 95, trusted. Name, Li Ernyo. Loyalty to host, 91, trusted. Loyalty to the Li family, 89, reliable. Name, Li Wang. Loyalty to host, 88, reliable. Loyalty to family, 85, reliable. After conducting a thorough investigation, Li Chang'an discovered that Li Hu and the others were indeed quite loyal. Moreover, this eye of insight could even discern others' loyalty to their family, making it easier to differentiate whether individuals were loyal solely to themselves or to the entire family. The distinction is significant. Loyalty to an individual may lead to becoming a trusted confidant, yet the scope remains limited. True candidates for significant responsibilities, who can share both glory and disgrace with the family, are those who are loyal to both the individual and the family. A thought crossed Li Chang'an's mind, and he instructed Li Hu and the others, follow me to the council hall. Yes, master. Li Hu and the others quickly complied. They arrived at the spacious courtyard before the council hall, a place where the Li family deliberated on important matters and conducted significant ceremonies, typically serene and expansive. As Li Chang'an stood firm, his gaze swept across the area, mentally communicating with the system space before casually waving his right hand. In an instant, a colossal black stone tablet, exceeding 3 meters in height and 1 meter in width, materialized out of thin air, exuding an indescribable weight and an ancient aura. It crashed onto the bluestone ground, causing a slight tremor and a swirl of dust. The stone tablet was archaic in design, its surface uneven and etched with indistinct, seemingly naturally formed patterns, resembling a vessel of some profound essence rather than mere text. An overwhelming, weighty aura, reminiscent of primordial times, pervaded the atmosphere, leaving Li Hu and the others momentarily breathless, evoking a sense of reverence within them. "Master, what is this?" Li Hu exclaimed, his eyes wide with astonishment. The other guards exchanged bewildered glances. They had never encountered such a peculiar stone tablet radiating an ancient essence. Nor could they fathom how their master had conjured such a monumental object. Li Chang'an stood with his hands clasped behind his back, gazing at the Jinwu tablet with a hint of satisfaction in his eyes. He turned to Li Hu and the others and explained, "This is the Jinwu tablet, a remarkable artifact. By placing your palm upon its surface and focusing your mind, you can assess your cultivation aptitude and even receive guidance on the appropriate cultivation path." Assessing aptitude? Cultivation path? Upon hearing this, Li Hu and the others gasped in astonishment, overwhelmed by the revelation. The concept of cultivation aptitude had always been enigmatic. Outside of certain prestigious families with specialized methods, ordinary warriors could only vaguely gauge their potential through their training speed and the bottlenecks they encountered. Furthermore, the selection of cultivation techniques was crucial to one's lifelong journey. A misstep could lead to failure, or in severe cases, even to madness. Such a divine artifact exists in the world, capable of providing clear guidance on cultivation paths. This was truly unprecedented. "Master, is this truly the case?" Li Hu's voice trembled, a mix of excitement and disbelief evident in his tone. Li Chang'an offered a serene smile, saying, "Whether it is true or false, we shall soon discover. Li Hu, you may go first." Upon hearing this, Li Hu took a deep breath, suppressing the excitement and apprehension in his heart, and stepped forward with a somewhat heavy gait to stand before the Jinwu monument. Gazing at the ancient black stone tablet emanating an aura of antiquity, his thoughts swirled chaotically. Having practiced martial arts since childhood, his aptitude was considered slightly above average among the Li family guards. Through diligence, a stroke of luck, and the numerous rewards bestowed by the family head, Li Chang'an, he had barely managed to break through to the 7th level of the body-tempering realm. He had always yearned to comprehend the limits of his cultivation and the direction in which he should strive. Now that the opportunity lay before him, he felt a twinge of fear. What if his aptitude was inadequate and disappointed the family head? Seemingly perceiving his hesitation, Li Chang'an spoke gently, "There is no need for anxiety. Regardless of the outcome, you are one of the most trusted individuals in my eyes." Warmth spread through Li Hu's heart, and with a firm nod, he cast aside his doubts, extending his right hand, weathered and calloused from years of wielding a blade, to firmly press against the cool, rough surface of the monument. He closed his eyes, striving to dispel distracting thoughts and focus his spirit on the point of contact. Initially, nothing seemed amiss, but after a few breaths, the Jinwu monument appeared to awaken. The indistinct patterns seemed to shimmer with a faint luminescence, and a gentle, cool energy flowed from Li Hu's palm into his body, swiftly circulating before returning to the monument. Then, at the center of the Jinwu monument, a faint green light flickered to life. Though not dazzling, it was remarkably clear and stable. Simultaneously, the previously indistinct patterns on the surface of the monument rippled like water, gradually revealing 2 lines of clear golden script. 2nd grade low, suitable cultivation path, earth attribute techniques, sword techniques, emphasizing defense and strength. The ancient characters were straightforward and easy to comprehend. Once Li Hu felt the strange sensation in his palm dissipate, he opened his eyes and gazed at the inscriptions on the monument. Upon deciphering the 2nd grade low designation and its accompanying description, he was momentarily stunned before anxiously looking towards Li Chang'an. "Family head, how is my aptitude?" Li Chang'an observed the green light and golden script, his understanding already solidified. According to the information he had received, the Jinwu monument's aptitude assessment was divided into 9 grades, corresponding to the colors white, green, blue, purple, yellow, orange, red, black, and gold. Each major grade further divided into 4 sublevels: low, medium, high, and pinnacle. The 2nd grade low, indicated by the green light, was not considered poor for a place like Qingfeng City. It was important to note that the vast majority of ordinary martial artists might only achieve 1st grade aptitude in their lifetimes. Attaining 2nd grade aptitude with adequate resources and suitable techniques, offered a significant chance of progressing to the qi condensation realm. Li Chang'an nodded in satisfaction and addressed Li Hu. Second grade low is quite commendable. As long as the resources are sufficient and the techniques align well, you have a great chance of advancing to the early stages of the qi condensation realm. The mention of the early stages of qi condensation sent a jolt through Li Hu's entire being. His eyes widened in astonishment, and his voice quivered with exhilaration. Qi condensation. In the entire Li family, there is none. In Qingfeng City, one in the qi condensation realm can certainly command respect. Do I truly have the hope of reaching that level? A tremendous surprise crashed upon Li Hu's soul like a tsunami, leaving him momentarily dazed. He suddenly knelt on one knee, his voice trembling with excitement. Master, I, Li Hu, am unworthy. Your grace is unforgettable. I vow to the heavens that even if one day I achieve the realm of qi condensation, I shall forever be your guardian, the blade of the Li family. I shall never forget my roots. Should I betray this promise, may thunder strike me down and grant me no peace in death. His words were heartfelt and sincere. At that moment, Li Chang'an, with his discerning gaze, observed that Li Hu's loyalty, which had previously stood at a remarkable 98, surged instantly to a perfect 100. Name, Li Hu, loyalty to host, 100, life and death companion. Loyalty to Li family, 96, trusted aid, life and death companion. This signifies the utmost level of loyalty, indicating that even if Li Chang'an commanded him to perish, he would do so without hesitation. Li Chang'an felt a sense of gratification and stepped forward, personally helping Li Hu rise, patting his broad, sturdy shoulders, and smiling. Excellent. With your assistance, what do I have to fear about securing the position of the master? What worries could the Li family possibly have? As he spoke, he concentrated and retrieved a copy of a high-grade martial arts manual he had previously rewarded from the system space. This thick earth-splitting blade is an intermediate-level technique, perfectly suited to your aptitude and direction. Take it and diligently comprehend and cultivate it, striving for an early breakthrough. Li Hu, with trembling hands, reverently accepted the manual emanating a faint earthy glow, an intermediate-level technique. In the entire Qingfeng City, not to mention intermediate level, even lower-grade techniques were coveted treasures among the prominent families. The master had bestowed such a precious martial art upon him directly. Master, this is far too precious. Li Hu exclaimed, his words tumbling forth in excitement. Take it. It is yours, Li Chang'an replied with an irrefutable tone. To cultivate well is the greatest return you can offer me and the Li family. Yes, I shall not disappoint the master's lofty expectations. I would lay down my life without hesitation. Li Hu bowed deeply, clutching the manual tightly to his chest, as if it were the most precious treasure in the world. Soon after, several other guards approached, their hearts racing with a mix of excitement and apprehension, as anticipated by Li Chang'an. Most of their aptitudes ranged between low and high first grade, with only one, named Li'erniu, reaching the pinnacle of first grade, suitable for cultivating fire-based techniques and boxing. Although their talents were generally modest, Li Chang'an was not stingy. Based on their assessed aptitudes, he selected several corresponding manuals from the pile of yellow-grade techniques he had received as rewards and generously bestowed them upon them. These are yellow-grade techniques. While not the pinnacle in quality, they are well suited to your current realms and aptitudes. With diligent cultivation and the right resources, achieving the later stages of body refinement or even higher is not an insurmountable task. As each guard received their martial arts manuals, their faces flushed with excitement. They knelt on one knee, tears of gratitude flowing as they pledged their loyalty. Within Li Chang'an's discerning gaze, their loyalty surged as well, with the lowest reaching 92 and Li'erniu attaining 95. Very well, Li Chang'an nodded in satisfaction. With the Jinwu steel and the bestowed martial arts techniques, the loyalty of this group of early followers was firmly established, solidifying them as the foundational core of his control over the Li family. Li Hu, Li Chang'an commanded. Inform the entire clan that all members present in the clan territory must gather in the conference hall at dawn tomorrow for a family meeting. Everyone who can attend must be there. Those who fail to show without valid reason will face the family's disciplinary measures. This meeting would mark a pivotal step in his formal assertion of authority as the resolute head of the family, aimed at reorganizing the clan and establishing his dominance while planning for the future. Yes, I shall attend to it immediately, Li Hu replied with pride, striding forth with an air of determination. The remaining guards dispersed, some assisting Li Hu with the notifications, while others eagerly sought secluded spots to contemplate the newly acquired martial arts techniques. Only Li Chang'an and the towering Jinwu steel remained in the courtyard. Approaching the steel, he extended his palm towards it, driven by curiosity about the aptitude of his current physique. A subtle luminescence flickered across the steel's surface, and after a brief moment, A gentle, wave-like blue glow emanated from its center, faint yet distinctly recognizable. Simultaneously, inscriptions appeared: third grade low, cultivation direction, unknown, high compatibility. No apparent inclination, Li Chang'an withdrew his hand, stroking his chin thoughtfully. This aptitude was neither exceptionally high nor particularly dismal. Among the younger generation in Qingfeng City, it would likely rank in the upper tier. The most significant aspect was its high compatibility, suggesting that he could cultivate any attribute without substantial hindrance, albeit at the cost of lacking a pronounced talent in any specific area. Never mind, Li Chang'an smiled slightly, undeterred. Given that I possess neither a bloodline nor a unique physique, starting at this point is quite commendable. With the system at my disposal, I shall seek out several exceptional partners, and my aptitude will undoubtedly soar. His confidence in the future was unwavering. After tending to these matters, twilight approached, and Li Chang'an strolled back to his dwelling. Upon entering the courtyard, he noticed Chu Li pacing anxiously, her delicate brows furrowed as she frequently glanced towards the gate. She wore only a thin satin robe, which fluttered in the evening breeze, accentuating her slender form. Li Chang'an hurried towards her, his tone imbued with concern. "Madam, why are you standing in the courtyard? Be careful not to catch a chill." Hearing his voice, Chu Li turned, her expression easing upon seeing Li Chang'an return unscathed. The tension in her brow softened slightly. Upon hearing his concern for her, her cheeks flushed, but worry quickly returned to her features as she stepped closer and lowered her voice. I heard that you killed your second uncle? Was it a public execution?" Li Chang'an nodded, acknowledging the truth of her words. "Indeed. He poisoned me, and the evidence is irrefutable. He deserved his fate." He paused, locking eyes with Chu Li. "You aren't planning to criticize me, are you? Do you think my methods were too harsh, disrupting the natural order?" Chu Li shook her head earnestly. "Your second uncle caused you great suffering, nearly taking your life. He rightfully deserved his punishment. How could I bear to blame you? I am merely concerned for your well-being." She hesitated, her voice softening, tinged with both compassion and worry. "Upon your recovery from a grave illness, executing your own uncle in public, regardless of the validity of your rationale, would undoubtedly tarnish your reputation. You could easily have enlisted Li Hu to carry out the deed, or discreetly handle the matter yourself. It appears that the lady harbors concerns regarding this." Li Chang'an, realizing this, felt a sense of relief wash over him. He had feared that Chu Li might embody the archetype of a naive saint, which would complicate many matters in the future. Chapter 15. The necessity of taking a concubine. Seeing that Chu Li was not an imprudent individual, warmth filled Li Chang'an's heart as he grasped her cool hand and smiled. "Rest assured, my dear wife, I possess clarity of thought. If my life were the only cost, for the greater good, I might endure for a time and seek a more prudent approach. However, the thought that I might have been severed from such an exceptional wife as you is something I cannot tolerate." His words were a blend of jest and sincerity. The original owner's affection for Chu Li, along with his own genuine fondness for this gentle, beautiful, and astute woman, was undeniable. Chu Li was taken aback by his sudden, heartfelt declaration, her cheeks rapidly flushing with a rosy hue as she lightly chastised him. "You are incorrigible." Though her tone was reproachful, the worry that had once clouded her eyes dissipated, replaced by an unmistakable sweetness. Noticing her spirits lift, Li Chang'an took the opportunity to wrap his arm around her slender waist, speaking softly, "The wind is brisk outside. Let us retreat indoors." Chu Li acquiesced with a gentle hum, allowing herself to be embraced as they entered the warmth of the room, where the flickering candlelight danced. As Li Chang'an observed Chu Li's increasingly enchanting profile illuminated by the candlelight, he felt a stirring desire to draw closer. Yet, sensing his intentions, Chu Li playfully swatted away his restless hand, casting him a reproachful glance. "Exercise some restraint. You have only just recovered." Li Chang'an sheepishly withdrew his hand, rubbing his nose, his expression betraying a mix of hesitation and longing. Chu Li, astute as ever, perceived his unspoken thoughts. While pouring him a cup of hot tea, she gently remarked, "We are husband and wife. There is no need for obfuscation. Speak your mind openly." Accepting the teacup, Li Chang'an carefully considered his words before responding delicately, "My dear wife, now that I have regained my health, it is imperative for a man to be vigorous. As the head of the Li family, it is crucial not only to revive our lineage, but also to ensure its continuation through progeny." Chu Li paused, her hand holding the teacup momentarily stilled, her brows instinctively knitting together. She lifted her gaze, her eyes clear and unwavering as she regarded Li Chang'an. "Are you suggesting that you wish to take a concubine?" Unfazed by her directness, Li Chang'an nodded, affirming his intentions. "Indeed, that is my thought. The Li family is not particularly numerous, and my generation is notably sparse. An increase in heirs would allow our lineage to flourish and ensure it is carried forward." Chu Li fell silent, her gaze fixed on the rippling tea within her cup. contemplating for a long moment without uttering a word. The room enveloped in a tranquil stillness, punctuated only by the occasional soft crackle of the candlewick. Li Chang'an made no effort to rush her, simply observing her, awaiting her response. His decision to seek Chu Li's opinion stemmed from both respect and affection for her as his primary wife, as well as a profound understanding of the importance of tranquility within the household. If the matriarch harbored resentment, even the introduction of a concubine would hardly lead to peaceful days. After a considerable pause, Chu Li slowly raised her head. Her expression bore no trace of the disappointment or anger that Li Chang'an had anticipated. Instead, it radiated a subtle, almost translucent serenity. In truth, you needn't have come to inquire about this, she said softly yet distinctly. The continuation of our family's lineage is inherently your duty as the head of the household. Taking a concubine is a matter of course. Even as the main wife, I possess neither the authority nor the inclination to impede such a decision. She hesitated for a moment, her lips seemingly twitching into a faint smile, or perhaps reflecting another emotion altogether. In this world, which capable man does not have multiple wives? The fact that you came to consult me already grants me immense respect and dignity. Li Chang'an took her hand firmly, his tone earnest. You are my legally wedded wife, the beloved of Li Chang'an. Without your consent, I would never dare to act unilaterally. Your feelings are of paramount importance to me. As Chu Li gazed into his eyes, which were devoid of pretense, her tranquil heart appeared to ripple like a still lake disturbed by a stone. Her eyelashes fluttered as she softly asked, Do you truly care so much for my feelings? Absolutely. Li Chang'an replied without hesitation, his voice sincere. To marry a woman as wise, understanding, gentle, and virtuous as you is a fortune I have cultivated over 8 lifetimes. I cherish you deeply and would never disregard your sentiments. Though he had been a solitary man in his past life, his extensive engagement with various romantic strategies and emotional theories lent his words a certain finesse. Yet, at this moment, they brimmed with genuine emotion. Chu Li felt a bittersweet mixture of acidity and sweetness in her heart, her cheeks flushing uncontrollably. She lowered her gaze, avoiding the intensity of Li Chang'an's stare, and murmured, Such flattery, I wonder where you learned it. Yet, despite her words, the slight upward curve of her lips betrayed her current feelings. Observing her shy demeanor, Li Chang'an felt a stirring in his heart. Unable to resist, he drew her gently into his embrace. Chu Li feigned a token struggle before yielding, her flushed face resting against his chest as she listened to the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. The atmosphere grew increasingly intimate. Li Chang'an leaned down to kiss the top of her head, inhaling her delicate fragrance, while his hand began to wander restlessly. Li Chang'an, please, do restrain yourself. Chu Li's voice softened, laced with a plea. However, Li Chang'an, caught up in the moment, was not easily deterred. Under his tender advances, Chu Li soon surrendered, lost in a whirlwind of emotions. Exhausted and languid, Chu Li lay on the couch, nearly devoid of the strength to even move a finger. She glanced at Li Chang'an, who appeared invigorated and seemingly impervious to fatigue, and her heart swelled with a mix of sweetness and embarrassment, tinged with a faint sense of trepidation. This man, having regained his vigor, resembled an insatiable beast. After just 2 days, she found herself overwhelmed. If this continued, she would surely be undone. A concubine must be taken. It is imperative. This necessity was not merely for the sake of preserving the lineage, but also for her own well-being. Should she bear the burden alone, she would surely collapse. Meanwhile, Li Chang'an, after tucking her in, quietly retreated to the meditation chamber to cultivate his skills. Sitting cross-legged, Li Chang'an flipped his right hand, and a pill, pure white and suffused with ethereal spiritual energy, materialized in his grasp. The chi-gathering pill. Such a rare treasure. One would be hard-pressed to find a second within the entirety of Qingfeng City. A faint smile graced Li Chang'an's lips. Produced by the system, it must undoubtedly be a masterpiece. Without a moment's hesitation, he centered his mind and swallowed the chi-gathering pill whole. Soon, a wave of cool and immense medicinal power began to surge from his abdomen. Li Chang'an decisively activated the Azure Sky Dragon transformation technique, refining the potent energy of the chi-gathering pill in pursuit of a breakthrough to the chi condensation realm. Chapter 16. The two elders the following day at dawn. The atmosphere in the Li family's conference hall was tense. The spacious hall, capable of accommodating over 100 individuals, was filled to capacity, with family members seated according to their lineage and status. Yet, it was a rare sight that few dared to engage in conversation. Each person remained silent, their gazes drifting uneasily, occasionally glancing towards the vacant main seat at the head of the hall. Many bore expressions of anxiety, fear, and even a hint of veiled resentment. The bloody scene from the previous day, where Li Chang'an had openly poisoned the Grand Elder Li Jintao, lingered vividly in their minds. This young head of the family demonstrated a ruthlessness and ferocity far beyond their imaginings. Today, with the sudden convening of a family assembly, who could fathom what grand scheme he was plotting? Adding to their unease was the imposing black stone monument that had mysteriously appeared in the courtyard outside the hall. This monument, entirely obsidian, towered over 10 feet high, ancient and imposing, emanating an indescribable aura. It was clearly not the work of an ordinary craftsman. What could the head of the family possibly intend by placing such an object here? As the crowd's anxiety mounted and speculation swirled, a subtle commotion at the entrance of the conference hall drew their attention. Two elderly men, their hair and beards entirely white, with lean faces clad in simple gray robes, entered slowly with the assistance of a younger kin. Upon sighting these two elders, several family members' eyes lit up, as if they had found their anchor, and they rose to their feet, respectfully greeting them. Greetings, Grand Elder. Greetings, Second Elder. The newcomers were indeed the two younger brothers of the Li family's ancestor, Li Chang'an's second uncle, Li Shengzhong, and third uncle, Li Shengyi. These esteemed elders, advanced in age, had long ceased to concern themselves with family affairs, typically residing in the depths of the clan's territory to cultivate their spirits, only emerging during significant family crises or indecisive matters. Despite their high lineage, their martial prowess had stagnated with age. However, their insights and experiences were unparalleled by ordinary clansmen, bestowing upon them considerable prestige within the family. Leaning on a blackwood cane, Li Shengzhong stood tall despite his years. His gaze swept over the various family members, observing their differing expressions, and his brow furrowed slightly. He struck the ground with his cane, producing two resonant thuds. Look at you all, heads drooping, lacking any spirit. Where is the semblance of vigor that a Li family member should possess? Though his voice bore the weight of age, it resonated with authority, imbued with an unspoken power that commanded respect. Under his gaze, many family members instinctively recoiled, unable to meet his eyes. Elderly Yuanmu approached with a pained expression and clasped his hands in a gesture of respect, addressing his second and third uncles. Uncle. It is not that we lack spirit. Rather, our family head has just recovered from a serious illness and seems like a different person. Even second brother is frightened of him. His words resonated with many, eliciting a chorus of low murmurs in agreement. Li Shengyi stroked his snow-white beard, his gaze profound. Yet he remained silent. In contrast, Li Shengzhong maintained a stern demeanor and declared with righteous authority, "What is there to fear? A clear conscience holds no shadows. As long as you are devoted to the family and refrain from treacherous acts against kin, what is there to be afraid of? Surely the family head would not unjustly turn against you." He paused momentarily, then shifted his tone. However, regarding yesterday's incident, the way Chang'an handled it was indeed somewhat inappropriate. After all, it was a matter involving a blood relative, executed publicly. Alas, this will inevitably tarnish the reputation of the Li family. Upon hearing this, many relatives who had previously harbored doubts about the incident nodded in silent agreement, feeling that the Grand Elder had articulated their sentiments. Li Shengzhong and Li Shengyi exchanged a glance, sharing an understanding that only they could grasp, before both took their respective seats at the prepared high positions, closing their eyes to meditate, choosing to speak no further. Li Bunkuin's gaze flickered, though he felt a degree of apprehension towards Li Chang'an's methods. Yesterday's events had made it abundantly clear that his nephew was no ordinary person. At this moment, his curiosity was piqued by the stone tablet in the courtyard. He approached Li Shengzhong's side, slightly bowing in respect, and inquired, Uncle, you both are well versed in such matters. Do you know what that stone tablet in the courtyard is?" Li Shengyi slowly shook his head, indicating his lack of knowledge. However, Li Shengzhong opened his eyes, a glimmer of clarity flashing through his murky gaze. He turned his attention to the massive black stone tablet outside, furrowing his brow in contemplation before slowly speaking. "Years ago, I had the fortune of accompanying your father to the Murong family in Yunlang." The mention of the Murong family startled Li Bunkuin and the others. That esteemed family was renowned within Qingzhou as a fifth-tier lineage, reputed to have a sovereign of the skyward realm among them. For a family like the Li, which could not even attain a ranking, they were an insurmountable behemoth. Li Shengzhong's eyes glimmered with reminiscence as he continued. The Murong family possesses a similar stone tablet, reputedly acquired at great expense from an ancient relic, specifically designed to assess the cultivation aptitude of their descendants. He then shifted his gaze back to the stone tablet in the courtyard, his tone imbued with scrutiny and skepticism. However, the Murong family's spirit-testing tablet radiates brilliance and embodies the essence of the Tao, far surpassing any ordinary object. This one before us appears rather unremarkable. Aside from its ancient aura, it bears no other extraordinary qualities. In my opinion, it is most likely a counterfeit. Upon hearing this, the crowd first expressed astonishment at Li Shengzhong's experience with a fifth-tier family, showering him with admiration. The Grand Elder has indeed visited the Murong family of Yunling. Incredible. That is a fifth-tier family, with a sovereign of the Skyward Realm. Uncle's knowledge is truly vast. Listening to the flattery of the crowd, Li Xingzhong revealed a faint smile of satisfaction, waving his hand in feigned modesty. It was merely a visit to an old acquaintance alongside my elder brother many years ago, where I had the fortune to linger at the outskirts of the Murong residence for a few days. It is nothing remarkable. He paused, seemingly to showcase his knowledge, and added, moreover, the Murong family of Yunling is no ordinary fifth-tier clan. When it comes to alchemy, they hold a prominent reputation throughout the Eastern Wasteland. The clan boasts numerous masters of alchemy, and it is even rumored that a Pill King resides among them. This declaration left the clansmen in awe, their gazes towards Li Xingzhong filled with reverence. The terms fifth-tier clan, renowned for alchemy in the Eastern Wasteland, and Pill King were to them akin to legends. Just as the atmosphere in the hall became more vibrant due to Li Xingzhong's narrative, a clear voice of greeting echoed from the entrance. The patriarch has arrived. In an instant, the noise and discussions within the hall ceased, leaving only the sound of a pin drop. All eyes turned in unison towards the doorway. Li Chang'an, adorned in a dark robe edged with gold, his waist adorned with a sheathed sword, entered with a calm demeanor and steady strides. His complexion was rosy, his gaze profound like an abyss, exuding a composed and restrained aura that contrasted with his decisive presence from the previous day. Following closely behind was Li Hu, his eyes sharp as an eagle, scanning the surroundings vigilantly, his aura of the seventh layer of body refinement unmistakably imposing. Li Chang'an approached the patriarch's seat at the head of the hall, but did not sit immediately. Instead, he turned to face all the clansmen. His gaze swept across the room, capturing the expressions of each individual, while his perceptive vision quietly activated. The loyalty levels of the clansmen began to materialize before his eyes. Approximately 60% displayed a loyalty exceeding 60, indicating subordinate or reliable relationships. Around 30% exhibited loyalty above 50, suggesting they were ambivalent and could potentially oppose him at any moment. What concerned Li Chang'an most were the two esteemed elders seated beside him. Name: Li Xingzhong, loyalty to host, 45, secretly opposed. Loyalty to Li clan, 98. Name: Li Shengyi, loyalty to host, 45, secretly opposed. Loyalty to Li clan, 97. Though their loyalty was only in the 40s. Categorizing them as secretly opposed, their allegiance to the clan remained above 90. This indicated that these two elders were not dissatisfied with the family per se, but rather with Li Chang'an as the patriarch, or perhaps they held reservations regarding his actions from the previous day and potential conduct today. Li Chang'an understood this clearly and was neither surprised nor particularly angered. The older generation tended to be conservative, placing great importance on the family's reputation and outward harmony. Thus, their discontent with his public execution of an uncle was entirely understandable. As long as their hearts remained with the family and they were not betraying it, there was still room for persuasion and change. Please, take your seats, Li Chang'an spoke in a calm tone, his voice resonating clearly in every ear. Thank you, Patriarch. The crowd responded in unison, settling down with careful and synchronized movements. Li Chang'an took his seat at the head of the table, while Li Hu stood respectfully at his side. The atmosphere in the hall grew heavy once more. Without indulging in superfluous words, Li Chang'an calmly surveyed the assembly and addressed the matter at hand. It is evident that everyone is aware of the events of yesterday. As the Grand Elder, Li Jintao plotted against the head of the family, and the evidence against him is irrefutable. I have executed him publicly in accordance with the family laws. His voice was not loud, yet it resonated clearly. I understand that some may perceive my methods as excessively harsh, perhaps even unjust, tarnishing the family's reputation. Li Chang'an paused, his gaze penetrating certain individuals, compelling them to lower their heads instinctively. However, I must assert that in times of chaos, strict measures are necessary. When the family is in disarray, an iron fist is imperative. Against those with such treacherous ambitions, who seek to undermine the very foundation of the Li family, any leniency is a grave irresponsibility. If I were to show mercy today, the Li family might find itself fragmented and devoured by outsiders in the future. His words struck with palpable weight, imbued with a sense of righteous authority. Many clan members, who had harbored doubts about Li Chang'an's methods, began to reconsider, recognizing the validity of his assertions. Li Jintao indeed deserved his fate. Had the head of the family not acted swiftly, the consequences could have been dire. Elders such as Li Bunkuan and Li Yuanmu nodded in agreement, affirming the head's sentiments. Some clan members also voiced their support. The two venerable elders, however, remained with eyes closed, their expressions inscrutable, though their furrowed brows seemed to deepen. Li Chang'an observed the reactions of those present before shifting the focus to today's agenda. The past is now behind us. The family must look forward, must develop, and must thrive. He gestured towards the black stone monument outside the hall. I trust you have all seen it. The monument in the courtyard, known as the Jinwu stele, is an extraordinary artifact. By placing one's palm upon it and focusing one's mind, one can assess their own cultivation aptitude and even receive guidance on the most suitable types of martial arts and cultivation paths. Upon hearing this, the hall erupted in astonishment. Assessing aptitude? Guiding martial arts? Such a miraculous object exists in the world? Many faces displayed disbelief, their gazes drawn towards the seemingly unremarkable black stone monument outside. Filled with shock and curiosity, Li Xingzhong, however, secretly chuckled. While assessing aptitude might be feasible, providing guidance on cultivation direction is something even the Murong family's spirit testing stele from Yunling cannot accomplish. Li Bunkuan could not contain his curiosity and inquired, Chang'an, such a precious artifact that can assess aptitude, where did you acquire it? Moreover, even if we ascertain our aptitudes, the Li family's martial arts heritage is limited, mostly of low-grade quality and diverse in attributes. It seems unlikely we could find a suitable match. This was a concern shared by many. The Li family's martial arts inheritance consists of only a few low-grade techniques, and even if one knows what to practice, lacking appropriate methods renders it futile. Li Chang'an smiled knowingly, suggesting that the origins of this artifact need not be scrutinized. What matters is that from this day forth, under my leadership, the Li family shall grow ever stronger. Our short-term goal is to elevate the Li family to a recognized status, to become a true aristocratic family. To be recognized? To become an aristocracy? This proclamation was like a stone cast into a tranquil lake, stirring up waves of excitement. The Li family, residing in Qingfeng City, is merely a third-rate clan, significantly distant from the esteemed first-tier families. The patriarch's words seem rather lofty, do they not? Yet, Li Hu was the first to raise his arm and exclaim with a booming voice, the patriarch is wise. The Li family shall prosper. His subordinates, who had assessed their qualifications and received martial arts methods, echoed his enthusiasm, shouting, the patriarch is wise. The Li family shall prosper. However, many others, including the two esteemed elders and those who already held skepticism towards Li Chang'an, shook their heads in quiet disbelief, even allowing a barely perceptible smirk to grace their lips. First tier? Such boastfulness. Surely, after establishing his reputation through violence yesterday, he seeks to placate the masses with grand promises today, without tangible benefits. What merit is there in a mere broken stone tablet and empty rhetoric? Li Chang'an observed the crowd's reactions with keen perception, remaining unfazed. Facts speak louder than words. Li Ping'an, he called out directly, a youth, appearing around 17 or 18 years of age and standing behind Li Bunkuan, was momentarily taken aback, pointing to himself in bewilderment. He was Li Bunkuan's second son, known for his low profile within the family. Li Bunkuan gently nudged him, whispering, what are you dawdling for? Go. Realizing the urgency, Li Ping'an stepped forth from the crowd, a hint of nervousness evident as he approached Li Chang'an, bowing respectfully, Patriarch. Go, place your hand upon the Jinwu tablet. Li Chang'an instructed in a calm tone. Taking a deep breath, Li Ping'an walked to the Jinwu tablet under the curious, scrutinizing, and doubtful gazes of the onlookers. He extended his slightly trembling right hand and pressed it against the cold, rough surface of the tablet, closing his eyes. Initially, nothing seemed amiss, but after a few breaths, the Jinwu tablet appeared to awaken. A distinct azure light emanated from its center, not blinding, yet more vibrant than the green light displayed by Li Hu the previous day. Simultaneously, golden ancient characters emerged on the tablet. Intermediate second tier, suitable for cultivation route, earth attribute techniques. An intermediate second tier talent. The venerable elder, Li Xingzhong, who had been meditating with his eyes closed, suddenly opened them, rising with the support of his cane, his face a canvas of astonishment. Chapter 18, A Cold Drench. What does intermediate second tier talent signify? It implies that as long as resources are sufficient and the techniques are appropriate, Li Ping'an holds significant potential to cultivate to the mid-stage of the qi condensation realm. Furthermore, should certain fortuitous opportunities arise, even reaching the late stage of qi condensation is not out of the question. Achieving the qi condensation realm would support a second-tier family, and breaking through to the mid-stage could bring the first-tier family within reach. More importantly, this Jinwu tablet can indeed indicate the cultivation path, surpassing even the Murong family's spirit testing tablet. Truly remarkable. How could Ping'an possess such qualifications? Li Bunkuan was equally astonished and delighted. He had previously known his son to be diligent in cultivation, making commendable progress, yet he had not anticipated such exceptional talent. The hall erupted in a chorus of astonishment. The gazes directed at Li Ping'an filled with envy and incredulity. Intermediate second tier. In the realm of the Li family's younger generation, this was undoubtedly among the elite. As Li Pingyan opened his eyes, the inscriptions on the monument and the azure glow startled and delighted him, causing his cheeks to flush with excitement. A faint smile graced Li Chang'an's face as he signaled to Li Hu. Understanding the cue, Li Hu promptly retrieved a weighty tome, emanating a subtle earthy yellow luminescence from a nearby box that had been prepared in advance, and approached Li Pingyan, presenting it to him. At that moment, Li Chang'an's voice resonated with significance. This is an intermediate-grade Earth attribute cultivation method, the Wu Tu Ju, perfectly suited to your aptitude and direction. Take it and cultivate diligently. Intermediate-grade cultivation method. This revelation not only elicited an uproar, but also overwhelmed the audience with sheer astonishment. If possessing a mid-tier talent was a source of envy, then an intermediate-grade cultivation method was enough to incite frenzy. In the entirety of Qingfeng City, the core ancestral techniques of the three prominent families could scarcely boast of being more than low-grade Earth methods. Yet here was Li Chang'an, casually presenting an intermediate-grade method, one so ideally aligned with the Earth attribute. Li Bunquin trembled with excitement, his beard quivering, and seeing his son still in a daze. He slapped the back of his head. Foolish boy, hurry and thank the family head. Awakening from his reverie, Li Pingyan fell to his knees with a thud, his hands trembling as he accepted the hefty Wu Tu Ju, bowing deeply to Li Chang'an, his voice choked with emotion. Thank you, family head. I, Pingyan, shall dedicate myself to rigorous cultivation and will not fail in honoring your generous gift. I vow to serve you and the Li family with unwavering loyalty. Simultaneously, through the discerning gaze of Li Chang'an, he observed the loyalty metric above Li Pingyan's head soaring like a rocket, leaping from a modest 70 to an impressive 95. Li Bunquin's loyalty also surged, breaking through to 90 from its previous 80. Rise and cultivate earnestly, Li Chang'an said gently. Only then did Li Pingyan, brimming with exhilaration, rise and retreat to his father's side, clutching the method as though it were a priceless treasure, his face alight with uncontainable joy. At this moment, the fervor of everyone present was ignited. Testing aptitude, bestowing matching high-grade cultivation methods. This was not mere promises. These were tangible benefits, visible and graspable. Family head, I wish to be tested too. Family head, let me go next. I have long believed my aptitude to be exceptional. Grant me this opportunity. The crowd erupted with excitement. Many young clan members, and even some middle-aged relatives could no longer contain their eagerness, their eyes alight with desire. Li Chang'an raised his hand to quell the uproar. Silence. Those whose names I call shall step forward in order for testing. He then began to call out names, assessing their loyalty levels through his keen insight. Alongside their usual performances, Li Qingshan, Li Xiulan, Li Zhendong, each named clan member approached with a mix of trepidation and anticipation, brimming with excitement for their test. The light of the Zhenwu monument shone forth in succession, predominantly white, with a few occasionally reaching low-grade mid-tier, eliciting gasps of awe. Regardless of the results, Li Chang'an, based on the testing outcomes, retrieved corresponding cultivation methods from the seemingly ordinary box, presenting them to the individuals. Low-grade, mid-grade, high-grade, and occasionally even intermediate-grade methods emerged. Upon receiving the cultivation techniques, the clansmen were overwhelmed with gratitude, their loyalty to Li Chang'an soaring. The atmosphere in the conference hall shifted from an initial sense of oppression and fear to one of excitement, fervor, and profound respect for Li Chang'an. After more than an hour, over 50 clansmen had completed their assessments and obtained the techniques. Seeing that the time was nearly up, Li Chang'an spoke. All right. We shall conclude for today. What? Is that all? Exclaimed a voice. Master, what about us? We still need to be assessed. I am your cousin. The remaining clansmen, whose names had not been called, grew anxious, their eyes fixated on those who had received the coveted high-level techniques, while they were left empty-handed. They were unwilling to accept their fate and began to plead, their voices tinged with dissatisfaction. Li Chang'an's expression darkened, and with a cold scoff, his gaze swept over the anxious group like a flash of lightning. Do you not understand why it is not your turn? The faces of the clansmen turned pale, and they opened their mouths, but no words emerged. Although they were not necessarily accomplices of Li Jintao, prior to yesterday, they had shown little respect for the ailing Li Chang'an, even secretly wishing for his demise, to see someone else take the position of head of the family, or to seek benefits alongside Li Jintao. They could not fathom how Li Chang'an seemed to see through their past thoughts. The other attendees regarded the anxious clansman with a mix of understanding and disdain. Serves you right. Who told you to show disrespect to the head of the family before? Now you regret it? The two esteemed elders exchanged glances, surprised by Li Chang'an's ability to produce the true martial tablet and such a plethora of techniques, yet they remained composed. After all, the true martial tablet and the techniques were not consumables. They might have been reserved for Li Chang'an by their elder brother. However, the previously silent elder Li Xingyi slowly opened his eyes. He first glanced at the excited clansmen clutching their new techniques, then looked at the despondent group, and finally turned his gaze to Li Chang'an, speaking slowly. Chang'an, your endeavors in assessing talent and distributing techniques are indeed commendable, and I share their joy. Yet, you seem to have overlooked a crucial issue: resources. Our Li family has limited assets, with annual income being quite modest. Previously, the clansmen practiced low-level or even inferior techniques that consumed little resources, but now, with so many high-level techniques bestowed upon them, the resource requirements for their cultivation will multiply by several-fold, if not more. How can the family afford such distribution? His words fell like a bucket of cold water, instantly cooling the clansmen who had been reveling in their newfound techniques, their ecstatic expressions fading. Indeed, no matter how excellent the techniques, they were rendered futile without the necessary resources. The demand for pills and spirit stones would skyrocket for high-level cultivation. Could the family sustain such needs? Li Xingzhong, supporting himself with a cane, also stood up, shaking his head and sighing. Chang'an, your intentions are noble, yet you remain too young, perceiving matters with excessive simplicity. Family governance demands a delicate balance. By recklessly elevating everyone's expectations without providing the corresponding resources, you only exacerbate tensions among kin due to unequal resource distribution, thereby undermining family unity and potentially igniting new internal strife. The atmosphere in the hall grew heavy once more, even more oppressive than before. All eyes turned toward Li Chang'an, eager to witness how this young patriarch would respond to the inquiries posed by the two esteemed elders. Did he truly possess nothing but fleeting zeal, incapable of addressing the fundamental issues of familial development? In the midst of this suffocating silence, Li Chang'an suddenly broke into a light-hearted smile. Resources? He rose slowly, casting his gaze across the assembly before finally resting it upon the two elders, his tone calm and confident. You need not concern yourselves with the matter of resources. Since I dare to present these techniques, I naturally possess a means to resolve the resource issue. Oh, what means do you possess? Li Xingzhong furrowed his brow, clearly skeptical. Resources are tangible consumables, not like the Jinwu steel or techniques that are merely legacies. Li Xingyi also scrutinized Li Chang'an, awaiting his elaboration. Just as Li Chang'an was about to speak, a flurry of hurried footsteps and panicked voices erupted from outside the council chamber. Patriarch, esteemed elders, trouble has arisen. Our small spirit mine in Xianxia has been forcibly seized by the Xiao family. Several of our kin who remained behind have been injured, and the miners have been driven away. The Xiao family has declared that from now on, that spirit mine belongs to them. A disheveled servant of the Li family, covered in dirt and bearing a few wounds, stumbled in, collapsing to the ground in a heap. His voice trembled with anguish and fear. What? The spirit mine in Xianxia has been taken by the Xiao family. This is intolerable. The news struck the assembly like thunder, reverberating through the council chamber. The spirit mine in Xianxia is one of the Li family's most vital enterprises. Although its yield is not particularly high, it serves as a crucial source of income and some cultivation resources. Losing it would drastically diminish the family's revenue, exacerbating an already strained resource situation. The Xiao family, their audacity knows no bounds. Each year, we provide a portion of spirit stones to the Xiao family. How dare they openly breach our agreement? This is disastrous. Our resources will be even more insufficient. Panic, anger, and despair erupted among the kin, emotions swirling chaotically. Just moments ago, they had rejoiced at the prospect of acquiring advanced techniques, only to now face the crisis of losing their means of survival, the stark contrast leaving many bewildered. Li Xingzhong's face turned ashen as he gazed at Li Chang'an, his voice heavy with gravity. Chang'an, do you see? This is reality. Family enterprises may be coveted and plundered at any moment. Previously, these external disputes were mostly handled by your second uncle. Now that he is gone, can you shoulder this burden? His words bore an implicit accusation and challenge. The other kin also turned their complex gazes toward Li Chang'an, curious to observe the young patriarch, who has just unveiled a mysterious prowess and a generous demeanor. As he confronts external provocations and a crisis of resources, will he retreat, or does he possess a stratagem? Is he merely bold within his own domain, or can he also assert himself against adversaries? Under the watchful gaze of all present, the smile upon Li Chang'an's face not only remained intact, but grew more pronounced, albeit tinged with a chilling malice. The Xiao family dares to seize my Li family's minds? He repeated this statement slowly, his voice moderate, yet silencing the hall in an instant. Bold indeed. Initially, he had contemplated employing subtle tactics to reclaim resources from several rival families. Yet before he could act, one family had already taken the initiative. Thus, it was decided that the Xiao family would bear the brunt of his wrath. He turned his gaze to Li Hu, speaking in a grave tone. Li Hu, assemble our forces. We shall proceed to Chunyuan town. Li Hu, invigorated by the command, responded with a thunderous affirmation. Yes, master. Li Chang'an then addressed the assembly with a confident declaration. Rest assured, the possessions of the Li family are not for the taking. With that, he spoke no further, striding purposefully towards the exit, his robes trailing behind him like a gust of wind. Li Hu promptly selected 3 of the most formidable and loyal guards, hastening to follow suit. As they beheld Li Chang'an's resolute and menacing departure, the onlookers momentarily found themselves at a loss. Is he truly rushing headlong into danger? Might this be an act of recklessness? The Xiao family is a second-tier clan, with a formidable ancestor in the Qi condensation realm, a foundation far beyond that of the Li family. Li Xingzhong, observing the direction in which Li Chang'an had departed, deepened the furrows on his brow, gradually returning to his seat and shaking his head, his tone imbued with disappointment and a sigh. The youth remains too impulsive. Li Chang'an's intention to consolidate loyalty through the assessment of innate talent and the distribution of cultivation methods is inherently unstable. Once these individuals comprehend their own gifts and acquire corresponding techniques, their desire for cultivation resources will only intensify. It would be ideal to provide them with resources, however. If that proves unfeasible, or if they are unable to retain their existing resources as is the case now, their resentment towards Li Chang'an may only escalate, perceiving him as a squanderer of their potential, extinguishing the hope he once ignited. The human heart is the most elusive and easily swayed. As Li Xingzhong contemplated, the clan members who had recently acquired the techniques gazed at their manuals, reflecting upon the seized spirit minds and the bleak prospects of resources. The joy that once illuminated their faces had evaporated, replaced by profound worry and a flicker of doubt regarding Li Chang'an's capabilities. What use is there in possessing techniques without resources? Everything becomes mere rhetoric. Moreover, with the spirit minds pilfered by the Xiao family, can such a brash approach yield a resolution? If negotiations fail, or worse, if they provoke the Xiao family, would that not worsen the plight of the Li family? One can only hope that the Xiao family seeks merely to extract a toll from us, rather than genuinely wishing to assimilate us, otherwise. In that moment, the atmosphere in the conference hall turned somber, hearts wavering. Only Li Bunkuan snorted in disdain, feeling disheartened by the indecisiveness of his kin. In times of peril, should the burden rest solely upon the patriarch? Pinyin, gather the men. We shall accompany the patriarch. Meanwhile, Li Chang'an, accompanied by Li Hu and 3 guards, galloped out of the Li residence, heading swiftly towards Chun Yuan town beyond the city. Although Li Hu was straightforward in nature, he was far from foolish. As he rode closely behind Li Chang'an, he could not help but voice his concerns. Master, do you not think your actions in the hall were rather hasty? Now that the clan members are aware of their innate talents and have acquired advanced techniques, their desire for resources will undoubtedly peak. If we fail to secure the spiritual mind this time, or if any mishap occurs, it could very well backfire. His genuine worry for Li Chang'an was evident. Li Chang'an smiled knowingly, without turning his head, replied, Li Hu, you are correct. Now that they are aware of their capabilities and possess techniques, it is only natural that they will heed the one who can provide them with resources. He paused, his tone suddenly turning cold, imbued with a sense of disdainful confidence. As for resources, I may not be able to compete with the 3 major families for the moment, but can I not outmaneuver the mere Xiao family? Li Hu was momentarily taken aback, wishing to inquire further about his master's unwavering confidence, especially given that the Xiao family possessed a practitioner at the Qi condensation realm. Just then, a powerful and unmatched aura suddenly surged from Li Chang'an. The aura was profound and concentrated, like a rushing river, yet as stable as a mountain, far surpassing the body refinement realm. It was unmistakably the Qi condensation realm. Chapter 20, Spiritual Pulse, Qi condensation realm. Li Hu and the 3 guards abruptly reined in their horses, their steeds whinnying in surprise as disbelief etched across their faces. The formidable aura, as solid as a mountain and as fluid as a river, could only belong to a strong practitioner at the Qi condensation level. Master, have you broken through? Li Hu's voice trembled, his eyes bursting with fervent light. Li Chang'an rode ahead without looking back, merely responding with a casual hum. Yet this understated acknowledgement stirred tumultuous waves of emotion within Li Hu and the others. No wonder the master exuded such confidence and composure. In a family, the emergence of a single Qi condensation practitioner could elevate the entire clan to the ranks of the 2nd tier in Qingfeng City. And the master, at merely 20 years old, a 20-year-old at the Qi condensation realm, what an extraordinary concept. Among the youth of Qingfeng City, he was undoubtedly a top-tier genius with limitless potential. Leading the Li family into prominence was no idle boast. Ha! Li Hu laughed heartily, his exuberant laughter echoing along the official road. Master, the Xiao family has truly met their match this time. They could never have imagined that our Li family has a Qi condensation practitioner in its midst. The three guards behind him were equally exhilarated, their faces flushed with excitement, gazing at Li Chang'an's silhouette with fervor and reverence. Li Chang'an silently reigned in his aura, as if the awe-inspiring presence from moments ago had merely been an illusion. Just then, the sound of urgent hooves approached from behind. Turning to look, Li Chang'an saw Li Bunquan and Li Ping'an, accompanied by over a dozen capable members of the Li family, galloping towards him. "Third uncle, what brings you here?" Li Chang'an asked, halting his horse. Li Bunquan rode closer, catching his breath, and explained, "Chang'an, the Xiao family is formidable. I could not rest easy knowing you were going alone." Li Chang'an felt a stir in his heart. At this moment, it seemed that only his third uncle genuinely regarded him with the concern of both kinship and leadership. He clasped his hands and said, "Thank you, Uncle San." Li Ping'an, standing aside, scoffed, "Those people in the clan are truly despicable. My cousin offered to assess their qualifications and distribute the martial arts techniques. Yet they spoke rudely to him just because the issue of resources remains unresolved. They are excessively self-serving." Ping'an, Li Bunquan shot a glare at his son, signaling him to remain silent. However, Li Chang'an shook his head, his tone calm, yet laced with a hint of coldness. "Uncle, I am well aware of the character of those in our clan. I harbor no expectations of them assisting me significantly in the future. I only hope they do not hinder my progress or undermine my efforts." Upon hearing this, Li Bunquan felt a renewed sense of admiration for his nephew's transformation and resolute demeanor. He proposed, "Chang'an, let us first allow Uncle San to negotiate with the people of the Xiao family. If we can resolve this peacefully, it would be for the best." Li Chang'an understood that his uncle was concerned about his youthful impetuosity and the safety of the family, so he nodded in agreement. Very well. Yet, he had an ominous premonition that today's matters would likely not conclude amicably. That afternoon, in the northern part of Chunyu town, at a small spirit mine, besides several makeshift shelters, over 20 guards from the Xiao family were gathered, laughing and joking. At the entrance of the mine, the flag that once belonged to the Li family had been rudely torn down and replaced with the Xiao family's insignia. Upon seeing Li Chang'an and his group approach on horseback, the Xiao guards rose and gathered at the mine's entrance, their faces adorned with mockery and disdain. The leader of the guards, a burly middle-aged man with a face full of flesh, bore an 8th-level cultivation in body refinement. He squinted as he surveyed the newcomers, and when he caught sight of Li Chang'an at the forefront, a flicker of surprise crossed his eyes, quickly replaced by a feigned courtesy as he clasped his hands. "Oh, isn't this the head of the Li family? Congratulations on your recovery from a serious illness." His tone dripped with sarcasm, unmistakably evident. Li Bunquan advanced on horseback, his expression stern, and directly addressed the leader. "Why has your Xiao family seized our Li family's spirit mine? Earlier this year, we made a payment as per our agreement. Are you intending to brazenly breach that contract?" The guard captain scoffed, crossing his arms. "Agreement? That's ancient history. My family's young lady is to marry into the Zhao family at the end of the month, and the clan leader has declared that the spirit mine in Chunyu town is part of her dowry. It must be acquired from your Li family." He cast a sideways glance at Li Bunquan, his tone one of boastfulness and disdain. "Your Li family contributes so little in spirit stones each year. What gives you the right to possess such a mine? In my opinion, either hand over the mine or pay an additional 30,000 spirit stones, or else." "Or else what?" A calm voice interrupted him. Li Chang'an advanced, his gaze sweeping over the mine's entrance, seemingly casually glancing at the ground beneath him, but in truth, he was releasing his spiritual sense into the underground. In an instant, a faint yet persistent wave of spiritual energy returned through his perception. It was not the scattered energy typical of a spirit mine, but rather a concentrated flow akin to a stream, resonating with purity, a sign of a spiritual vein. Indeed, there was a spiritual vein here. Though it was merely a low-tier vein with moderate spiritual energy concentration, its continuity was remarkable. If this were to be brought back to the Li family estate, it could enrich the family's earthly spiritual energy by at least 5-fold. Not to mention, it would support not only the cultivation of a third-rate family's members, but would also incite envy from first-rate families. The Xiao family was clearly not after the mine alone. Clearly, they have uncovered the spiritual vein beneath the mine. Under the pretext of the young lady's marriage, they intend to claim the vein for themselves. What a clever ploy to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Li Chang'an coldly scoffed inwardly, yet his expression remained inscrutable, a playful smile curling at the corners of his lips. "Dowry? I wonder, when did your esteemed young lady's dowry necessitate seizing another's property to supplement it?" The captain of the guards darkened his expression, stating, "That is none of your concern. The mine now belongs to the Xiao family. Pay up or be gone." Li Chang'an shook his head, his gaze suddenly sharpened, piercing like 2 daggers aimed directly at the captain. "Your Xiao family's ambition to seize the mine is likely not merely for the sake of the ore, but rather for the spiritual vein hidden beneath, is it? What? The captain of the guards trembled, his face paling instantly, pupils constricting as though he had seen a ghost. The matter of the spiritual vein was a closely guarded secret among the upper echelons of the Xiao family. Only the clan leader, the ancestors, and a select few core members were privy to this knowledge. Among the guards, only he, the captain, was informed. How could Li Chang'an know this? How could a mere puppet lord, just recovered from a serious illness, possibly discern the Xiao family's clandestine plans? Could there be a traitor? The captain's uncharacteristic behavior and his instinctive glance back at his subordinates were swiftly noted by Li Bunquan, Li Hu, and others. Li Bunquan was taken aback, incredulously gazing in the direction of the mine. A spiritual vein below? Li Chang'an nodded slightly, his tone calm, yet imbued with undeniable certainty. Indeed, it is a low-grade spiritual vein. While not top-tier, it is stable enough to support our Li family's short-term development. The Xiao family, under the guise of the young lady's marriage, sought to seize the mine, ostensibly for dowry, but in reality aimed to monopolize this spiritual vein and secretly strengthen their own foundation. Upon hearing this, the Li family members erupted in a frenzy. No wonder the Xiao family dared to openly breach the agreement and audaciously demanded 30,000 spirit stones. A small-scale spiritual mine may not warrant a breach of contract. Yet a spiritual vein could incite a rift between two first-rate families. Chapter 21. The disparity of strength should the Xiao family succeed. Not only would the Li family lose a vital resource, but the Xiao family would also rise swiftly with the power of the spiritual vein, leaving no place for the Li family in Qingfeng City in the future. What a treacherous scheme from the Xiao family. Li Bunquan trembled with rage. Had it not been for the clan leader's keen insight into the truth, he might have genuinely considered yielding, especially since the Xiao family even invoked the Zhao family. Now, however, the thought of compromise had entirely vanished, leaving only resolute determination in his eyes. Today, we shall reclaim this mine, even if it costs us our lives. Li Hu was equally eager for action. The importance of a spiritual vein to a family is self-evident, especially since this vein rightfully belonged to the Li family. This battle must be won. The guards of the Xiao family, though unaware of the intricacies of the spiritual vein, recognized the captain's ashen complexion and the Li family's fierce demeanor, deducing that the matter was likely true and of great significance. Should they allow the Li family to reclaim the spiritual mine, they would surely face dire consequences. The captain of the guards forced himself to regain composure and, with a voice laden with false bravado, barked, "Li Chang'an, cease your nonsense. There is no spiritual vein in this mine. Should you continue to slander, do not blame me for being unkind." He was not so much afraid of the Li family as he was concerned about the potential leakage of information regarding the spiritual veins, which could lead to the Xiao family being ousted. As the captain of the guard spoke, his right hand gripped the hilt of his sword, attempting to intimidate the opponent with sheer force. "You wish to silence me?" Li Chang'an's lips curled into a sardonic smile, his gaze sweeping over all the guards of the Xiao family, his tone suddenly turning frigid. "Even without the spiritual veins, what belongs to the Li family is not something you can simply seize. Today, you must return the mine and compensate for the injured, or I shall not hesitate to eradicate the Xiao family. With your frail form, you dare to speak of extinguishing the Xiao family? You are simply courting death." The captain of the guards, thoroughly enraged, could no longer restrain himself and lunged at Li Chang'an with his sword drawn. Die! The aura of the 8th level of body refinement erupted, the blade slicing through the air towards Li Chang'an's face. Yet, Li Chang'an merely sat calmly on his steed, not even lifting his eyelids. At the moment the blade was about to reach him, a formidable surge of spiritual energy erupted from his body, akin to a mountain pressing down, instantly shattering the captain's imposing presence. With a cough, the captain spat out a mouthful of blood, his body flying backward like a kite with its string cut. He landed heavily on the ground, struggling to rise, his eyes filled with sheer terror. Consolidation of Qi. The Li family actually possesses a consolidation of Qi practitioner, and at that, one who is merely 20 years old. Not only the captain of the Xiao family guards, but even Li Bunquan and Li Ping'an wore expressions of shock. The head of the family has broken through to the consolidation of Qi. He was only at the 9th level of body refinement yesterday, yet has managed to break through overnight. Who would dare to believe it if they had not witnessed it with their own eyes? This is truly extraordinary. With your motley crew, do you think you can seize the Li family's mine? Li Chang'an leaped down from his horse, standing with his hands clasped behind his back, his gaze icy as he surveyed the terrified Xiao family guards. "It is time for your master to come forth." As his words fell, a somewhat eerie laughter echoed from the depths of the mine. "Hee, Li Chang'an, head of the Li family. I did not expect you not only to survive, but to have broken through to the consolidation of Qi. The Li family certainly harbors its secrets." With the voice, A young man clad in a blue brocade robe, around 25 or 26 years of age, stepped forth from the depths of the mine. With each step he took, his aura grew increasingly oppressive, reaching a terrifying level as he approached the crowd. Consolidation of qi? Li Bunkuan's voice trembled, his face a mask of astonishment. Did not the Shao family only have one consolidation of qi practitioner? Why is there another, and so young? The Shao family, it seemed, also concealed profound depths. Greetings, young master. The Shao family guards knelt in respectful homage, their expressions a blend of reverence and fervor. This young man in blue was none other than Xiao Yan, the eldest son of the Shao family. In Qingfeng City, if Li Chang'an was widely regarded as a frail waste, then Xiao Yan was known as the notorious playboy. He squandered his days in the brothels and taverns, a counterexample to the teachings of noble families. Yet, who could have imagined that all of this was a ruse? Xiao Yan was, in fact, the pride of the Shao family, a strategy devised to confound rival families. After all, who would bother dealing with a destined wastrel heir? One could only hope he would succeed the family head and bring ruin to the entire Shao clan. The qi condensation realm? A faint smirk graced Li Chang'an's lips. Quite intriguing. Xiao Yan stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his demeanor haughty. Li Chang'an, you are already condemned for knowing the secret of this land's spiritual veins. Now that you have uncovered my secret, your fate is sealed. His fingers slowly traced an arc, encompassing the members of the Li family. You all shall perish. Li Chang'an remained unfazed. Do you truly believe you possess the ability to kill me? A light chuckle escaped Xiao Yan's lips. I can only say that even within the qi condensation realm, there exists disparity. Boom. Before his words faded, a torrent of spiritual energy erupted from within him, his aura surging to the peak of the early stage of the qi condensation realm, the third level of qi condensation. Xiao Yan's gaze was disdainful. Li Chang'an, you are merely at the first level of qi condensation, are you not? Today, allow me to demonstrate what true power entails. No sooner had he spoken than Xiao Yan's figure surged forward, launching a punch at Li Chang'an. As the wind from his fist howled, spiritual energy coalesced into a dark rhinoceros phantom above his fist, fierce and menacing, embodying the might to shatter mountains and split stones. Chang'an, be careful. It's the Shao family's black rhinoceros fist. Li Bunkuan shouted urgently. The black rhinoceros fist, a top-tier yellow-grade martial art, is renowned for its sheer ferocity. When mastered, it can manifest the phantom of a black rhinoceros, wielding extraordinary power. Should this punch connect, even a cultivator of the same level at the third stage of qi condensation would meet grave injury or death. However, Li Chang'an merely scoffed, channeling spiritual energy into his right palm without employing any martial technique, simply extending his hand in a horizontal thrust. Roar! In an instant, the force of his palm surged forth, faintly resonating with the sound of a dragon's roar. Bang! The fist and palm collided. Crack! A sharp sound of bones fracturing echoed. Xiao Yan's right arm twisted and deformed at a visible rate, his body sent hurtling backward as he spewed blood from his mouth. My arm! Xiao Yan collapsed to the ground, clutching his severed limb, his face contorted in agony and shock. A profound silence enveloped the arena. All present were left speechless. The first level of qi condensation against the third level, without the use of martial techniques, countering a top-tier yellow-grade martial art with a mere palm strike, resulting in the destruction of an arm. This was entirely beyond reason. In martial cultivation, the gap between realms is akin to a chasm, even if only a minor level apart. To challenge beyond one's realm is already the mark of a genius. To surpass 2 levels and win so effortlessly, what kind of monster is Li Chang'an? This is what true disparity in strength looks like. Chapter 22. Cast a long line to catch a big fish. What kind of cultivation technique are you practicing that grants you such overwhelming spiritual energy? Xiao Yan gritted his teeth against the pain, his gaze towards Li Chang'an filled with trepidation. As the eldest son of the Shao family, a foremost prodigy, he trained in a low-grade profound technique, his spiritual energy indeed substantial. Yet, the magnitude of Li Chang'an's energy far surpassed his, reaching an unfathomable level. Even a top-grade profound technique might not achieve such feats. It is highly likely that it exceeds the realm of earthly-grade techniques. You are not worthy to know. Li Chang'an stood composed, as if he had merely swatted away a fly. Li Hu, present. Apart from Xiao Yan, let every last one of them be dealt with. Yes. Li Hu exclaimed, filled with fervor, drawing his sword and shouting, Brothers, follow me into battle. Kill. The guards of the Li family, having bottled up their frustrations, surged forward with unbridled enthusiasm, roaring as they charged. In stark contrast, the Shao family side lay in disarray. Their captain had fallen grievously injured. The eldest son Xiao Yan had been rendered powerless in a single blow, and the remaining guards, bereft of leadership, were paralyzed by fear, utterly devoid of fighting spirit. In an instant, their ranks crumbled, and the air was filled with anguished cries. Witnessing this, Xiaoyan's heart sank into despair. Li Chang'an, I shall return this spiritual mind to your family, and the matter of the spiritual vein shall remain confidential. Let me go. He struggled to rise, his voice trembling. Li Chang'an chuckled. Xiaoyan, are you truly foolish or merely pretending? Given the current circumstances, do you think the spiritual mind still requires your return? Even if I were to slay you, the Xiao family would not be so foolish as to leak the secret. Why should I be concerned? Xiaoyan shuddered, collapsing to his knees, fervently bowing his head. Li Chang'an, no, Master Li, spare my life. I beseech you, I only seek to survive. I will do anything you ask. His promising future could not end here. Then, I invite you, young Master Xiao, to accompany me back to the Li family, Li Chang'an said, his eyes narrowing slightly. To the Li family? Xiaoyan was momentarily taken aback, uncertain of the implication. Li Bunquan furrowed his brow. Chang'an, are you suggesting? Li Chang'an's lips curled into a mischievous smile. This Xiaoyan possessed considerable talent. Were it not for the grave significance of the spiritual vein, he likely would not have emerged from hiding. Rather than slay him, it would be wiser to capture him as leverage. The Xiao family would undoubtedly come to negotiate his release. He paused, his tone laced with intrigue. When the time comes, the ransom we demand will surely depend on the whims of the Li family. Initially taken aback, Li Bunquan soon found himself chuckling as well. Excellent. The Xiao family has oppressed the Li family for far too long. It is high time they pay a hefty price. Yet, as laughter filled the air, Li Bunquan's expression suddenly turned serious. Chang'an, the Xiao family's daughter is set to marry into the Zhao family at the end of the month. If we mishandle this, the Zhao family may very well intervene personally. A glint of coldness flashed in Li Chang'an's eyes. What I desire is precisely for the Zhao family to take the field. Not to mention, they would never dispatch their elite for the sake of a mere Xiao family member. Even if they did, I would not fear them. Li Bunquan's heart raced, instantly grasping Li Chang'an's intentions. This was a long-term strategy to ensnare a larger prize. But was it not too reckless? The Zhao family, after all, was one of the three prominent families of Qingfeng City, a first-rate force with powerful guardians. Although Li Chang'an had broken through to the condensation realm and possessed formidable strength, it paled in comparison to the vast might of the Zhao family. Nevertheless, Li Bunquan refrained from further inquiry. The current Li Chang'an was a mystery he could no longer fathom. I understand, Li Bunquan nodded solemnly. Li Chang'an ceased further discussion, stepping before Xiaoyan. Placing his right hand, fingers splayed, upon his dantian, a surge of pure and overwhelming spiritual energy coursed through, manifesting as invisible chains that sealed all of Xiaoyan's primary meridians. Xiaoyan let out a muffled groan, feeling his spiritual energy stagnate. Unable to muster even a fraction of strength, unless someone were to break the seal, he would remain incapacitated forever. Li Chang'an withdrew his hand and instructed Li Hu. Find a chain and secure him well. Yes. Li Hu grinned widely and promptly fetched a heavy iron chain, securing the pallid Xiaoyan tightly. You will remain here to clear the battlefield and take control of the mine. Li Chang'an glanced into the depths of the cave, a flicker of anticipation flashing in his eyes. I shall explore below. At his words, everyone's spirits surged, excitement gleaming in their eyes. Beneath the mine lay a spiritual vein, a celestial treasure capable of altering the fate of an entire clan. Without further ado, Li Chang'an vanished into the depths of the cave. The dimly lit tunnel wound downward, the air thick with the mingling sense of earth and spiritual energy. The deeper he ventured, the more distinct the pure aura of the spiritual vein became. Before long, he reached the end of the mine, where clear signs of excavation were evident, with fresh pickaxe marks etched into the rock walls. Li Chang'an expanded his consciousness to probe the source of the spiritual energy, which was indeed not far below. It was concealed quite deeply. With a thought, the celestial sword within his dantian hummed to life, hovering before him. The holy sword's edge was restrained, yet radiated an innate sharpness capable of cleaving through all. Gripping the hilt, he began to carve. Utilizing the sacred sword as a pickaxe would surely astonish ancient powers, perhaps even rousing them from their slumber. However, there was no time for hesitation now. Channeling his spiritual energy, the sword's tip effortlessly penetrated the rock layers, cleaving through the hard stone as if it were mere tofu. In less than the time it takes for a stick of incense to burn, a downward passage was carved out. As he descended, the space opened up into a naturally formed cavern, large enough to accommodate 10 people. In the center of the cave, a milky white stream of spiritual energy flowed gently, seeping from one side of the rock wall and disappearing into the ground on the other side. The aura around the stream coalesced into a mist, invigorating him with each breath, his pores expanding in delight. It was indeed a spiritual vein. Although it was of a lower grade, its stability and enduring purity were unparalleled. With this, the rise of the Li family was truly anchored. Li Chang'an smiled knowingly, retracting the celestial sword into his dantian. He approached cautiously, placing his hands lightly on either end of the spiritual vein. The spiritual energy enveloped the vein like fine threads, gently extracting it from the rock. The moment the vein began to rise, the concentration of spiritual energy in the cavern plummeted, yet the milky stream flowed obediently in his grasp, exuding a refreshing aura. It was accomplished. Li Chang'an did not linger, swiftly ascending. Chapter 23. This matter, I shall oversee on the surface, Li Bunkoan and others awaited anxiously. Upon witnessing Li Chang'an emerge from the mine, cradling a milky light in his hands, their eyes sparkled with astonishment. Chang'an, is this truly the spiritual vein? Li Bunkoan's voice trembled with emotion. As Li Chang'an approached, the rich, pure spiritual energy washed over them, invigorating their spirits and prompting their internal cultivation to accelerate. A spiritual vein. It was indeed a spiritual vein. Heaven blessed the Li family. Li Hu and the other guards were flushed with excitement. Though their experiences were limited, they understood the significance of a spiritual vein, a treasure capable of transforming a faction's fortunes. Tears streamed down Li Bunkoan's face. A treasure that even first-rate families may not possess lies beneath the Li family mine in Chang'an. With this spiritual vein, the doubts within the clan shall surely dissipate. Li Chang'an handed over the spiritual vein and instructed, Third Uncle, upon returning to the estate. Please find a suitable place in the central area of the family to bury it. This matter is of utmost importance, and I trust you completely. Furthermore, the existence of this spiritual vein should remain a secret from the rest of the clan for the time being. Li Bunkoan, trembling as he accepted the spiritual vein, felt the vast aura contained within it. Hearing Li Chang'an's words of trust ignited a fervor within his heart. Rest assured, Chang'an, even at the cost of my life, I shall protect the spiritual vein and its secret. This immense trust caused his loyalty rating to surge from 90 to 95, an unwavering dedication. At that moment, the miners who had previously scattered began to return, seeing the sun dipping in the west. Li Chang'an ordered the group to rest for the night in Chunyu town before continuing their journey home the following day. The horse team proceeded grandly towards Chunyu town. The Li family owned properties in Chunyu town, and thus had their own villa. Though not extravagant, it was tidy and spacious. As the convoy traversed the main street of the townsfolk moved aside, their gazes towards the Li family filled with respect and curiosity. Suddenly, an unexpected incident occurred. A young girl clad in white mourning attire dashed out from an alley, panic-stricken, and was on the verge of colliding with Li Hu's horse. Be careful. Li Chang'an, like a specter, swiftly rushed forth and caught the girl in his embrace, executing a graceful spin that allowed them to land safely. The girl, still in shock, looked up, and they both froze momentarily. It's you, young Master Li? This girl in white mourning attire was none other than the younger sister from yesterday's pair of sisters. Lu Shiyun. Her small face was pale, her eyes swollen and red from crying, and her mourning clothes accentuated her pitiful appearance. Before Li Chang'an could inquire further, 3 burly ruffians burst forth from the alley, pointing at Lu Shiyun and shouting angrily, There! Quickly capture her. Upon hearing this, Lu Shiyun trembled, instinctively clutching Li Chang'an's sleeve and pleading with tear-filled eyes, Young master, please save me. Although Li Chang'an was unaware of the circumstances, he instinctively shielded her behind him, casting a cold glare at the ruffians. Why are you pursuing her? Mind your own business. Get lost. The leading ruffian, with a brutish face, waved his hand impatiently. Li Hu stepped forward, his voice stern. How dare you? Do you know who this young master is? Who? The ruffian sneered, sizing them up. The head of the Li family in Qingfeng City. The 3 ruffians exchanged glances and then burst into laughter. The head of the Li family? Ha ha. What great power you claim to have. The ruffian leader, pointing at himself with arrogance, continued. But do you know who my master is? Oh, who is it? Li Chang'an raised an eyebrow. Listen closely. The ruffian cleared his throat, enunciating each word. My master is Zhao Hui, of the Zhao family in Qingfeng City. Zhao family. Zhao Hui. Li Bunkoan's expression changed drastically, and he quickly dismounted to join Li Chang'an's side, whispering, Chang'an, if my memory serves me correctly, Zhao Hui is the direct grandson of the second master of the Zhao family. Though he is a collateral branch, he holds significant status within the Zhao family. Li Chang'an furrowed his brow slightly. Indeed, the direct grandson of the Zhao family's second master was no insignificant character. Upon observing the changing expressions of the Li family, the 3 ruffians swelled with arrogance. Are you frightened? If so, be gone swiftly and do not meddle. In this day and age, it seems even the most insignificant dare to emerge as heroes. The Li family head? I've never even heard of them. I assumed they were some scion of a prestigious clan. The Li family glared furiously, yet they could only suppress their anger. The Zhao family, after all, was one of the three great families of Qingfeng City, a behemoth guarded by formidable practitioners of the Qi realm. Nevertheless, Li Chang'an did not yield. Not to mention that the system had strongly advised him to capture the pair of sisters. He was also unwilling to allow these dutiful and kind-hearted young women to be bullied. He fixed his gaze on the three ruffians, his voice calm, yet laced with frost. I shall ask one last time, why have you captured her? Who do you think you are? Why should I explain anything to you? The ruffian spat contemptuously and reached out to seize Lu Shiyun. Li Hu, kill. Li Chang'an wasted no time, issuing a chilling command. Yes. Li Hu could no longer contain himself. Upon hearing the order, he drew his long blade, its cold gleam flashing. Thud, thud, thud. 3 heads tumbled to the ground. Blood splattering. The street fell into a profound silence. The onlookers stared in shock, then scattered in panic. If they dared to kill someone from the Zhao family, these men were doomed. Yet, Li Chang'an remained unfazed, lowering his gaze to Lu Shiyun in his arms. Where is your sister? Has she been taken by them? Tears streamed down Lu Shiyun's face as she nodded vigorously. Young master, I beg you to save my sister. She has been taken to the Baiwazu by that villain surnamed Zhao. Baiwazu? A chill flickered in Li Chang'an's eyes. Qingfeng City also had a Baiwazu, a brothel run by the Zhao family. It was likely that this one in Chunyuan town was the same. Li Bunkuan's complexion turned pale. Chang'an. This matter involves the Zhao family. Should we not deliberate further? Deliberate what? Li Chang'an mounted his horse, swiftly lifting Lu Shiyun and positioning her securely in front of him. This matter is under my control. He leaned down and asked the young woman nestled against him. Where is Baiwazu? Point the way. Lu Shiyun, leaning against his firm chest, felt the warmth and steady heartbeat that strangely calmed her racing heart. She pointed toward East Street. That way. Go. Li Chang'an urged the horse forward. The steed whinnied as it galloped away. Li Bunkuan gritted his teeth and followed. The cavalry trailed closely behind, iron hooves pounding the cobblestone street, exuding an aura of menace. Nestled in Li Chang'an's embrace, Lu Shiyun gazed at his resolute countenance, and a tender part of her heart was profoundly stirred. Ding! Lu Shiyun's affinity for the host has increased. Current affinity, 80. Upon hearing the system's notification, Li Chang'an's heart swelled with elation. 80 points of affinity. The distance to complete conquest is drawing near. Chapter 24. Baiwazu as they galloped onward. Li Chang'an gradually pieced together the tragic tale of the sisters from Lu Shiyun's fragmented account. A year prior, the Lu family was merely an ordinary farming household in a village of Chunyuan town. Lu Shan, her father, was honest and unassuming, barely making ends meet with a few acres of meager land and his carpentry skills. That summer, noticing his 2 daughters growing up, Lu Shan resolved to build them a new home. However, he was still short 10 taels of silver for the construction. Lu Shan initially contemplated borrowing from relatives when his old friend Wang Ergu unexpectedly appeared at his door. Wang Ergu boasted of his connections with influential figures in Qingfeng City, claiming he could assist Lu Shan in securing low-interest loans from a moneylender. He mentioned that the Zhao family's moneylender offered the lowest rates, stating that borrowing 10 taels would require a repayment of 12 taels after a year. Lu Shiyun's voice trembled with emotion. My father believed his deceitful words and followed him without realizing it was a trap for usury. The contract clearly stated 10 taels, yet once the signatures were affixed, the manager turned hostile, insisting the loan was for 50 taels, with a repayment of 1,000 taels due in a year. Lu Shan refused to accept this, attempting to tear up the contract, but was brutally beaten by the moneylender's thugs. Eventually, we learned that Wang Ergu had been bribed by Zhao Hui, specifically tasked with luring honest individuals into high-interest loans, from which he profited handsomely. For an entire year, Lu Shan toiled endlessly to repay the debt, laboring in the fields by day and working as a carpenter by night, scarcely resting for 2 hours each day. However, the compounded interest meant that the more he repaid, the greater the debt became. The once robust man was reduced to skin and bones. Last month, my father fell ill. We wished to summon a doctor, but our family lacked even the funds for medicine. Lu Shiyun wept bitterly. Before his passing, our father grasped our hands, apologizing for the burden he placed upon us and urging us to flee as far away as possible. Just as we completed our father's funeral, Zhao Hui's agents arrived, asserting that a daughter's obligation was to repay her father's debts, a matter of principle. He intended to seize my sister and me, planning to auction our virtue at the Baiwa Tower that very night. At this point, Lu Shiyun was inconsolable. Li Chang'an listened, a growing chill in his gaze. The transformation of 10 taels into 1,000 had driven a man to his demise, and now this ruthless Zhao Hui sought to commodify these 2 vulnerable sisters. Such brutality was utterly inhumane. Rest assured, I shall rescue your sister and seek justice for you both, Li Chang'an vowed solemnly. Lu Shiyun lifted her head, her tear-stained eyes searching his. Sir, do you truly mean it? I, Li Chang'an, never utter falsehoods, he replied. Notification, Lu Shiyun's affection for the host has increased. Current affection level, 90. The affection level had risen by 10 points. The horsemen rounded a corner, revealing a brightly lit 3-story tower before them. The plaque displayed the gilded characters Baihua Tower, shimmering in the night. 2 burly guards stood at the entrance, initially wary as Li Chang'an and his companions approached. However, upon discerning his opulent attire and distinguished demeanor, their expressions transformed into welcoming smiles. Young master, you must be here for the Lu sisters. One guard eagerly stepped forward to take the horse's reins. Please come in. The auction is about to begin. Li Chang'an dismounted, lifting Lu Shiyun down as well. He had no desire to engage in idle chatter with these gatekeepers, taking her hand and striding directly into the building. Li Hu followed closely with 4 guards, while Li Bunkuan, though somber, brought his men along as well. Upon entering Baihua Tower, a cacophony of noise enveloped them. The hall was resplendent with light, filled to capacity with tables occupied by local wealthy patrons from Chunyuanzhen and distant relatives dispatched from prominent families in Qingfeng City. Each person was adorned in finery, toasting and exchanging pleasantries, their faces alight with excitement and anticipation. Have you heard? Tonight, a pair of exquisite sisters are up for auction. A corpulent merchant proclaimed loudly. Indeed, I have heard. It is said that those 2 sisters are merely 18, at the tender age of blossoming youth. Not only are they youthful, but their beauty is said to rival even the famed courtesans of Qingfeng City's 100-flower pavilion. How intriguing. I wonder what the starting bid will be and which wealthy patron will claim them. The crowd buzzed with fervent discussions, their words dripping with lewd implications. There were others who marveled. Young Master Zhao Hui is indeed a renowned moneyed enthusiast. If it were me, upon encountering such exquisite sisterly beauties, I would indulge myself rather than subject them to auction. Indeed. However, this is advantageous for us. We all have a chance to partake in this delicacy. Why hasn't he begun yet? I can hardly wait to see just how extraordinary those sisters truly are. Listening to the sordid discourse surrounding her, Lu Shiyun felt a tumult of shame and rage, her small face paling as she grasped Li Chang'an's hand, trembling uncontrollably. Her concern for her sister's plight deepened. How despairing it must be for her to be appraised like mere merchandise by such individuals. Li Chang'an's expression darkened. He exchanged a meaningful glance with Li Hu, who understood and strode purposefully to the center of the hall, shaking a cloth bag he held in his grasp. 3 bloodied heads tumbled to the ground, leaving ghastly crimson trails across the polished floor. Murder. There has been a murder. Cries of panic erupted. The guests were struck with terror. Their drunken stupor shattered. The women turned pale, while the men scrambled to their feet. Tables and chairs overturned, dishes shattered, chaos ensued. Li Hu stepped forward, his aura irradiating with overwhelming pressure, a manifestation of his 7th stage of body refinement. All idle persons, vacate at once. He thundered, otherwise, you shall bear the consequences. The guests exchanged fearful glances. Who would dare to disrupt the 100-flower pavilion brandishing severed heads? Observing the young man at the forefront, one could see his extraordinary demeanor, flanked by guards exuding an air of lethal intent. Quickly, let us not get involved. The crowd surged toward the exit like a receding tide. Suddenly, a young nobleman, evidently inebriated and flushed, slammed his hand on the table, rising indignantly. Who are you, a mere servant, daring to cause a ruckus here? Do you know whose territory this is? Do you wish to court death? Li Hu raised his hand and struck. Uft. The young nobleman's outstretched hand was severed at the wrist. My hand. He shrieked, collapsing to the ground, blood spraying forth. In that instant, no one dared to hesitate any longer. The guests scrambled for the door, and in a matter of moments, the hall was nearly emptied, leaving only the guards of the 100-flower pavilion, the steward, and the paralyzed maidens behind. Li Chang'an's gaze swept across the room, locking onto a middle-aged man in a silk shirt, appearing to be the steward. The steward trembled under his scrutiny, forcing himself to bow. What brings you here, esteemed sir? If you seek vengeance or wish to collect a debt, may I have the honor of knowing your name to report back to the proprietor? Unnecessary, Li Chang'an interrupted, his voice cold as steel. Inform Zhao Hui to surrender Lu Lingyin. Otherwise, he paused, his presence radiating murderous intent. This night, I shall wash the 100-flower pavilion in blood. Chapter 25. Altering the rules backstage of the 100-flower pavilion. Lu Lingyin was forcibly stripped of her pure white mourning attire and dressed in a tightly cinched purple silk gown. The delicate fabric accentuated the graceful contours of her youthful figure, with a plunging neckline revealing ample expanse of her snow-white skin. An elderly woman, her face lined with wrinkles, meticulously applied powder to Lu Lingyin's face. The thick layer of makeup obscured her natural beauty but could not conceal the profound sorrow and anguish reflected in her eyes. Oh dear, look at this pitiable little creature. Surely this will drive the auction price up by another 1,000 taels. The old woman exclaimed, her bony fingers pinching Lu Lingyin's chin as if she were handling a precious object. Lu Lingyin bit her lip, tears brimming in her eyes. Yet she stubbornly refused to let them fall. At that moment, the door swung open. Zhao Hui sauntered in, fanning himself, his gaze sweeping over Lu Lingyin, momentarily dazzled. Splendid. Truly magnificent, he exclaimed, circling Lu Lingyin as though admiring a flawless work of art. This attire, paired with your visage, I dare say, is the finest treasure I have encountered since the establishment of the Baiwa Tower. His voice faltered, and his brow furrowed. But wait, where are the sister flowers? Why has the younger one not yet been captured? Those 3 imbeciles, they have kept me waiting far too long. After venting his frustration, he turned to the copper mirror, locking eyes with Lu Lingyin, a cruel smile curling his lips. Fear not, your sister shall not escape the grasp of Zhao Hui. Once she is retrieved, we shall have a perfect pair for tonight's auction, which promises to be quite the spectacle. Lu Lingyin trembled, a glimmer of despair flashing in her eyes. Just then, the door was flung open with a bang, and the steward rushed in, pale as a ghost. Young master, an incident has occurred. Zhao Hui frowned, irritated. What is it? Speak. A man has come outside and killed Zhao San and the others, severing their heads. He is downstairs, demanding that you hand over Lu Lingyin. Otherwise, he will slaughter everyone here. The steward stammered, struggling to articulate his fear. Upon hearing this, Lu Lingyin, seated at her vanity, shuddered. Was someone here to rescue her? Who could it be? Apart from their father, she and her sister had no kin in this world. Who would dare to offend the Zhao family for their sake? Zhao Hui squinted, his expression shifting from annoyance to intrigue. How interesting that someone dares meddle in my affairs. Is Lu Shiyun with this person? Yes, she is downstairs. Excellent. Zhao Hui clapped his hands in delight. I was just lamenting the absence of that little wretch, and now she has delivered herself right to my doorstep. With both sisters in hand, we shall have quite the event. He turned to Lu Lingyin, his smile twisted. Come, accompany me downstairs. Once we have your sister, the auction will commence immediately. No, Lu Lingyin instinctively resisted, shaking her head. Zhao Hui snapped his fingers, and a bald man in his 40s strode in, lean and hawk-eyed. With prominent temples, he exuded a suffocating aura. He was a formidable expert at the 4th level of qi condensation, hired at great expense by the Zhao family to serve as Zhao Hui's personal guard. This man, known for his severity, advanced without a word and effortlessly lifted Lu Lingyin as if she were a mere chick. Lu Lingyin struggled in vain, helplessly allowing herself to be led by Zhao Hui towards the grand hall of the Baiwa Tower. In the hall, Li Chang'an stood with his hands clasped behind his back, awaiting their arrival in silence, while Lu Shiyun clung tightly to him, her small hand grasping his sleeve, her body trembling slightly. Li Hu stood at his side, knife in hand, his vigilant gaze scanning the surroundings, as several guards positioned themselves strategically to secure the main exits. The sound of footsteps echoed from the staircase. Zhao Hui, fanning himself, descended leisurely, with Yanli firmly holding Lu Lingyin, his expression impassive. Sister, Lu Shiyun exclaimed in surprise. Upon seeing her younger sister and the presence of Li Chang'an, Lu Lingyin's eyes widened in astonishment. Shiyun, young Master Li, shouldn't you be in Qingfeng City? How is it that you are here in Chunyuan Town, and even come to rescue me? As Zhao Hui reached the bottom of the stairs, his gaze fixed greedily on Lu Shiyun. Only when he heard her voice did he turn his attention to Li Chang'an, sizing him up with a contemptuous look. Young Master Li, what brings you here? Zhao Hui sneered. The head of the Li family from Qingfeng City, Li Chang'an. Li Chang'an replied calmly, introducing himself. Oh, I recall such a figure exists. Zhao Hui elongated his tone. Is it not rumored that you are bedridden with a severe illness? How is it that you have come to Chunyuan Town, audacious enough to meddle in my affairs? His tone was flippant, clearly dismissing Li Chang'an. The leader of a third-rate family. Could it be that you have taken an interest in these 2 sisters? Li Chang'an's gaze turned icy as he looked at Lu Lingyin, who was being held tightly by Yan Li, and he commanded, release her. Release her? Zhao Hui chuckled. That won't do. Her father owes me 1,000 taels of silver, and I intend to collect my debt through these sisters. He waved his fan, feigning generosity. How about this? Since you seem to be a man of similar standing, if you offer me 10,000 spirit stones, I will hand them over to you. How does that sound? Li Chang'an's eyes grew even colder. In your eyes? They are mere commodities to be measured in silver and spirit stones, insects whose dignity can be trampled upon. But in my eyes, they are human beings, individuals with dignity, who deserve far better treatment. Zhao Hui could not help but scoff. Dignity? Li Chang'an, is it your mind that is ill? As the leader of a prominent family, do you not understand that in this world, without wealth, power, or strength. Dignity is worth less than grass. He pointed at the sisters, his tone suddenly fierce. Their father took out a high-interest loan and cannot repay it. They must pay the price according to my rules. Buy them if you wish, otherwise be gone. I have no time to waste with you. Rules? Li Chang'an laughed. Then today, I shall take the liberty to amend those rules of yours. He stepped forward. Zhao Hui, I present you with two options. First, release them, and I shall grant you a swift end. Second, I will wash this place in blood, and as for you, Zhao Hui, I assure you, you will neither be able to seek life nor welcome death. A profound silence fell over the hall. Zhao Hui was momentarily stunned, then burst into uproarious laughter as if he had heard the most ridiculous joke. As a member of the Zhao family, it was his first encounter with such a threat. If the one threatening him were a direct descendant of one of the two prominent families, it would be understandable. However, it was merely the patriarch of a third-rate family, which would elicit laughter from anyone. Ha ha ha. Li Chang'an, does this mean I am doomed today? Yes, you are certainly doomed, but if you are wise, you may find a way to die less painfully. Li Chang'an nodded. The smile on Zhao Hui's face abruptly vanished. He nodded repeatedly, his fan striking his palm. Interesting. If that is the case, then I shall have to kill you first. Yin Li, get him dead. Yes. The bald man Yin Li, upon hearing the command, set down Lu Lingyin and approached Li Chang'an with a grin. Chapter 26, The Azure Dragon's Claw. Yin Li? Upon hearing this name, Li Bunquan's expression changed dramatically, his voice trembling slightly. Li Chang'an turned to him. Is he well known? More than just well known. Li Bunquan lowered his voice and quickly explained. Yin Li is a renowned rogue in Qingfeng City, possessing formidable cultivation at the 4th level of qi condensation. He was once an inner disciple of a martial arts sect, but after the sect was annihilated, he escaped alone and made a name for himself in the martial world. Many patriarchs of second-rate families must show him respect when they encounter him. He paused, his tone growing more serious. This man possesses not only profound cultivation but also ruthless methods. It is said he once exterminated an entire family for a clue to a top-tier martial arts technique. He is known in the martial world as the Black-Hearted Hand. To think he has become Zhao Hui's bodyguard, Li Bunquan's eyes were filled with concern. Chang'an, this man is no ordinary qi condensation cultivator. You must exercise extreme caution. Hearing this, Li Chang'an merely smiled faintly. After all, he was just a qi condensation practitioner. His words, though softly spoken, were distinctly heard by Yin Li. The bald man's footsteps faltered, the flesh on his face trembling, his eyes flashing with ferocity. A mere patriarch of a third-rate family dares to underestimate me, Yin Li, truly unaware of his own mortality. Before his words could finish, he moved with sudden ferocity. Boom. Spiritual energy surged downward, and his foot struck the ground, shattering the hard blue stone floor in an instant. Yin Li shot forth like a cannonball, moving at an incredible speed that left a blur in his wake, creating a piercing sonic boom. So fast, Li Hu's pupils constricted. With his cultivation at the 7th level of body refinement, he could barely catch a glimpse of the vague shadow. Die. Yin Li had reached Li Chang'an's side. His right palm raised high, spiritual energy wildly condensing in his palm, forming a dark, iron-like palm strike aimed mercilessly at the crown of Li Chang'an's head. If this strike were to connect, not even flesh and blood, nor armor forged from fine iron would withstand the impact. Young master, be careful. Lu Shiyun and Lu Lingyin cried out in alarm, their faces pale. Li Hu and Li Bunquan gritted their teeth, lamenting their own lack of strength, unable to protect their master from this devastating blow. Yet, in the face of this earth-shattering strike, Li Chang'an simply raised his right hand calmly, with fingers splayed wide. He did not evade, but met the strike head-on. Bang! The moment their palms collided, a terrifying shockwave erupted, centered around the two. Crack! 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 In an instant, all the tables and chairs in the hall were reduced to splinters. The walls bore spiderweb-like cracks, and the stone floor shattered with each tremor, sending clouds of dust into the air. Li Chang'an, clad in a flowing robe that fluttered fiercely, and Yin Li, with hair billowing, stood their ground, each creating a shallow pit beneath their feet. It was a battle of equals. What? Zhao Hui's smug smile abruptly froze, his brow furrowed. Consolidation realm? You are actually in the consolidation realm? In his memory, the Li family was merely a third-rate clan, and its patriarch, Li Chang'an, was nothing but a frail waste of space. How could he possibly break through to the consolidation realm? Yet the scene before him was undeniably real. Thud, thud, thud. The first round of their skirmish concluded, and the two figures separated. Li Chang'an remained in place, perfectly still, his expression unchanged. In contrast, Yin Li staggered back 3 steps, each footfall leaving deep imprints on the ground, barely managing to steady himself. His face flushed red, his chest heaving, clearly indicating that he had suffered a hidden loss in their recent clash. Yin Li, what are you doing? Zhao Hui barked, displeased. Yen Li's countenance darkened like stormy waters as he fixed his gaze on Li Chang'an. Young master, it was my oversight. He took a deep breath, his eyes now burning with ferocity. You seek death. The remuneration from the second master of the Zhao family was exceedingly generous. Over the years, he had reaped countless benefits under the Zhao family's auspices. This lucrative opportunity could not be lost. Blackstone palm, Yen Li shouted, unleashing both palms. This time, he held nothing back. His entire spiritual energy surged toward his palms, transforming into two thick, dark, and impenetrable palm strikes resembling liquid mercury. The edges of the palm strikes were subtly entwined with black currents, emanating a disquieting aura. Blackstone palm, Li Bunkuan exclaimed in alarm. Chang'an, be cautious. This is an inferior grade martial technique. Li Chang'an's eyes narrowed slightly, yet he displayed no sign of panic. As the two formidable blackstone palm strikes hurtled toward him, he simply raised his right hand slowly, curling his fingers into a claw, and gently tore forward. Azure Dragon Claw. Roar. The sound of a dragon's roar erupted. A surge of azure spiritual energy burst forth from Li Chang'an's right hand, manifesting as a vivid phantom of a dragon's claw. The claw's tip was sharp, its scales distinct, exuding an ancient and majestic presence, as if a true dragon had descended. As the azure claw sliced through the air, it tore open several visible rifts in space, fiercely clawing toward the two blackstone palm strikes. Boom! A deafening explosion reverberated through the hall. To the astonishment of the onlookers, the seemingly indestructible blackstone palm strikes were effortlessly shredded by the azure dragon claw, as if they were mere paper. Unrelenting, the claw continued forward, and in Yen Li's terrified gaze, it seized his throat. Crack! The crisp sound of bone fracturing echoed. Yen Li's throat was crushed, blood gushing forth like a fountain. His eyes widened, filled with reluctance and terror. He attempted to utter something, but only a raspy sound escaped his lips. Li Chang'an released his grip, casually discarding Yen Li's lifeless body aside, as if disposing of refuse. Thud! The corpse hit the ground, blood staining the floor. A profound silence enveloped the room. Everyone stood dumbfounded, their minds blank, unable to comprehend the scene before them. Yen Li, a ruthless figure of the Consolidation Realm's fourth level, had been vanquished in a single move. Zhao Hui's face turned ashen, trembling uncontrollably, struggling to articulate his words. Had his most formidable bodyguard truly perished? Li Chang'an slowly turned, his gaze coldly indifferent as it fell upon Zhao Hui. Reveal your remaining cards, if you dare, he stated calmly. Otherwise, I shall send you on your way. Dare you kill me? Zhao Hui retreated repeatedly, his bravado faltering. I am a scion of the Zhao family. My grandfather is the second master of the Zhao clan. If you lay a hand on me, the Zhao family will never forgive you. Li Chang'an chuckled derisively. Such threats were rather too tardy. He advanced deliberately, each step crushing Zhao Hui's heart. A flicker of malice passed through Zhao Hui's eyes as he feigned fear, lowering his head while his right hand stealthily slipped into his bosom. Just as Li Chang'an closed the distance, Zhao Hui suddenly raised his head, a malevolent grin stretching across his face. Li Chang'an, die, he shouted, his right hand thrusting upward. A pitch-black flying dagger, barely 3 inches in length and inscribed with sinister runes, shot forth at an imperceptible speed, aimed directly at Li Chang'an's brow. The runes ignited with a blood-red glow, exuding an aura of terrifying dread. This dagger was a relic nurtured by his grandfather's own blood over many years, capable of unleashing a peak attack of the condensing Qi realm upon activation. In Zhao Hui's estimation, no matter how powerful Li Chang'an was, he could not possibly withstand this strike. It was certain death. However, in the face of this lethal assault, a glimmer of mockery flickered in Li Chang'an's eyes. Unperturbed, he retrieved a weathered talisman from his robe and flicked it toward the flying dagger. Go. The moment the talisman left his hand, it erupted with blinding golden light. A razor-sharp sword aura burst forth from the talisman, expanding rapidly into a golden beam, slicing through the air and crashing into the black dagger. Crack! The dagger shattered into 2 pieces, its runes dimming instantly. The sword light's momentum remained unyielding, streaking past Zhao Hui's right shoulder as he watched in horror. With a spray of blood, Zhao Hui's entire right arm was severed at the shoulder, sending it flying away. The overwhelming force hurled him to the ground with tremendous impact. Ah, my arm, my arm. Zhao Hui clutched his severed limb, emitting a wail akin to that of a slaughtered pig, writhing in agony on the ground. Li Chang'an approached, looking down upon him with an air of superiority. Spare your life. Please, spare me, Master Li. Zhao Hui gritted his teeth against the searing pain, struggling to kneel as he desperately bowed his head. I was wrong. I truly realize my mistake. I implore you, grant me mercy. I am willing to pay any price. Li Chang'an's gaze remained icy. Mercy? In a short while, you shall be begging me to end your suffering. With that, he pointed a finger. A pure and domineering essence surged forth, crashing into Zhao Hui's body like a rampaging bull. No! Zhao Hui let out a piercing scream, his body convulsing as if struck by lightning. He felt as though countless steel needles were mercilessly piercing through him, every vein and bone enduring indescribable agony. The pain was profound, penetrating to the very marrow and striking the soul, 100 times more intense than the agony of a severed limb. "Spare me, I beseech you. Spare me," he cried out in desperation. "I am a member of the Zhao family. They will not let you go." Zhao Hui writhed on the ground, his forehead bloodied from the blows he inflicted upon himself. In the throes of torment, he could no longer muster threats. Only the desperate pleas for death remained. "In my suffering, please, grant me a swift demise. Just kill me." Li Chang'an regarded Li Hu with an impassive expression, instructing him to prolong Zhao Hui's suffering until he could no longer scream. "Yes." Li Hu nodded gravely, a glimmer of satisfaction flashing in his eyes. He then inquired, "What about the others, master?" Li Chang'an surveyed the trembling caretakers of Baihua Tower and the guards, his demeanor unyielding. "Leave no one related to the Zhao family alive. Kill." Li Hu commanded, waving his hand, and the Li family guards drew their weapons, charging forth like lions among sheep. In an instant, the air was filled with anguished cries, and rivers of blood flowed through Baihua Tower. Li Chang'an turned away from the gruesome scene and approached Lu Lingyin. The young woman, still in shock, stared at him with eyes reflecting both fear and gratitude, but predominantly an ineffable admiration. "Come with me," he said with a gentle smile, extending his hand toward her. Regaining her composure, Lu Lingyin nodded vigorously, tears welling up anew as she expressed her gratitude. "Thank you, young masterly." She stood, embracing her sister Lu Shiyun tightly before unhesitatingly placing her hand in Li Chang'an's palm. Ding! Lu Lingyin's affection for the host has increased. Current affection level, 100. Lu Shiyun's affection for the host has increased. Current affection level, 100, a perfect score of 100. The sister's affection for him had both reached its zenith. "Excellent. Truly splendid," Li Chang'an exclaimed, smiling as he took Lu Lingyin's hand and led Lu Shiyun outside. At that moment, Li Bunkuan emerged from his stupor, watching Li Chang'an's departing figure with a heart stirred by tumultuous waves. "The master is indeed a deity descended from the heavens," he murmured, his eyes filled with awe and fervor. In Chenyuan town, at the Li family's villa, Li Chang'an settled the Lu sisters in a tidy guest room. Although the room was not opulent, it was clean and warm, with a soft bed that far surpassed their former dilapidated home. "You are safe here. There will be no more danger. Please, rest well," he said kindly. The sisters exchanged glances and suddenly knelt before him. "Young masterly, your immense kindness will be eternally remembered by Lingyin and Shiyun." They spoke in unison, their voices choked with emotion. Li Chang'an quickly stepped forward, lifting them gently. "There is no need for such reverence. Did we not agree that you would come to work at my residence? Thus, you are as good as part of the Li family, and I shall naturally protect you." He tenderly wiped away the tears from their eyes with gentle strokes. "If there are any unfinished matters at home, I will accompany you to resolve them tomorrow. If not, you shall return with me to the Li residence in the morning." The sisters nodded earnestly, their eyes filled with reliance and trust. Li Chang'an spoke no more, advising them to rest early before turning to close the door as he returned to his own chamber. As night deepened, Li Chang'an leaned against the headboard, yet sleep eluded him. In the flickering candlelight, he quietly contemplated the future development of his family. With the spiritual vein secured and Xiaoyan captured, it was imperative to arrange the spiritual vein swiftly upon returning home tomorrow, while also preparing to face the potential reprisals from the Xiao and Zhao families. As he pondered, a gentle knock interrupted his thoughts. "Is it Li Hu?" Li Chang'an instinctively inquired. A soft feminine voice floated in from outside, laced with a hint of shyness. "Young master." "It is I, Lu Lingyin." Li Chang'an's heart skipped a beat, and he quickly sat up. In the dead of night, she had come alone. Steadying himself, he approached and opened the door. Bathed in moonlight, Lu Lingyin stood outside, having changed from her purple silk gown into a simple white garment. Her face, free of makeup, radiated purity and grace. With her head lowered and cheeks slightly flushed, she nervously twisted the hem of her clothing. "What brings you here?" "Please, come in," Li Chang'an said. Stepping aside, biting her lower lip, Lu Lingyin entered the room, the warm candlelight enhancing the delicate beauty of her fair skin. "Why aren't you resting properly?" Li Chang'an closed the door and turned to her. I cannot sleep," Lu Lingyin whispered, her voice as soft as a whisper. "You not only provided us with funds to bury our father, but also rescued my sister and me from the clutches of the villain Zhao. We are deeply grateful and wish to repay you." Li Chang'an's heart raced. "Repay? How do you intend to repay me?" Maintaining a composed demeanor, he spoke gently. "I did not assist you with the expectation of recompense. Your safety is reward enough. No, Lu Lingyin lifted her gaze, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. My sister and I feel we possess no talents to offer, only the willingness to dedicate ourselves to you. Despite having anticipated this, hearing those words stirred an overwhelming joy within Li Chang'an. All his efforts had not been in vain. These sisters were indeed perceptive. Yet, he resolved to maintain an air of propriety. Miss Lingyin, while I may not be a paragon of virtue, I do not wish to bear the stigma of taking advantage of your situation. Such matters pertain to your lifelong integrity. You and your sister must consider this carefully. Seeing his hesitation, Lu Lingyin quickly replied, we have thought it through and will never regret it. She paused, her voice dropping to a whisper. My sister. She is almost done bathing. At her words, Li Chang'an involuntarily envisioned the alluring scene of Lu Shiyun bathing. His throat tightened as he swallowed hard. After a moment of silence, he decided to be forthright. To be honest, Li Chang'an began slowly. From the very beginning, I harbored feelings for both of you. Hence, my assistance came with a degree of intent. He gazed directly into Lu Lingyin's eyes. Even so, do you still not regret? Without hesitation, Lu Lingyin shook her head. No, I do not regret. It is our fortune to have encountered you. Had it not been for your rescue, we would have long fallen into Zhao Hui's clutches, suffering a fate worse than death. To serve you now is a blessing from heaven. Her eyes were clear and resolute, devoid of any semblance of coercion. Li Chang'an finally nodded. If that is the case, I accept. As the words fell, the door was gently pushed open a crack, and a small head peeked through the gap. With long, dark hair still damp and cascading over her shoulders, it was none other than Lu Shiyun, who had just emerged from her bath. She donned a delicate white garment, the fabric so sheer that her graceful curves could be faintly discerned. At that moment, her petite face flushed crimson, her eyes reflecting a blend of shyness and anticipation. Lu Lingyin nodded at her. Only then did Lu Shiyun tiptoe into the room, carefully shutting the door behind her. Young master, her voice was soft and melodic, imbued with the languor of post-bath relaxation. I hope you do not find fault with my sister and me for our condition. Condition? Li Chang'an's heart skipped a beat. What condition? He countered with an impassive demeanor. No condition, Lu Shiyun murmured softly. No condition? Li Chang'an was taken aback. What sort of condition is that? Just no condition. Lu Shiyun's face burned with intensity, her voice barely a whisper. It took Li Chang'an a moment to grasp her meaning. So, it was merely no condition. He could not suppress a chuckle, extending his arms to embrace the two women, one on either side. No condition is wonderful, he said, his lips curling into an uncontrollable smile, his voice deep and gentle. I simply adore no condition. Lu Lingyin and Lu Shiyun nestled against him, feeling the strength of his heartbeat and the warmth of his embrace, their final traces of tension dissipating like mist. Soon, the atmosphere in the room became jubilant. Chapter 28. The Realm of Qi, the Azure Dragon's dominance in the quiet depths of the night at the Li residence in Qingfeng City, outside the council hall. The colossal Jinwu steel gleamed with a dim sheen under the moonlight. Two shadowy figures stealthily scaled the wall, landing as silently as cats, swiftly concealing themselves in the shadows of the corridor pillars. Once assured that the surroundings were deserted, they removed their masks, revealing themselves as Li Yuanmu and his eldest son, Li Luan. Li Luan gazed at the dark stone monument, his eyes betraying a mixture of longing and trepidation. Father, do we truly have to proceed with this? Cousin has expressly forbidden me from testing my aptitude. What is there to fear? Li Yuanmu scoffed, a flicker of resentment flashing in his eyes. The vast majority of the family had undergone testing. Why should you be exempt? Besides, Li Chang'an is currently occupied negotiating with the Shao family in Chunyu Town and may not return for several days. He lowered his voice, his tone laced with encouragement and resentment. Test your aptitude first. If you truly possess exceptional talent, the position of family head need not necessarily belong to Li Chang'an. Upon hearing this, a glimmer of ambition ignited in Li Luan's eyes. He nodded resolutely, advancing toward the Jinwu steel, taking a deep breath before gently pressing his right hand against the cold, rough surface of the monument. Initially, there was no response. After a few moments, a low hum resonated. The steel suddenly trembled, a brilliant azure light erupted from its core, illuminating the entire courtyard in an instant. The blue radiance was pure and dazzling, far more resplendent than the cerulean glow Li Pingyan had exhibited during the daytime. Blue light. Li Yuanmu's eyes widened in astonishment, his voice quivering. This color had never appeared during the daytime testing. He hurriedly glanced at the golden inscriptions emerging on the steel. Intermediate Grade 3. Suitable cultivation path. Wood-based techniques. Intermediate Grade 3. Li Yuanmu exclaimed in disbelief, followed swiftly by a surge of elation. Luan, you possess intermediate grade 3 aptitude. Li Luan himself was equally stunned. He withdrew his hand, gazing at the inscription on the monument, then glanced at the lingering azure glow in his palm, his voice trembling with excitement. Father, what does it mean to possess a third-tier intermediate talent? Does it imply that with sufficient resources and techniques, I could cultivate to the Qi realm? Not just the Qi realm, Li Yuanmu exclaimed, his face flushed with enthusiasm. A third-tier intermediate talent is among the elite in all of Qingfeng City. As long as you do not falter along the way, you could at least reach the mid-stage of the Qi realm. There is even hope for you to challenge the late stage of the Qi realm. In the late stage of the Qi realm, even the strongest of the Zhao family would only match this level of cultivation. He seized his son's shoulders, fervor glimmering in his eyes. Luan, you are the most gifted in the entire Li family. That Li Chang'an must have learned of this through some means and deliberately prevented you from testing, fearing you would threaten his position. Upon hearing this, Li Luan's initial trepidation was swiftly replaced by indignation and ambition. It was no wonder his cousin had dissuaded him from testing, causing him to lose face publicly. It turned out to be envy of his talent. Let us go, Li Yuanmu decisively declared. Come with me to meet the two esteemed elders. What do we need to see them for? Li Luan inquired, puzzled. The two esteemed elders have long harbored dissatisfaction towards Li Chang'an. Now that you have revealed such astonishing potential, they will undoubtedly support you in vying for the position of the family head. Li Chang'an has just slain your second uncle and has recklessly confronted the Xiao family in Chunyuan town. If he does not return or comes back grievously injured, the position of family head should rightfully be filled by another. Li Luan felt his heart race, a mix of pride and longing swelling within him. The position of family head, if he could truly ascend to that rank, with his talent and the resources of the entire Li family. The two exchanged a knowing glance, no longer hesitating, and quietly departed the courtyard, sprinting towards the residence of the two esteemed elders. Under the moonlight, their silhouettes exuded an impatient ambition. The following morning, in Chunyuan town, within Li Chang'an's bedroom, he slowly opened his eyes. The dawn light filtered through the window, casting a gentle glow into the room. He rubbed his slightly swollen temples, the memories of last night's passionate embrace still vivid in his mind. Turning to his side, he found Lu Lingyin and Lu Shiyun nestled against him, still fast asleep. The rosy hue from the previous night lingered on their cheeks, their lips curled in serene smiles. Long hair cascading over the pillows like twin lotus blossoms. A profound sense of accomplishment surged within Li Chang'an, the ultimate fantasy of countless men in his past life. He had truly achieved it. Just then, a notification chimed. Ding! Detected successful union with exceptional sisters, triggering double critical reward. Reward 1. Cultivation elevation. Post-cultivation directly ascends to the first level of the Qi realm. Reward 2. 3 condensation Qi pills, upon consumption, can break through to the first level of the condensation Qi realm without side effects, regardless of current level. Reward 3. Method for crafting sword Qi talismans, second-tier top-grade talismans, capable of slaying peak condensation Qi realm practitioners. Special physique reward. Awakening of the Azure Dragon Dominance Body, Sacred Body. As the system's prompt faded, an overwhelming tide of energy surged from the crown of Li Chang'an's head, flooding into his body. Boom. He trembled violently, his inner spiritual energy surging wildly. The meridians expanding at a visible pace, intensifying. The once gentle flow of spiritual energy transformed into a roaring river, surging through his channels with fervor. At the realm of Qi, the previously gaseous spiritual energy in his dantian fully liquefied, becoming a vast ocean, boundless and immense. With every breath, the energies of heaven and earth flooded into him, resonating in an unprecedented harmony with his meridians. Li Chang'an, with a mere thought, brought his right hand forward, fingers poised together, and gently sliced towards the corner of a table several zhang away. Whoosh! An invisible sword Qi sliced through the air, sharp and unparalleled, effortlessly severing the hard pearwood table corner with a clean edge, smooth as a mirror. This manifestation of spiritual energy was the very essence of the Qi realm's power. A glimmer of brilliance sparkled in Li Chang'an's eyes. Yet, this was merely the beginning. Soon after, an ancient and majestic aura awakened within him. Roar! Faintly. It seemed as though a azure dragon's long cry echoed from the depths of his bloodline, and intricate azure dragon scale patterns briefly appeared upon his skin, only to vanish in an instant. His bones cracked and popped, every inch of muscle and every bone underwent a metamorphosis, reinforcing itself. The azure dragon body awakened. Li Chang'an clenched his fists, feeling the terrifying power surging within him. At this moment, even without utilizing a shred of spiritual energy, his physical strength alone was sufficient to vanquish a peak practitioner of the Qi-gathering realm with a single blow. Should he unleash his full potential, coupled with the Qi cultivation, he would possess the strength to contend with even late-stage Qi practitioners. This was the essence of the sacred body. Li Chang'an felt a surge of excitement. The Azure Dragon body, one of the ancient sacred physiques, was said to rival the true dragon in physical prowess when fully realized. Able to rend the heavens and earth asunder with bare hands, impervious to water and fire, and resilient against myriad forms of harm. Furthermore, it could awaken the Azure Dragon divine powers, mastering wind and thunder, traversing the 9 heavens. Though he had only begun to awaken it, the strength of his corporeal form had already surpassed that of his peers by 100-fold. Li Chang'an suppressed his excitement and redirected his focus to the other 2 rewards. 3 Qi gathering elixirs, a treasure for cultivating loyal confidants. Li Hu and Li Bunkoan were now wholeheartedly devoted to him, yet their cultivation was insufficient. With these 3 elixirs, they could swiftly rise to become experts in the Qi gathering realm. As for the method to inscribe the sword Qi talismans, although it required special materials for the drawing, with ample resources, the Li family could mass-produce such formidable weapons. By then, what could the Xiao family and Zhao family do in the face of countless sword Qi talismans? They would be mere chickens and dogs. Chapter 29. Taking concubines. Li Chang'an was reveling in the tumultuous power within him and the profound mysteries of the Azure Dragon body, his heart stirring with excitement. At that moment, a subtle sound drew his attention. Turning his head, he noticed that Lu Lingyin and Lu Shiyun had awakened, the 2 sisters wrapped in thin blankets, revealing only their delicate faces tinged with a rosy hue, their eyes darting away, unable to meet his gaze. After the boldness and fervor of the previous night, only shyness and confusion remained. Seeing this, Li Chang'an felt an overwhelming tenderness swell within him. He reached out, gently stroking the strands of hair of the 2 sisters. Lingyin, Shiyun, he spoke softly, a hint of a smile gracing his lips. If you do not mind, I wish to take you both as my concubines. Concubines? The sisters were momentarily stunned, then exchanged a glance filled with incredulity and trepidation. They merely wished to repay a kindness, never aspiring to any formal recognition. In affluent households, even concubines are expected to come from noble lineage. How could these orphan girls from peasant backgrounds ever be deemed worthy? Lu Lingyin bit her lip and cautiously inquired, Master, my sister and I come from humble origins. If we were to become your concubines, would it not bring you shame and invite ridicule? Lu Shiyun eagerly nodded, her voice laced with urgency. Yes, Master, my sister and I have promised you, and we shall not regret it. You need not worry about such things. They believed that Li Chang'an's decision stemmed from a sense of obligation. However, he gently shook his head, interrupting their concerns. His expression was earnest, his gaze sincere as he addressed the 2 of them. Listen to me. First, I genuinely cherish you both and wish to keep you by my side for the long term. Secondly, he paused, his tone imbued with the gravity and helplessness of a family head. As the master of the Li family, I have yet to produce an heir. The continuation of my bloodline is of paramount importance to the family. How could I not be concerned? Therefore, I need you both to help me and the Li family to flourish. Would that be acceptable? He did not speak from a position of condescension, but rather expressed his genuine needs and frustrations. He understood that the sisters were inherently self-effacing, and imposing a title upon them might induce discomfort. However, if they felt needed and that they could alleviate his burdens, it would be more readily accepted, gradually fostering their confidence. Indeed, upon hearing Li Chang'an express his need for them, the sisters' initial trepidation was gradually replaced by a sense of being valued. Lu Lingyin gazed into Li Chang'an's sincere eyes, then glanced at her sister. Their unspoken understanding led them to nod gently. Lu Lingyin lowered her head, her voice soft yet resolute. Thank you for not abandoning me, Master. I am willing. Lu Shiyun, more forthright, though her cheeks flushed crimson, summoned her courage and declared, my sister and I will certainly conceive your offspring soon, and we shall not let you down. Still calling me Master, are we? Li Chang'an chuckled mischievously, reaching out to playfully tap Lu Shiyun's nose. The sisters' faces turned even redder, resembling ripe peaches. They exchanged shy glances and, in hushed yet clear tones, called out, husband. That single utterance melted Li Chang'an's heart. As he looked at these enchanting sisters, wholly devoted to him, the passionate memories of the previous night flooded his mind, igniting a fire within him once more. Moreover, having awakened his Azure Dragon dominance, he felt invigorated, the fatigue of the night before having vanished entirely. Just as he was about to take action and indulge in tender moments with his beloved, a voice rang out from outside. Chang'an, are you awake? It was his third uncle, Li Bunkoan, arriving for matters of significance. Li Chang'an sighed and called out, Uncle, I will be out shortly. He lifted the covers, preparing to rise. However, as soon as he sat up, Lu Lingyin and Lu Shiyun, suppressing their shyness and the lingering soreness in their bodies, managed to sit up as well. naturally reaching for the neatly folded garments at the bedside and beginning to dress Li Chang'an with gentle care. "What are you doing?" Li Chang'an asked, somewhat taken aback. Lu Ling meticulously arranged his collar, casting her eyes downward as she softly remarked, "As you are our husband, it is our duty, along with my sister, to assist you in dressing. Please hurry and put on your garments." Lu Shiyun gently urged, her hands deftly tying his belt. She quietly rejoiced at her uncle's timely arrival. Otherwise, she and her sister would surely have remained unable to rise from their beds today. Under the tender and considerate care of the two sisters, Li Chang'an soon donned his attire. He bowed his head to plant a kiss on each of their foreheads before turning to open the door and step outside. As the door swung open, Li Bunkuin caught a hint of a lingering, elusive fragrance, reminiscent of youthful maidens. Observing Li Chang'an's vibrant and radiant demeanor, a glimmer of understanding flickered in his eyes, and he could not suppress a broad smile as he lowered his voice and jested, "Chang'an, you are quite capable." Li Chang'an sheepishly touched his nose, responding, "Uncle, please refrain from teasing me. There's nothing to jest about. This is a good thing." Li Bunkuin's smile widened as he patted Chang'an's shoulder, his tone earnest. "Moreover, you must exert yourself more. I am looking forward to holding my grandnephew." Certainly, replied Li Chang'an with a chuckle, shifting the topic. "Is there a pressing matter that brought you here so early, uncle?" Upon mentioning serious business, Li Bunkuin's expression grew solemn. He retrieved a thick ledger from his robe, excitement illuminating his features. "Chang'an, last night we thoroughly catalogued Zhao Hui's assets in this area, and the results exceeded our expectations." Li Chang'an took the ledger, quickly flipping through its pages, a look of joy gradually emerging in his eyes. The mundane wealth, converted into silver, amounts to approximately 13 million taels. The low-quality spirit stones total over 237,000. Various medicinal herbs, minerals, furs, and other resources are valued at more than 1,000,000 taels of silver. This does not even account for the Baiwa building and some land deeds. Li Bunkuin's voice trembled slightly. This Zhao Hui, merely a distant relative of the Zhao family, has amassed such astonishing wealth through years of exploitation here, rivaling the entirety of our Li family's income over 5 or 6 years. Li Chang'an closed the ledger, feeling a deep sense of shock. It seemed Zhao Hui's ruthless methods of wealth accumulation through usury and the sordid dealings of the Baiwa building were indeed severe. He glanced at Li Bunkuin, noticing the bloodshot eyes that clearly indicated a sleepless night spent organizing these accounts. "Uncle, you have worked hard," Li Chang'an said sincerely. "We are family. There is no need for such formalities." Li Bunkuin waved his hand dismissively, though his eyes glistened with moisture. "Your understanding and consideration make any hardship worthwhile." After a moment of contemplation, Li Chang'an took out a jade vial from his robe, pouring forth a pill the size of a longan, emanating an ethereal glow, and presented it to Li Bunkuin. "Uncle, this pill was obtained from Zhao Hui yesterday. Upon reviewing some texts, it appears to be an exceedingly rare cultivation elixir, regardless of the level of a martial artist in the body refinement realm. Consuming this pill allows for a direct and side-effect-free breakthrough to the first level of the qi condensation realm. You have dedicated half your life to our family, yet have been stuck at the 7th level of the body refinement realm for many years. Please take this pill. A direct breakthrough to the qi condensation realm. Such a miraculous elixir exists in this world." Li Bunkuin's eyes widened in astonishment, his hand trembling slightly. However, he promptly shook his head repeatedly, his tone resolute. "No, this is far too precious. Chang'an, such a treasure should be kept for yourself or perhaps for my nephews in the future. I am too old to make use of it." Chapter 30. No good news. Li Chang'an was moved. His third uncle's first thoughts were still for the family and him. Without further ado, he pressed the elixir into Li Bunkuin's hand, clasping it firmly and solemnly stating, "Third uncle, among our kin, you are the elder I trust the most and my most capable ally. Your enhancement in strength will be a tremendous boon to me and the entire Li family. You must accept this elixir. Consider it for your nephew, for the Li family." Li Bunkuin gazed into Li Chang'an's sincere and resolute eyes, feeling the warmth emanating from the elixir in his palm. His eyes finally glistened with tears. No longer could he refuse. He nodded emphatically, clutching the elixir tightly, a surge of fervor and unwavering loyalty swelling within him. Ding! Li Bunkuin's loyalty to the host has increased to 100, life and death together. Li Chang'an smiled with satisfaction and returned the book to Li Bunkuin. "Third uncle, last night, my brothers fought bravely alongside me, enduring much hardship. From this batch of wealth, allocate 1,000,000 taels of silver and 30,000 low-grade spirit stones as rewards based on their merits, ensuring every individual feels the Li family's generosity. Rest assured, I will manage this thoroughly, ensuring the brothers are both satisfied and loyal." Li Bunkuin responded earnestly. After seeing off Li Bunkuin, Li Chang'an summoned Li Hu. Upon arrival, Li Hu still bore the faint aura of last night's battle. Yet his gaze towards Li Chang'an was filled with absolute respect. Master. Li Chang'an similarly produced a condensation elixir and handed it to Li Hu. Li Hu, you have followed me for quite some time, displaying unwavering loyalty and efficiency in your duties. This elixir is a reward for you. Consuming it will assist you in entering the condensation realm. Upon hearing this, Li Hu's eyes widened in disbelief. Without hesitation, he knelt on one knee and accepted the elixir with both hands. Thank you, Master, for your generous gift. I shall serve you faithfully for life. With that, he swallowed the elixir whole. In the next moment, astonishing changes ensued. Li Hu's vital energy surged violently, as if countless small creatures were scurrying beneath his skin. His bones cracked in a cacophony, powerful spiritual energy radiating uncontrollably, rising steadily. 8th layer of body refinement. 9th layer, pinnacle. Boom. In mere moments, a formidable aura characteristic of a condensation realm cultivator erupted from Li Hu. He stood there dumbfounded, feeling a powerful force coursing through him, entirely different from before. He clenched his fist in disbelief, the wind from his punch howling. This master, this elixir is extraordinary. Li Hu's voice quivered with excitement. He had thought that breaking into the condensation realm required prolonged accumulation and fortuitous circumstances, never anticipating it would be so effortless. Li Chang'an smiled silently. Produced by the system, it is naturally of the highest quality. However, such miraculous elixirs are likely only rewarded during special critical moments, like the triggering of a phoenix's song, and are not easily obtained. Consolidate your realm and familiarize yourself with the power of the condensation realm, Li Chang'an instructed. Additionally, prepare yourself. We shall set forth back to Qingfeng City in an hour. Yes, Li Hu responded energetically as he departed to fulfill his task. When Li Chang'an returned to his quarters, Lu Lingyin and Lu Shiyun were already dressed impeccably. They had adorned themselves in the new garments that Li Chang'an had sent for them, though modest in design. The attire fit them perfectly and exuded an understated elegance, enhancing their ethereal beauty. However, their movements still bore a hint of awkwardness, a barely perceptible unease in their steps. Just then, the servants arrived with a lavish breakfast laid out before them. A table brimming with crystal shrimp dumplings, osmanthus sugar lotus root, shredded chicken porridge, delicate pastries, and an array of exquisite side dishes that filled the air with tantalizing aromas. Lu Shiyun's eyes sparkled with delight, and she could not suppress a small gasp, exclaiming, "Wow! I have never seen so many delectable dishes before." Lu Lingyin nodded in agreement. During their days at home, they were fortunate to have a hearty bowl of rice porridge accompanied by pickled vegetables. And only during the new year would their father begrudgingly purchase a small piece of meat for soup. Such a sumptuous and refined breakfast was a sight they had only ever dreamed of. Li Chang'an, smiling, picked up a glistening shrimp dumpling, blew gently on it, and brought it to Lu Shiyun's lips. "Here, try this." Lu Shiyun eagerly took a bite, her eyes widening in surprise as her cheeks puffed up, and she mumbled with delight, "So good, truly delightful." Lu Lingyin shot her a playful glare, reminding her to be mindful of her manners and to display a bit more decorum. However, Li Chang'an remained unfazed. Offering a piece of osmanthus sugar lotus root to Lu Lingyin, she savored it delicately, her eyes reflecting a blend of astonishment and satisfaction, chewing slowly and gracefully, exhibiting far more poise than her sister, yet sharing in the same joy. "This is truly exquisite," Lu Lingyin remarked after finishing her bite. Observing their contented expressions, Li Chang'an felt a wave of tenderness wash over him and chuckled. "This is merely the beginning. Once our Li family flourishes, not only will we enjoy these ordinary delicacies, but I shall also procure rare ingredients imbued with spiritual essence, even the legendary dragon meat and phoenix marrow, so you may savor them." Dragon meat? Lu Shiyun's eyes sparkled with wonder, her face lighting up at the thought of such a delicacy. Lu Lingyin, meanwhile, carefully filled a small bowl with chicken porridge, gently blowing on it to cool it down before tenderly offering a spoonful to Li Chang'an, saying, "Husband, you should eat too." Li Chang'an accepted it with a smile, relishing the fresh flavors, further enhanced by the gentle attentions of his beloved concubines, feeling an unparalleled sense of contentment. This is what life should be like. Shortly after their meal, the returning convoy was prepared. Unlike their arrival, they were now accompanied not only by the hostage Xiao Yan, but also by several large crates of spoils. Each guard, having received generous rewards, wore expressions of elation. "Master, esteemed ladies, please," Li Hu announced as he procured a carriage for Li Chang'an and the Lu sisters to ride in. Hearing the term aunt for the first time, Lu Lingyin and Lu Shiyun felt a twinge of awkwardness, but they understood that they were no longer the forlorn and insignificant girls they once were. They were now concubines of Li Chang'an. Thus, they endeavored to present themselves with grace and dignity, ensuring they did not bring shame to their husband. Once seated in the carriage, the convoy departed from Chunyu town. As the carriage rolled away, moving slowly along the official road, Lu Lingyin and Lu Shiyun nestled beside Li Chang'an, their gazes inevitably drifting towards the familiar scenery that receded into the distance. As the sisters passed by the village where they once resided, their gazes dimmed slightly, revealing a subtle hint of melancholy. Li Chang'an astutely perceived their emotions. Gently draping an arm over their shoulders, and softly inquired, "Shall we return to the village to bid farewell to our fellow villagers?" Lu Lingyin shook her head, withdrawing her gaze as she whispered, "There is no need, my husband. We have no friends in this village." Reflecting on the past year, marred by disdain and alienation due to their deaths, she felt little nostalgia. "We laid our father to rest yesterday and paid our respects. We shall return next Qingming to tend to his grave," she added. Lu Shiyun nodded in agreement, stating, "As the head of the household, you are occupied with affairs. We do not wish to impose upon your time." Hearing this, Li Chang'an's heart swelled with compassion. These sisters were so perceptive that it was heart-wrenching. He nodded, but suddenly recalled something. A glimmer of coldness flickered in his eyes as he raised his hand to draw back the curtain of the carriage. "Li Hu," he called. The head of the household, Li Hu, who was leading the way on horseback, immediately drew near. "There is a man named Wang Ergu in this village, who colludes with the Zhao family bank to deceive villagers into signing high-interest loan agreements, profiting from their misfortune. Find him and eliminate him." His voice was calm, yet it carried an undeniable intent to kill. "Understood." Li Hu responded without hesitation, promptly selecting 2 astute guards and issuing a few commands. The 2 guards swiftly turned their horses and galloped towards the village. Inside the carriage, Lu Lingyin and Lu Shiyun trembled upon hearing Li Chang'an's directive. They exchanged glances, both perceiving deep gratitude and astonishment in each other's eyes. They had not anticipated that their husband would be so invested in their plight, even pursuing a petty figure like Wang Ergu, the accomplice responsible for their family's ruin. Such meticulous concern and decisive action dispelled the last remnants of their unease, leaving only warmth and reliance in their hearts. By afternoon, the procession finally returned to Qingfeng City, driving directly into the Li residence. As the carriage came to a halt, the steward, a Fu, hurried over with a serious expression. Upon seeing Li Chang'an disembark, he swiftly approached and murmured, "Head of the household, you have finally returned. The Grand Elder has instructed that you go to the council chamber immediately upon your arrival." Li Chang'an furrowed his brow, a cold smile curling his lips. After toiling for the family outside, having barely crossed the threshold of his home without even a sip of water, they were hastily summoning him to the council chamber? It was surely not for anything favorable.